Hello everyone. We hope you're doing well. We're doing great, and we truly appreciate your ongoing support. We'd like to briefly address some comments regarding our audiobook series. Rest assured, progress is ongoing. That said, your feedback is vital. If there's a novel you particularly enjoy and want to hear more of, please let us know in the comments. Each chapter requires a financial investment, so we can only continue series that receive strong audience interest. Although we retain core names and plot lines, we make significant editorial changes to enhance clarity, pacing, and immersion. These are not simple recitations. We work hard to deliver a polished, thoughtful listening experience. Without sufficient feedback or engagement, we may need to discontinue a series. So if you're enjoying something, don't stay silent. Your input truly matters. Note, our default audio speed is 3x. If that's too fast, let us know. We're happy to adjust it. Interested in early access to unreleased audiobooks? Visit our Patreon. You'll get to experience new content before it reaches YouTube. Just to clarify, I'm a fan like you. I've purchased these novels and adapted them with care, while respecting all rights and guidelines. For updates, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, X. YouTube update: recently, YouTube flagged some of our content for including mature themes, realistic violence, and darker story elements. As a result, we've decided to stop uploading anything that violates YouTube's guidelines. If you'd like access to the full, uncut versions including the more intense or mature content, you can find them on our Patreon page, where we upload everything first. Available now on Patreon: Shattered Innocence transmigrated into a novel as an extra. Transmigrating over 10,000 years late, I was forced to become a mighty presence. I, the celestial dragon, rule the heavens through the double gate, reigning supreme in countless worlds with beast taming, Tower of God sequence strength, cultivation when you take things to the extreme. Naruto is an Uchiha with cyst. WTF, the centuries-old ancestor in our family take concubine again. Plus 18, Ichi, reincarnated in Bleach as a wizard. Thanks for listening and happy listening. Chapter 1a. Am I right? Under the veil of night, two figures, one following the other, were engaged in a chase. The black-clad Demoness at the front fled nimbly, moving like a specter that flickered unpredictably, leaving a swath of murky mists and fishy clouds in her wake. The white-clad fairy in pursuit, though slightly slower, relied on the flying sword in her hand that moved like thunder to repeatedly block the paths of the black-clad woman, barely managing to keep from losing her. Finally, the white-clad fairy spotted a lapse in the other's faltering chi and thrust her sword, which flew like a ribbon, piercing through the back of the Demoness in an instant. The black-clad woman's body fell to the ground, and the white-clad fairy quickly rushed forward, extending her divine sense into the corpse. Damn it, she had fallen for a feint, a shell game. What seemed to be the body of the black-clad woman was actually just a puppet dummy she had thrown out. Just as the white-clad fairy was about to turn back and continue the search for the Demoness along the path she had come from, suddenly sirens blared. The exit behind her was sealed off by several iron-clad vehicles, doors burst open, and several uniformed individuals jumped out, pulling out sidearms and aiming them at her as if facing a great enemy. Stop right there. Don't move. Put your hands up. Listening to the distant commotion, Yan Yu tossed the empty cola can he had finished drinking into a nearby trash bin. He raised his head once again, gazing into the depths of the gloomy alley. From the shadows, a black-clad Demoness emerged, clutching her abdomen. It seemed she had suffered serious injuries. Not only was her face bloodless and pale as wax, but her body also wobbled unsteadily, as if she would collapse and die at any moment. In fact, she was indeed at the end of her tether. That white-clad woman was her archenemy, who had been relentless in pursuit for nearly 3 days and nights, chasing her from Green Cloud Mountain all the way to the Endless Sea. There, they unfortunately encountered a spatial storm, a rarity of millennia, and both were swept into it. Upon emerging, they found themselves in this world. This world was filled with strange and bizarre things, unlike anything seen or heard before. Everywhere there were towering buildings that soared into the sky like mountains, ironclad carriages that moved on their own without any magical aura, and a multitude of ordinary folk without any magic, donning a variety of flashy and exotic outfits. The most fatal aspect was that the concentration of spiritual energy here was so thin that casting spells was like trying to light a fire underwater. Even the simplest spell required a great deal of true yuan to execute. Even in this strange world, her archenemy relentlessly hounded her like a mad dog, and she could only flee for her life. Finally, seizing a fleeting opportunity, she employed the shell game to successfully shake off her pursuer. Next, she needed to find a place to heal her wounds. In a world where spiritual energy was so scarce, an injury that normally would take barely 10 days to heal might now require several years to recover from. Who? Seeing the strange young man waiting at the mouth of the alley for her, a flash of murderous intent crossed Zhao Yuanzhen's mind. But her face conveyed a plea for help as she said, Save me, please. Their cross-country flight must have already alerted the local authorities. That wretched woman, failing to find me, would likely opt to cooperate with the local regime, deploying a large network of informants to search for my whereabouts. To find a secluded place to heal, I must kill all witnesses. It's imperative that they are not allowed to inform the authorities and lure my archenemy back to my trail. With a ruthless mindset, Zhao Yuanzhen's expression became even more frail and pitiable, waiting for the moment the young man came closer to strike with a deadly ambush, leaving no stone unturned. It was a pity that her true yuan was depleted, otherwise, just one spell would have been enough to blast him dead. Why bother with such complications? Seeing her in such a pitiful state, Yan Yu did not rush forward, but instead calmly asked, Miss, are you Zhao Yuanzhen, also known as Moon? Upon hearing this, Zhao Yuanzhen was taken aback. Who is this person? How does he know me? Seeing that she was at a loss for words on the spot, Yan Yu maintained his composed demeanor and said, Your master is the venerable Hengxi of the Qianxi sect. You entered the sect at the age of 5, and your master highly valued your talent, even going so far as to secretly pass on the string-pulling technique to you, a technique meant only for a true disciple. To prevent your elder sisters from harming you out of jealousy, she warned you to never reveal it lightly. Isn't that right? Zhao Yuanzhen's face went pale. This knowledge of the string-pulling technique, something her master had secretly taught her, was not something she had ever revealed before anyone else. How did this man know about it? Could he have some kind of heavenly vision that could see through a person's practiced techniques? No, that's not right. I only memorized the technique from my master and haven't even successfully practiced it, let alone used it. How could anyone see through it? Impossible, impossible. Absolutely impossible. Seeing her countenance violently disturbed, Yan Yu still wore an expression of unfathomable depth, smiling with profound significance as he said, Did I say something incorrect? Oh, you also have 2 elder sisters, right? Your second elder sister doesn't like you at all, often mocking you with spiteful words behind your back, but your eldest sister takes good care of you, doesn't she? Furthermore, your senior sister is actually more cunning than your second senior sister, he said. She saw that master intended to take you as his true disciple, so she deliberately orchestrated your removal. The reason you offended my Yingxu of the Sword Sect was also a scheme by your senior sister. Even the news of the secret treasure you received was a fabrication she crafted, all to make you directly confront my Yingxu, who was filled with hatred for the demon cult after her junior brother had just been killed. Speaking of which, guess who killed her junior brother? These words struck Zhao Yuanzhen's ears and linked all the troubling thoughts and doubts in her mind together like lightning. It was her. That bitch. But compared to seeking revenge on her senior sister, Zhao Yuanzhen was more wary of the unfamiliar young man before her, and she couldn't suppress the strong sense of fear rising in her heart. His words were sharp like swords, his sentences cut like knives, each phrase precisely exposed a secret of her sect, secrets that should and could not possibly be known to anyone. The only explanation was that this person, or someone behind him, was a master of divination and fortune-telling. The art of divination is the hardest of all methods to cultivate in this world, without equal. And because divination involves probing into the heavenly secrets, it often incurs divine punishment, so those cultivators who can be considered masters of divination are almighty beings who can command the heavens and earth, reverse the fates, turn clouds with a flip of their hand, and rain with the overturn of their palm. Not even the leader of the Qianxi sect would dare to offend them. Otherwise, such a person could simply calculate your destiny, manipulate your karma, and effortlessly scheme against you. When death is imminent, you wouldn't even know who is harming you. Zhao Yuanzhen pursed her dry lips, feeling her legs weaken, instinctively wanting to collapse on the ground, yet she merely braced herself and bowed, feigning a pitiful demeanor as she said, This humble woman, Muan, greets the senior. May I inquire? But Yan Yu deftly sidestepped, avoiding her courtesy, I dare not accept your greeting. I am merely relaying my master's words and offering you some advice. Your sudden fall into the spatial rift and arrival in this minor world has already been calculated clearly by my master. When my Yingxu cooperates with the royal court, deploying numerous minions to search the mountains and seas, with your body's waning energy, if she finds you. Hey, I fear the odds are against you. Zhao Yuanzhen was of course aware that her true yuan had long been depleted and she was no match for my Yingxu. Already at her wit's end, she trembled as she asked. Then, what should I do, may I ask? How can the secrets of heaven be revealed so lightly? Yan Yu's expression instantly turned serious, and he coldly chuckled. Would you dare to probe the secrets of heaven, and can you bear the corresponding price? Damn it. Zhao Yuanzhen thought with a clench of her heart, I had forgotten. Those peerless beings who could calculate the destinies of the world, they could give advice to others, but who is she to seek their counsel? The flustered Zhao Yuanzhen, realizing her mistake, feared that her impetuous plea for help would come off as a great impoliteness and offense in the eyes of that mighty being behind the scenes, and quickly bowed again, pleading, "It was presumptuous of me. I was previously pursued and lost control of my emotions, leading me to an impertinent test. Please, have your honorable master forgive my transgression. If there is punishment or discipline, I will accept it without a single complaint." In the cultivation world, the greater the sect, the more rigid the hierarchy. Particularly within the various factions of the demon cult, if one encounters an ancient senior who places great importance on propriety and hierarchy, one must hasten to beg for mercy and act humbly, otherwise, if they dislike you, they could just obliterate you into dust and obliterate your soul, with nowhere to go for justice. Seeing Zhao Yuanzhen's panicked, groveling, and pitiable appearance, Yan Yu was also secretly surprised and amused. Is this really the future Empress Yuanzhen who will shake the entire world and command the winds and clouds? No, Yan Yu was not the disciple of any master divinator, but a reborn individual with memories of the future. In the original timeline, both Ma Yingsu and Zhao Yuanzhen had traveled to this world concurrently. Ma Yingsu, born into an orthodox sect, chose to cooperate with the official forces. In this grand era when the spiritual energy began to recover, she helped the nation cultivate many cultivators and eventually became a guardian hero revered by countless people. On the other hand, Zhao Yuanzhen, with her background in the demon cult, was forced to struggle and fight every step of her way. Despite being besieged by Ma Yingsu and the official forces, she survived numerous perilous challenges and eventually became the unfathomable Empress Yuanzhen, forcing Ma Yingsu to set aside her prejudices to negotiate and ally with her to fight against foreign transcendence. If Yan Yu had a choice, he would certainly use his foreknowledge to assist the amicable and steadfast Ma Yingsu. After all, she was easier to deal with. As for Zhao Yuanzhen, due to her demon cult origins, she was the type of capricious, free-spirited femme fatale who regarded the lives of the weak as no more valuable than grass and vermin, and blindly seeking her out was no different from courting death. But the real issue was that Yan Yu possessed no spirit root. For the practice methods promoted by Ma Yingsu from the orthodox sect, a spirit root was the most basic talent requirement. If you don't have a spirit root, what then? I'm sorry, you might not be suited to be a cultivator. However, the silken bond technique cultivated by Zhao Yuanzhen, although more difficult to practice, did not require any inborn talents for cultivation. Thus, it was Yan Yu's only option. Why did Yan Yu know so much? Because the future Empress Yuanzhen was one to boast, become easily enraged, and loved to brag about herself. After reconciling with Ma Yingsu, she even collaborated with a TV station to produce an extremely detailed documentary to promote her own great achievements. All those secrets that should not have been known, which Yan Yu now possessed, were disclosed by the future Empress Yuanzhen herself in the documentary. It is these very secrets she recounted herself that now frighten the lightly cultivated Zhao Yuanzhen, making her worship him as if he were a figure of unreachable heights. Chapter 2, The Rebellious Need Polishing. The reason the term demonic is included in the title of the future Empress Yuanzhen is that, by the standards of modern society's morality, she possessed substantial psychological flaws. Firstly, she bullied the weak and feared the strong. Secondly, she was cunning and mistrustful. Thirdly, her moods were unpredictable. Bullying the weak and fearing the strong referred to how she regarded ordinary human lives as worthless, yet she feared Ma Yingsu as one would fear a tiger or wolf. In history, Zhao Yuanzhen, to avoid the official manhunt, fled from Jiangnan province all the way to Anjiang province. Along the way, to prevent her whereabouts from being exposed, she killed the innocent in numbers that could be counted in the thousands, causing an extremely adverse societal impact. Being cunning and mistrustful meant that she never trusted anyone else, only valuing her own strength. Even after later accepting the government's offer of amnesty and dividing the governance of the nation's internal and external affairs with Ma Yingsu, Zhao Yuanzhen never considered forming her own faction or support base. She established no faction, took no disciples, passed on no teachings. Her one hobby was to write her autobiography and make documentary films, boasting about how formidable she was. Her unpredictable moods were what she was most criticized for. Before Zhao Yuanzhen got angry, she would often pretend to speak gently. When she was pleased, she often deliberately showed anger. Perhaps she did not want to let others see through her thoughts, but such unpredictable behavior undeniably made those around her feel like they were on thin ice, making it very hard to have any good feelings toward her. Of course, at this time, Zhao Yuanzhen was not yet the reclusive and odd demonic empress of the future, but that didn't mean Yan Yu could take her lightly. It was now about 1 o'clock in the morning, and there were not many pedestrians on the road. Although Zhao Yuanzhen's clothing was somewhat eye-catching, at first glance, passers-by would only think she was a young lady from the Hanfu circle and would not actually associate her with cultivation. The only thing to avoid was the ubiquitous street surveillance cameras. After all, Once the authorities and my Yingsu communicated and reached a preliminary cooperation, they would soon start looking for Zhao Yuanzhen, the demonic sect enchantress, so she absolutely could not be caught on camera. Yan Yu was a high school senior who commuted from a rented room nearby and had lived there for nearly 3 years. He had long become familiar with the arrangement of the street cameras. At this moment, he was leading Zhao Yuanzhen through a complex path, sometimes crossing over bridges, sometimes taking small riverside paths, and sometimes even passing through bushes. In short, he was doing his best to avoid the main roads to stay out of the public surveillance cameras' range. If there was no way to avoid a particular area, he would turn around and instruct her to cast the invisibility technique, transforming into a black mist to drift past unseen. Zhao Yuanzhen was oblivious to the existence of cameras but noticed that Yan Yu's route was exceedingly peculiar. There were many places where she even needed to become invisible to comply. Could this be some kind of profound formation? That's right, since the mastermind behind him was intent on saving me, he naturally wouldn't forget to set up corresponding high-level formations to block the paths of the pursuers behind me. But why were the steps to disengage the formation so strange? They didn't conform to the 9 palaces, resembled not the Begwa, didn't fit into the 7 absolutes, and were unlike the Yuren. It looked like a child wandering around aimlessly. No, Zhao Yuanzhen, don't be foolish. How could you easily decipher the thought patterns behind the formation steps set by a master tactician? Who do you think you are? Just memorize them properly. There will be plenty of time later to study this profound formation. Don't be distracted by needless concerns right now. Yan Yu, however, was unaware of Zhao Yuanzhen's thoughts. Seeing her looking around and desperately trying to remember the route, he couldn't help but feel amused inside. While he didn't explain the concept of surveillance cameras to her, had she already sensed that the public environment was not safe enough? Indeed, in the original timeline, she managed to escape over 1,800 kilometers upstream along the Yangtze River from Jiangnan province, managing to evade capture for a continuous 10 years. Her wariness and sense of crisis were far beyond her peers. Arriving at the door of the rental, Yan Yu took out his key from his pocket and silently opened the door. "Come in," he said. Zhao Yuanzhen carefully stepped over the threshold, while glancing at the security door from the corner of her eye. The door was actually made of metal. How strange. But to a cultivator, even if it were forged from fine steel, it could not withstand a single spell. No, this residence couldn't possibly be so unprotected. There must be some powerful prohibitions hidden inside. Once back home, Yan Yu carelessly patted the nearby chair. "Take a seat." Zhao Yuanzhen cautiously sat down, only half of her ear touching the chair, appearing quite tentative, her gaze not daring to wander. Seeing her so proper and well-behaved, Yan Yu felt a sudden urge to laugh. The demonic Empress Yuanzhen naturally bullied the weak and feared the strong. At this moment, misled by the disparity in information, she thought she had the support of a mastermind behind her, so she did not dare to act rashly. As time passed, she would soon realize something was amiss and begin to test Yan Yu's true identity incessantly. However, the degree of cunning and suspicion characteristic of the Empress Yuanzhen was almost unparalleled. As long as she couldn't confirm that the alleged tactician absolutely did not exist, she would not dare to take the risk of offending him by making a move on Yan Yu. Combining the above information, the answer to how he should interact with her in the future became clear: endurance. The more you suppress and trample her, the more she will believe you are acting boldly, and the more she will dread the possibility of a great power behind you. But if you are excessively polite and attentive to her throughout, it will only make her more suspicious of your identity. As the Empress Yuanzhen herself said in her autobiography documentary, the demonic sect does not value gentleness, respect, thrift, and yield. It's all about the merciless law of the jungle. If you're not weaker than me, why would you show me kindness? Therefore, the logic of a demonic sect enchantress who responds to toughness and not to gentleness, referring to her as a masochist, also wouldn't be too far off. With his plan set in mind, Yan Yu nonchalantly crossed his legs, looked at the cowering, trembling, helpless demonic sect enchantress opposite him, and arrogantly instructed, "Since you've chosen to seek refuge with me, don't you even understand basic etiquette? Go get a bunch of grapes from that fridge, wash them, and bring them to me." Zhao Yuanzhen was taken aback by his words, biting down on her silver teeth in secret, thinking, could it be that he's treating me like a servant? Having grown up in the demonic sect, she was accustomed to all manner of sycophantic ugliness and knew well the principle of survival through bending or standing firm when necessary. Perhaps the reason this person was ordering me around was on the orders of his master, deliberating testing to see if I was obedient enough. If I showed the slightest hint of rebellion, I would be deemed a useless chess piece and discarded without mercy. Consequently, she held back her displeasure and crisply responded, walking over to the iron chest that Yan Yu had pointed out. Upon opening the chest, a cold draft rushed out. Zhao Yuanzhen clicked her tongue in wonder, thinking this must be some sort of a storage magical treasure for ice, intended for storing fine wines and dishes, but why is it so unwieldy and difficult to carry? She had just taken out the grapes when Yan Yu spoke again. The kitchen is over there. Turn on the tap in the sink, and wash the grapes thoroughly. Gently rub them with your hands, make sure there's not a speck of dust on them, nor any damage to the skin. I'll rub your dog head clean off. Zhao Yuanzhen cursed silently to herself but turned the tap as instructed and saw the tap water gush out, causing her another shock. Such an ingeniously designed water pipe. If a channel were to be dug here, turning it into a stream with twists and turns, it would indeed add a touch of Jiangnan elegance. Yet Yan Yu, unaware of Zhao Yuanzhen's intentions to rip up his home's flooring, simply urged her on, "Are you done yet? Why are you so slow?" Done. Zhao Yuanzhen, having carefully washed the grapes and plated them on a porcelain dish, presented them to Yan Yu with the respect of a maid. Yan Yu lay lazily on the sofa, not even bothering to get up, but simply gestured towards his mouth with his hand. "Hateful little thief, do you actually want me to feed you?" Zhao Yuanzhen was livid. But upon reflection, his daring arrogance was surely because he had the support of a powerful spellcaster as his master, right? Detestable. It's not that I'm willing to kneel to you, it's only out of respect for your powerful master that I'm temporarily yielding. Suppressing the anger at being humiliated, Zhao Yuanzhen patiently picked a grape and lightly placed it in his mouth. Yan Yu watched her seemingly submissive yet humiliated expression as he ate the washed grapes, finding it increasingly amusing and entertaining. However, just like tempering a hawk, he knew there had to be a degree to which he pushed her, knowing when to tighten and loosen his grip. If he pressured her too much, it might drive her to desperation and provoke a violent reaction, which would backfire on him. Having wielded the big stick, naturally, it was time for a carrot, so he smiled slowly and said, "Don't bear a grudge because of this. In the art of divination, the most important thing is the cycle of cause, effect, and retribution. Your respectful conduct towards me today, who knows if I won't be the one to help you out in the future." Zhao Yuanzhen's eyes instantly lit up, and she asked, "How will you help?" The enchantress can't seem to keep her composure, still unable to change her nature of seeking quick success. Yan Yu then leisurely said, "Tell me, do you wish to defeat my Yingsu?" "Of course, I do. If not for the vast gap in innate talent and strength, I would have already flayed that wretched woman, ground her bones to dust, seized her soul, and trapped her to torture day and night." Thinking of how she had been harmed by my Yingsu and ended up in this strange world made Zhao Yuanzhen burn with rage, though her face showed only docility and sweetness as she said, "Now, as a humble girl under the protection of your sect, I simply follow the host's lead. Whatever your master orders me to do, I shall do, only wishing to preserve my life and daring not to think of anything else." Before her words were finished, her chin was lifted by someone. Yan Yu gently took hold of her chin, forcing Zhao Yuanzhen to look directly at him as he said arrogantly, "Don't try to be clever with me, it won't work. Seeing as how you've been so obedient in serving me, I can reveal some of your future fortunes to you. Listen well. Within 10 years, you'll stand no chance against my Yingsu. A decade later, your strengths should be closely matched. 20 years from now, the tables will turn in terms of offense and defense. Whether you wish to kill or flay her, she'll have no choice but to take it. But this is premised on your acting according to destiny, not on your own whims. Otherwise, if you should perish midway, there will be no power to turn back time. Do you understand?" Yan Yu's tone was profound, his face bearing the mystic smile typical of fortune-tellers, which suggested he had revealed as much of destiny as he dared. "Whether you believe it or not, I'll paint you a big picture here, sustaining hope within you." Zhao Yuanzhen was stunned for a moment, her body trembling violently, her cheeks flushed with excitement as she said in her delicate voice, "Is it really as you say, honorable master?" "Of course." Yan Yu nodded nonchalantly. Zhao Yuanzhen quickly put her imagination to work. Could this be the implied suggestion of taking me as a disciple? If I comply with the commands of the powerful divinator behind him, he's willing to nurture me, or even accept me as his disciple, help advance my cultivation bravely and powerfully, teach me art of moving mountains and filling seas, and ultimately have the overwhelming power to easily crush my Yingsu. In that moment, beneath the layers of caution, defense, and apprehension in Zhao Yuanzhen's eyes towards Yan Yu, there finally emerged a hint of dependence, greed, and longing. Yan Yu could see it, but he had no idea about her disciple imagination. He simply thought her obsession with killing my Yingsu had driven her mad, so he smiled enigmatically and said nothing more. Of course, he spoke the truth. In her previous life, Zhao Yuanzhen, even with her constant fleeing and hiding as Zhao running, eventually became a figure on par with my Yingsu. In this life with his assistance, how could she possibly fail to win against my Yingsu? Chapter 3 Come and train with me. In the bathroom, Yan Yu, having finished his shower, dried his body, his thoughts also quietly shifting into motion. With the arrival of Zhao Onzen and Ma Yingsu, the curtain of the spiritual energy resurgence was set to be gradually lifted. In the next 3 months, the official sector that successfully established a cooperative relationship with Ma Yingsu would use the massive amount of cultivation resources collected nationwide to train the first batch of cultivators internally, adopting a cost-indifferent trial-and-error approach. This group of cultivators was mainly composed of military personnel, characterized by absolute loyalty, so it was certain he wouldn't be able to join them. On the National College Entrance Examination Physical on May 12, an additional tube of blood will be drawn during a blood test, aiming to detect the presence of spiritual energy in the bloodline. If one is born with a spirit root within, even without any cultivation knowledge, the innate energy, the congenital chi, is naturally present in the blood and would be detected by the equipment. Out of the 10 million college entrance examination candidates, only about 400 with spirit roots would be sorted out. Then, based on the location of their college entrance examination registration, they would be gathered in Shizong Prefecture, Shengjing Prefecture, Jinling Prefecture, and Xingwang Prefecture to be cultivated separately. The construction of cultivator academies in the west, north, east, and south preliminarily established the embryonic form of the domestic cultivation world's power structure. And this first batch of cultivator undergraduates was like the students who entered university after the resumption of the college entrance examination in 1977. Many of them later became influential figures wielding great authority. This meant that in 3 months' time, Yan Yu must make it through the screening at the college entrance examination physical. However, he had no spirit root within his body, so he needed to obtain the silk and bond technique from Zhao Onzen and cultivate spiritual energy in advance. In his past life, even with a mere mortal body, he relied on his experiences fighting through mountains of corpses and seas of blood, trying to eradicate the rebellious cultivators, single-handedly saving the day. Yet, he ultimately failed by a single move and died harboring resentment. That missing move might just be the difference between a cultivator and non-cultivator. If I become a cultivator in this life, whoever dares to stand in my way had better check how many heads they have resting on their neck. It might not be enough for me to chop down. Yan Yu wiped his damp hair with a towel and pushed open the door to leave the bathroom, only to see Zhao Onzen sitting on the floor, meditating and practicing breath control. "You can go and take a shower," Yan Yu said, pointing to the bathroom. "Thank you for the kind offer," Zhao Onzen spoke with a bowed head and obedient eyes, "but I have the purification spell." "With the spiritual energy of this world so impoverished, you still have true yuan to use the purification spell?" asked Yan Yu with an amused smile. Zhao Onzen was silent for a moment, then sighed. As Yan Yu had noted, the spiritual energy in this world was indeed too thin. Even after prolonged meditation and breath control, she had recovered very little true yuan. Using it on the purification spell was indeed too extravagant. With that thought, she obediently nodded and silently got up to take her shower. Yan Yu, however, picked up his backpack and began to do his homework. Although his soul was from an adult in the future, his body was that of a high school senior attending day school. Since he was hiding a demonic woman at home, he had to avoid attracting attention. Otherwise, if he didn't turn in his homework and his grades dropped, the teachers would notify his parents. If his parents traveled from home to Linan Prefecture and found out that he was hiding a demonic woman, the ensuing situation would become extremely troublesome. Of course, he couldn't explain to his parents, "There's no need to worry about the college entrance examination, after all, the future belongs to cultivators." Otherwise, they would probably have him sent to a psychological counseling center. After hastily finishing his homework, Yan Yu saw Zhao Onzen, freshly bathed and wearing the pajamas he provided. The upper part of the pajamas was snugly filled while the lower part hung loose. It was clear that the demonic woman had substantial assets for doing evil. If not strictly supervised, she was sure to bring disaster to the nation and harm to the people. Thankfully, since I've taken her into custody, countless lives are spared from her harm. This is a truly good deed. Yan Yu thought to himself. Seeing Yan Yu blatantly sizing up her figure, Zhao Onzen felt a slight displeasure within her heart, but she did not say much. Now, forced to depend on someone else's roof and seeking shelter from her sect to evade Ma Yingsu's pursuit, this was a time to swallow her pride. Naturally, she couldn't afford to mess up the grand scheme over her so-called maiden modesty. She sat beside Yan Yu and saw him holding a strange pen and writing something. She asked curiously, "Are you doing homework?" "You know about homework?" Yan Yu asked in surprise. "Just joking, I can recognize a few characters," said Zhao Onzen. She picked up the Chinese test paper and saw he didn't react, then she carefully began to read. "How odd, why is it all vernacular? So verbose. And the characters, why are there so few strokes? Is little master trying for academic honors?" she said with a pleasing smile. "Just call me Yan Yu, Yan Yu thought to himself that her calling him little master made him sound like a young monk. Studying is not about seeking fame, but for cultivating one's moral character. Haha, you've been raised in the demonic sect since young and don't understand the ways of the world. I don't expect you would understand this reasoning. Zhao Yuanzhen felt snubbed and hated him inwardly, but she kept her composure and swallowed her pride, making a mental note to settle the score later. On my first day after crossing over, although Yan Yu helped shelter me on behalf of his sect, he insulted me in every way possible and ordered me around like a servant, utterly hateful. Now that I am under someone else's roof and power, I can only temporarily feign compliance and preserve my useful self. If there's a chance someday, I must repay this debt tenfold. She had intended to ingratiate herself with this young man, to sweeten his existence with her presence, to grind ink for him, at least to deceive his trust first. However, this world was too peculiar. Lamps shone without fire, no need for added fragrance, pens did not require ink grinding, automatically producing ink. Which left her with nothing to do. After much thought, she took the grapes that had been washed beside her, peeled them carefully, and fed them to him. As Yan Yu ate her grapes, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. This Demoness was known for her capricious moods, acting on a whim, her temper flipping faster than flipping a book. Now she was currying favor, which definitely meant something was up. After finishing the last problem on a test paper, he set the pen aside and asked, "Spit it out, what do you want?" Cough. Zhao Yuanzhen, whose thoughts were abruptly read by him, could only cough and adapt on the fly, saying, "I'm just curious, young master. Yan Yu, it seems you have no magical powers, could you be using some secret technique to conceal your cultivation level?" "I haven't officially started cultivating yet." Yan Yu thought to himself that he was about to bring it up and she had preemptively asked it, so he responded, "Master said the techniques he practices are not suitable for me." Upon hearing this, Zhao Yuanzhen used the insight and instincts cultivated in the demonic sect environment to immediately guess the truth. What does it mean by the techniques are not suitable? Most likely, your master thinks your cultivation talents are inferior and doesn't plan to pass on the true inheritance to you. She threw the grape-containing basin aside, with no intention to continue serving this worthless person anymore. Just as she was about to sneer and mock him, she heard Yan Yu speak again. "Master said, the most suitable technique for my cultivation is the silken bond technique on you." "What?" Zhao Yuanzhen immediately became panicked. If it were a mere mortal peeping at this secret legacy technique, she would have slapped them without a second thought, bringing a mighty celestial dragon down upon them, cracking skulls with her bare hands, showing them what a toad lusting after swan meat truly meant. But with a powerful master of strategy and calculation behind Yan Yu, if he was scheming for the silken bond technique, how exactly could she refuse? It seemed she couldn't refuse at all. If he had specifically requested this technique, it also meant he had already factored it into his calculations. Even if she stubbornly refused, she likely couldn't resist the ghostly powers of a great strategist, and she might end up trapped in a life-or-death situation one day, crying and screaming to willingly offer the secret technique just to plead for her life. Reason told Zhao Yuanzhen that whether she wanted to give up the secret today or not, she had to give it. If she didn't drink this toast, the next cup would be a penalty. But emotionally, the idea of giving up the silken bond technique without gaining any advantages was something she simply couldn't accept. Seeing Zhao Yuanzhen's eyes darting around, Yan Yu also knew what she was struggling with, and immediately pulled out his trump card. Master also mentioned, if I told you this, you would be reluctant, so he asked me to remind you of another matter. The silken bond technique can be practiced alone or with a partner, and theoretically, the speed of progress and power of the technique are far superior when practiced with a partner than alone. Zhao Yuanzhen was stunned for a moment, then had an epiphany, as if enlightenment had dawned upon her. The chi refinement method of the silken bond technique, after several refinements, now could use puppetry to complement the practitioner's lack of natural talent. The speed of absorbing and refining chi is constrained by the innate limitations of the body, hence precious treasures are used to create puppets, pulling strings to let the puppets refine chi which then nourishes the cultivator's true yuan, thereby bypassing the shackles of inherent cultivation talent. The ancestor who created this secret technique was naturally a figure of astonishing brilliance. It was said that she fell in love with a man who had no spirit root and couldn't cultivate, living a mere 100 years. The ancestor then exhaustively created this unconventional technique, to grant her beloved cultivation and longevity. That was why, from the beginning, the silken bond technique was actually a dual cultivation version. String pulling was not originally about manipulating puppets, but about pulling the strings of affection. But dual cultivation comes with a prerequisite: both parties must trust each other without reservations. Dual cultivation is not a one-way energy absorption. The true chi must constantly circulate and carry out cycles between both individuals, leaving them utterly defenseless throughout the process. If one harbored malicious intent and struck unexpectedly, the outcome for the other would be dire, if not fatal. Given the cutthroat competition of the demonic sect, finding a trustworthy dual cultivation partner was exceedingly difficult. As a result, later generations added countless annotations to the original text of the silk and bond technique, eventually using puppets to circumvent the requirement for a human partner. While this reduced the efficiency of chi refinement, it was safer and more reliable, to the point that no one even practiced the original version anymore. With this realization, Zhao Yuanzhen's mind was enlightened. The master strategist had not taught Yan Yu other techniques, not because he did not like him, but because he had already calculated clearly, Yan Yu was to dual cultivate the silken bond technique with me. Even his previous guidance to Yan Yu to save me, and the protection from my Yingxu's pursuit afterward, were not out of any kindness, but rather aimed at this very dual cultivation goal. Chapter 4 Stay away from me, trashy woman. The issue I mentioned before with dual cultivation is that once you choose a partner, you must cultivate together from then on and can't change your method midway. However, cultivators from the demon cult are mostly selfish individuals with no moral bottom line. Unless bound by life-saving friendships, who would dare entrust their trust lightly to another? If your partner suddenly harbors malicious thoughts and seeks to harm you for wealth or life, backstabbing you at a critical moment of dual cultivation, the situation is almost certainly fatal. Given Zhao Yuanzhen's nature, she would naturally never trust Yan Yu. But the problem is that she's already caught in the midst of the situation. If she's unwilling, would Yan Yu's backing master let her go? Refusing dual cultivation, she's highly likely not to survive the night. Even without any schemes, they would just need to drive her out, let her be found by my Yingxu, then a flying sword could strike, and what strength does Zhao Yuanzhen have to defend herself at this time? Yet, if she agrees to dual cultivate, first of all, to the powerful being behind Yan Yu, Zhao Yuanzhen, as a disciple's partner, would hold sufficient value and there would be no immediate fear of being discarded. As for the possibility of betrayal by her partner, that's a problem for the future. Deal with it later. If she can't even survive today, what future is there to speak of? Zhao Yuanzhen, even though cunning and full of doubt, valuing her own life and cautious, was not one to dither or be indecisive. She quickly assessed the situation and gritted her teeth. Fine, I'll cultivate with you. Generous. Yan Yu gestured toward the bed. Please. Hold on, Zhao Yuanzhen asked seriously. The silken bond technique is a secret method of the Calamity sect and should not be disclosed. Since your master has designated this technique, how should the lineage be explained? My master has already clarified this matter, Yan Yu said calmly. Once you have developed your golden core, we will start our own sect. You hold the lineage of Calamity sect, and I have the lineage bestowed by my master. Combine the two, and it forms the lineage of our sect. Is that even possible? Zhao Yuanzhen was struck dumb. In the cultivation world, as long as one forms a golden core, they are qualified to start their own sect. Whether the original sect agrees, and which methods can be passed on, all depends on negotiations and understanding between the two sides. But this is a different world. No matter what happens here, how could the Calamity sect of the cultivation world know a thing about it? It doesn't matter at all. In that case, Zhao Yuanzhen had an epiphany and nodded. If one day I'm able to form a golden core, I'll rebuild the Calamity sect here and fulfill the grace of my sect's teachings. True to being a demonic sect enchantress, her ideological awareness is so adaptable. Both climbed onto the bed, sat facing each other, and adopted the position with palms facing upwards towards the sky. Zhao Yuanzhen began to explain, if the silken bond technique is practiced solo, it's between a cultivator and a puppet performing circulations, but in dual cultivation, it's between partners. Each grand circulation of true chi can increase it by 1/10, each minor circulation can merge it by 1/10. If there's any disruption in the circulation, no matter who causes it, both parties will be greatly harmed. So you must follow my instructions and move your true chi according to my guidance. You must not act recklessly, heedless of the law. Even if you feel pain, itching, warmth, or cold, you cannot stop the operation of the technique on your own. Do you understand? Of course, said Yan Yu. Seeing that Yan Yu was unusually serious without his usual smile, Zhao Yuanzhen felt somewhat reassured. Next, I'll recite the mental technique to you. This technique is a secret of my sex lineage and should not be put down on paper. It will leave my mouth and enter only your ears, not to be known by a third person. Understand? Don't worry. Good, listen carefully. The way of heaven takes from what has excess to supplement what lacks, ensuring balance and equitability, and not just thus. Zhao Yuanzhen recited the silken bond technique's mental mantra outline, about 20,000 characters long, several times, until she confirmed Yan Yu had committed it to memory, before finally extending her hands and placing her palms together with his. They began dual cultivation. Traditional Taoist dual cultivation doesn't necessarily involve bedroom practices. However, the silken bond technique was created by the founder for her husband, and so at higher levels, it indeed involves that aspect. Luckily, at this moment, they were both novices and hadn't cultivated to that extent, thus they only touched palms and circulated their true chi, sitting in silence throughout the entire night. The following morning, Yan Yu picked up his book bag and cautioned Zhao Yuanzhen, saying, "I'm going out, you stay here and don't leave the house, don't open the windows, and keep the curtains drawn. If someone knocks, don't respond. Just pretend no one is home. What if someone forces their way into the cave residence?" Zhao Yuanzhen asked thoughtfully. "You know the invisibility technique," Yan Yu said, "just become invisible and hide under the bed until they leave." "And if they see through it?" Zhao Yuanzhen asked for clarification. Yan Yu replied without hesitation, "Kill them, search their soul to confirm the situation." "You don't need me to teach you that, do you?" "No, no need." Zhao Yuanzhen quickly waved his hand, thinking that killing was not uncommon, but the fact that he could mention search their soul without hesitation showed that my partner was not exactly virtuous, and his master was most likely some hidden giant of the demonic path. Good thing I wasn't foolish enough to anger him last night. Yan Yu wasn't overly worried either because, in the original timeline, the officials didn't fully believe Ma Yingsu's words at first, until innocent bystanders were killed by Zhao Yuanzhen. Only then did the authorities' attitude turn severe. Now that Zhao Yuanzhen was under his control in time, with no victims at all, the official attitude towards Ma Yingsu would definitely be "We've noted what you said, and we will further verify it." Good, let them verify slowly. Arriving at school, the high school Yan Yu attended was affiliated with Jiangnan University. The academic atmosphere was incredibly strict, and since it was the lower semester of the senior year, the classes were nothing but continuous drills, discussions, and test papers until 9 p.m. To prevent early romance from affecting the college entrance exam, all students had individual desks. There were no classmates to share desks with, no beautiful class monitors or school beauties from the next class over, just a bunch of glasses-wearing students buried in their work. So the campus life can be described in one word: boring. After silently completing and submitting the test paper given by the teacher, Yan Yu left the classroom, gazing at the outside scenery from the hallway, and zoned out. Last night, he and Zhao Yuanzhen cultivated the silken bond technique together and had successfully cultivated a sense of chi. Next, he had to solidify this faint thread of true chi to ensure that it would get him through the body check in May for the college entrance exam. After that, it was off to the Cultivators College in Jinling Prefecture to meet his old friends from this life whom he had yet to know. Caillou Zi, Sun Ziyi, Lin Ning, Su Yanjin, and of course, the toughest one, Princess Zhang Hai, Chen Linian. "Ah, how I miss them." "Hello," a familiar voice came from the side. "Could you tell me how to get to laboratory building number 5? Yan Yu turned casually, and at the sight of the person's features, "Huh?" The individual stood petite, not even reaching 1.6 meters tall, seemingly about 1.56 meters in memory. She had soft shoulder-length hair, a white lace-trimmed dress, shiny black shoes, bright watery eyes, a delicate and fine nose, and a standard smile revealing 8 perfect teeth. Chen Linian. How did this wretch of a woman run from Zhanghai to Linan? "It's just over there," Yan Yu pointed indifferently to the opposite side. "See that building? That's the one." "Sorry to bother you," Chen Linian maintained her charming smile. "I'm a bit lost, would you mind showing me the way?" Any other boy of his age would have been dazzled by this woman's smiling assault and would have eagerly led the way for her. Although Yan Yu was well aware of her true nature, a refusal now would definitely arouse suspicion, so he leaned on the railing and said in a casually detached manner, "All right then." Chen Linian simply smiled elegantly and followed him. "Thank you, then." As they left the academic building, Chen Linian suddenly asked, "By the way, classmate, what's your name?" "Damn it," Yan Yu internally sneered while walking ahead. At first acquaintance, Chen Linian liked to pretend she was approachable, yet she was inherently arrogant, never deigning to remember the names of the unremarkable. Her asking his name meant that the unusual aura he inadvertently exuded when he turned attracted her strong interest. "Sun Ziyi," Yan Yu answered without showing any effect. "What's your name, classmate?" "I haven't seen you around the school before." "I'm Chen Linian," she answered frankly. "I'm from the Math Olympiad class at Zhanghai Middle School, here as an exchange student at your Jiangnan affiliated high." Chapter 5, 3 Techniques and 5 Spells. If Yan Yu had a rebirth revenge list in his heart, Chen Linian's name would definitely top the chart, without any doubt. The reason was simple: this despicable woman had mocked his identity more than once. "Oh, it's such a pity you're not a cultivator." She said it during meals out, she said it during post-dinner walks, she said it during movie outings, she even said it before the cultivators went off to war. Yan Yu remembered clearly. This despicable woman had mocked him a total of 137 times across various occasions, as if lacking a spirit root made him less of a person. As a reborn individual, it's only normal for me to have a better memory, right? It's not because I'm holding a grudge. However, wasn't this despicable woman an Olympiad exchange student at Jiangnan High School during her senior year? Yan Yu had never heard of this. Upon reflection, when Zhao Yuanzhen first transmigrated to Linan Prefecture, she killed several bystanders just to keep her mouth shut. That must have been why Jianghai High School, where the despicable woman attended, deemed the exchange unsafe and thus cancelled the original plan. Now that the enchantress has been subdued and no killings have occurred, there were no violent security incidents, so naturally, she was sent over as originally scheduled. Are you in the Olympiad class, classmate Sun Zi? Chen Lian took the initiative to ask. No, Yan Yu replied. I'm just an ordinary student. Oh, is that so? Chen Lian said with a smile. My apologies, I've got it wrong. Yan Yu didn't respond. He knew she was looking for an excuse to get him to talk. The more he said, the more information he would reveal, and the clearer the personality portrait she painted in her head would become. He opted instead to play the part of the silent, cool character. Here we are, Yan Yu said as he personally escorted her to the bottom of the laboratory building. This is the place, goodbye. Without any hesitation, he turned and left, while Chen Lian didn't seem to be in a hurry to go upstairs, just smilingly watching his retreating figure. School was out. As Yan Yu walked home, he noticed that there were many more uniformed officers at the intersections than the day before, checking IDs of people on the streets. Although he carried a student ID in his backpack, the officers merely glanced at him and waved him on. It seemed they were specifically looking for young women of a certain age to check. Upon arriving home and swiftly closing the door, Yan Yu was promptly greeted by Zhao Yuanzhen. He asked her seriously, how has it been? No one came to the door, right? No one, Zhao Yuanzhen answered honestly. Yan Yu tossed his backpack aside and collapsed onto the sofa, motioning with his hand, come here, my back is hurting, give it a rub for me. Inside, Zhao Yuanzhen seethed with resentment. Although they were Taoist companions, it was only in terms of cultivation. Massaging and kneading like a maid or a servant, wasn't that something for subordinates to do? She wanted to slap him right there, to kill this wretch who humiliated her, but remembering the powerful master behind him, she forcibly suppressed her rage. She went over to massage Yan Yu's spine while silently noting this new grievance. Today, upon his return, that scoundrel Yan Yu called me over like a common servant to press his shoulders and knead his back, utterly detestable. I shall note this debt for now. The day I find the opportunity, I will make him toil like an ox and horse for my bidding, to soothe the hatred in my heart. How is it? Is the pressure all right? Zhao Yuanzhen relished her thoughts, yet her hands did not cease, and with a sugary voice, she asked, should I use a bit more strength? It's fine. Yan Yu grew suspicious. The Empress Yuanzhen was always cunning and paranoid, so why wasn't she probing about what I did all day outside? Instead, she's obediently massaging me here. What's going on? Humphrey, she must be planning some vicious scheme while pretending to be submissive on the surface, aiming to lull my vigilance. As Yan Yu leisurely enjoyed the massage from the beauty, he suddenly said, speak. Speak what? Zhao Yuanzhen was puzzled. Speak of the thoughts in your heart, Yan Yu said calmly. The thoughts in my heart? Zhao Yuanzhen was startled, and her movements halted. Did this wretch learn of the grudges I hold in my heart? No, he must have calculated it. Even though he didn't follow his master in chi refinement, he must have learned his master's method of divination, otherwise, how could he possibly know what I'm thinking? Feeling the sudden pause of the hands on his back, Yan Yu knew his conjecture was spot on, and he sneered, what, you have the guts to think it but not the guts to admit it. Zhao Yuanzhen's body shook at the words, increasingly certain that his thoughts had been secretly calculated by this little thief. He quickly feigned composure as he explained, I was merely indulging in wild thoughts, not actually planning to act on them. Why do you care so much? As Taoist partners on the path to enlightenment, our glory and losses will be shared in the future. Could you really worry that I would harm you and sever my own path to Taoism? Hey, that's hard to say. Yan Yu certainly knew that Empress Yuanzhen was very suspicious and would never completely trust anyone in the world. If she knew that there was no powerful master behind her, she might as well decide to snap her own neck in an instant and switch from a dual cultivation to a solo practice, one that, despite injuring her foundation, would completely eliminate the future risk of betrayal by a Taoist partner. With Empress Yuanzhen's character, she was definitely capable of doing such a thing. While it was necessary to bide one's time like taming a hawk, it was also crucial to have the power to protect oneself, because even a peck from the hawk shouldn't be fatal. Yan Yu was noncommittal about Zhao Yuanzhen's defense and said indifferently, whether you will act on your thoughts or not, do you think I wouldn't know? But let's not talk about that for now. Recite the 3 arts and 5 spells to me first. The 3 arts and 5 spells? Zhao Yuanzhen frowned. What do you want to learn that for? The so-called 3 arts refer to the long-distance high-speed movement of the shifting technique, the short-range teleportation of the cloud ascension technique, and the wall penetration technique, which allows one to move through obstacles. As for the 5 spells, they are the 5 elemental true character curse of moisture, flame, bending, image, and surge, each with its unique wonders. However, the 3 arts and 5 spells are almost like basic arithmetic in the modern world, regarded as introductory spells that every cultivator knows in the cultivation world. Why did the thief specifically ask to learn these? Seeing the perplexed expression on her face, Yan Yu chuckled and said, with the current level of spiritual energy in this world, even if you learn those super Taoism methods capable of moving mountains and rechanneling seas, could you actually use them? Zhao Yuanzhen, I advise you to practice the 3 arts and 5 spells well. They will be more useful than anything else this year. In a secret military base in Jianghai Prefecture, Mai Yingsu stood in the spacious hall, wearing Taoist robes, and meditating with her eyes closed. At the top of a wall on one side of the hall, behind several layers of thick bulletproof glass, the relevant officials had all arrived. Not only that, multiple cameras were filming from various angles, transmitting the data in real time over a secure link to Pingjing, where higher-ranking individuals were watching a live broadcast. Taoist Mai, the loudspeaker in the corner of the room sounded, you may begin. Fine, Mai Yingsu opened her eyes and spoke indifferently, the spiritual energy in your world is far too sparse. Many spells I cannot use, so I can only demonstrate the 3 arts and 5 spells for you. This is the shifting technique. Her figure disappeared abruptly, then reappeared at the end of the hall. Behind the bulletproof glass, the officials wore impassive faces as though their minds had gone blank. After a prolonged silence, the governor of Jianghai, Chen Tanming, was the first to speak. Did you capture all that? Captured. Someone hastily operated the computer, slowing down the footage for projection display. Through the slow-motion replay, everyone got a clearer view this time. Mai Yingsu stepped forward with her left foot first, then lifted her right foot off the ground, suddenly accelerating towards the hall's end, putting her left foot down followed by her right foot, and finally taking a few steps to stop the momentum. From the movements alone, it looked like she had simply taken one step. But according to the motion sensor data, her speed after the step momentarily reached 16 meters per second. This super acceleration, almost impossible for a human body to achieve, shattered everyone's worldview and understanding. Liu Zhenyuan, the prefect of Jiangnan, struggled to steady himself and asked for confirmation. She isn't wearing any equipment, right? No, someone immediately presented a security inspection report. She's only wearing a silk robe, there's no concealed equipment inside. Don't forget, Huang Wenqing reminded from the side, is there any high-tech equipment that can accelerate a person to 16 meters per second in an instant? And she seemed to be perfectly normal. Let's not rush to conclusions, Governor Chen Danming said, have her demonstrate all the 3 arts and 5 spells. After all, with the dark history of the Qigong craze in the 1980s, it was essential to be extremely cautious, and even more cautious in acknowledging non-natural phenomena. It would be best if they could find evidence of fraud. If not, they would have to send the person to Pingjing to let the experts in the capital study her because Jianghai Prefecture could definitely not came to any conclusions. Chapter 6 Yan Yu, never hold grudges so, you've learned them all? Zhao Yuanzhen asked incredulously. Merely the 3 arts and 5 spells, how much effort could it take? Yan Yu said with a scornful expression, isn't it something one can grasp after hearing it once? Or are you saying it took you a long time back when you learned? It didn't take me long either, Zhao Yuanzhen said, forcing herself to speak. The time it took me to learn the 3 arts and 5 spells was about the same as yours. This was a lie, in truth. For example, the barrier charm among the 5 spells had taken her 2 full days and nights to learn. Right, Zhao Yuanzhen ventured again. The honorable teacher said that with the current world's concentration of spiritual energy, the 3 arts and 5 spells are the most cost-effective Taoism method, right? Then when will there be any change? Probably in a year. Yan Yu glanced at her with a sideways look. What, you can't wait? True Yuan recovery is too slow, only able to use the 3 arts and 5 spells. It inevitably feels somewhat unsafe, Zhao Yuanzhen said ingratiatingly. If we encounter a major demon, I'm afraid we won't even have the strength to fight back. In a world where spiritual energy only supports the 3 arts and 5 spells, what kind of major demon can emerge? Yan Yu said with a sneer, the current wildlife doesn't even have sentient intelligence. You worry too much. Even if the limit of spiritual energy increases, and true Yuan recovery speeds up, it will be Mai Yingsu who regains more strength. Now, won't you hurry to bed with me for a dual cultivation? Alright, Zhao Yuanzhen got up from the sofa and hid those secret, unspeakable thoughts deep within her heart. Continue to cater to him for now, dulling this little thief's alertness. When the time comes, all the humiliations I have suffered in the past, I will make him kneel and taste each one. No, tenfold. Another night passed. The next day, Yan Yu went to school as usual to continue practicing for the college entrance exam. If sleep was about recovery of body and mind, then cultivation was the charging of body and mind. After sitting in meditation and practicing chi refinement with Zhao Yuanzhen for an entire night, not only did Yan Yu not feel the slightest bit tired, but he also felt spirited and full of vitality, as if he had slept a full 12 hours. Unfortunately, the daily life of a high school senior day student was too dull, especially since he already knew he wouldn't be taking the college entrance exams, making these practice papers seem even more pointless. It was only to avoid attracting attention. As usual, having completed the test papers first, Yan Yu went out to the corridor, idly gazing at the distant scenery. Yan Yu, the crisp voice of Chen Linian, filled with a hint of laughter, sounded next to him. Yan Yu turned his head with a "why is it you again" look of annoyance and saw this petite girl who stood at 1.56 meters tall, her face bearing a sweet smile as if not at all upset about being tricked the day before. I had people check the name Sun Zi, Chen Linian said with a smile. I found it belongs to some first-year student, and also a girl. The reason why I used a fake name, Yan Yu started. Chen Linian politely closed her mouth, signaling I'm all ears. Is because I didn't want to tell you my real name, Yan Yu said seriously. I see, Chen Linian narrowed her eyes, continuing to smile, but if it's something I'm interested in, I must find out the truth. Now you have already found out my name, Yan Yu nodded. Are you satisfied? Not yet, Chen Linian said, her smile brimming as she looked at him. I have a premonition. What premonition? Not to mention her premonition, Yan Yu, who was very familiar with her from his past life, already began to have a bad feeling. I think you recognize me, Chen Linian said with a smile. My first impression of you was, this person seems to know me, but he's deliberately pretending not to. The process of leading the way later confirmed this. You treated me coldly and even used a fake name, but according to your classmates, student Yan Yu isn't the indifferent, reclusive, or deliberately asocial type. This means you started acting distant only after recognizing me. First of all, I think it's pretty unreliable to judge based on intuition, Yan Yu said somewhat helplessly. Do you also rely on intuition to solve your Olympiad math problems? Furthermore, even if we had met before, so what? Do I have something valuable on me that would make you intentionally approach me? About your first point, Chen Linian's smile remained standard, showing exactly 8 teeth, but it seemed to contain a hint of genuine pleasure. I don't need absolutely reliable intuition. A completely solved Olympiad problem is boring, only the puzzles without answers hold the meaning of exploration. As for the second point, I've already said it before. Yan Yu was slightly taken aback at first, then he immediately realized she was referring to her earlier words. If it's something I'm interested in, I have to figure it out. See? Seeing the subtle change in his expression, Chen Linian smiled even more joyfully. You can swiftly understand the subtext in my words, which is not something ordinary people can do. I can think of 2 possibilities. One is that you and I are of the same kind, with similar levels of intelligence and thought patterns, but I've looked into your previous grades a bit, and that seems unlikely. The second possibility is that you not only recognized me long ago but also spent a lot of time with me, so we developed a certain rapport. However, I can be sure that I've never seen you before, nor have I encountered anyone with a similar personality to you, and there's no possibility of an old friend suddenly disappearing and getting plastic surgery. So why do you seem so familiar with me? She slowly leaned in, staring into Yan Yu's eyes, her delicate and pretty face sporting a radiant fake smile. Yan Yu felt a bit irritated. This damn woman. Why's your curiosity so strong? But what was even clearer in Yan Yu's mind was that he had indeed piqued Chen Linian's interest. Any further disguise or argument would only amuse her more. This damn woman was a purebred thrill-seeker, treating those around her like toys, never following her train of thought. Hey, since you're asking for trouble, I might as well play along. Alright, I admit it. Yan Yu put on an I might as well confess look, and said helplessly, believe it or not, I actually am your future husband. Oh? Chen Linian's mouth curled up, not at all angered by the conversational advantage taken. So you're a reborn person who's traveled back to the past? Or did you see the future from somewhere? That's not important. Yan Yu waved his hand dismissively. What matters is that right now, you're thinking, he must be lying to me, because the decision of my marriage lies in my father's hands, and I have no value that would appeal to my father. That's logical, Chen Linian said with a smile and a nod. But even if you can guess my current thoughts, it's not enough to convince me with that. Then let's talk about something only you know. Yan Yu looked around to make sure there was no one else, then lowered his voice. When you were 6 years old, you once took in a stray cat, in the small garden behind your family's villa. It took you half a month to fully master the cat's behavior patterns, including when it ate, when it slept, and when it sought affection. Afterward, you completely lost interest in it and left the cat to the care of your maid. A week later, the cat ran away and never came back. Your father comforted you, and you said with a smile to let it go because you didn't really want to keep it anymore. But actually, you were very angry. You never told anyone that it was the first time you felt unsettled inside because you couldn't accept the cat choosing to leave you, their owner, even though it was you who neglected it first. You decided to hold this grudge for a lifetime. Chen Limian's smile stiffened on her face, her eyelids dropped slightly, her gaze became slightly obscure, but her gentle tone remained unchanged as she smiled and said, "Very interesting. I'm sure I've never told anyone the real thoughts deep inside my heart at that time, so, could you tell me more about how we met and fell in love in the future? I'm quite interested in that." "Are you interested in that?" Yan Yu revealed a pleased smile. "That's great, because I don't intend to tell you." "What?" Chen Limian widened her eyes, surprised and laughing. "Aren't you my future husband?" "That's right," Yan Yu said, his smile equally gentle, "but in this lifetime, I have no intention of being with you. Just like that cat, you've been dumped by me, little Limian." Chen Limian's fake smile quickly faded from her face, leaving only a dark, cold, and slightly angry look, staring at him without blinking. "Oh yes, that's right." Yan Yu grew more joyful, clapping his hands and exclaiming with praise, "That expression of yours is my favorite. You know, little Limian, I also really like your usual condescending, polite fake smile, as if everyone is an idiot to you, but what I like even more is this moment when you can't maintain your smile and you completely lose it. Ha ha ha. It's just so endlessly amusing to me." Chapter 7 Yan Yu, do good deeds anonymously after school. Chen Linian was sitting in the back seat of the car with an unusually somber expression, devoid of any smile. The female driver, looking at her through the rearview mirror and seeing her pensive look, couldn't help but speak up. "Miss, did something happen at school?" Chen Linian lifted her head and reinstated her standard, perfect, impeccable smile of etiquette. "It's nothing, Sister Liu. I just encountered some interesting things." "Oh?" the driver asked casually, "Are they interesting people, or interesting events? Are you planning to report to father?" Chen Linian asked with a smile. "That depends on what it is," the driver replied. "If it's not important, of course, I wouldn't bother him." "I see," Chen Linian mused. The annoying face of Yan Yu sprung to mind, and on a whim, she lifted her head again, already wearing a radiant smile. "It's probably not anything important, Sister Liu. I just might have met someone I like." The steering wheel jerked suddenly as the startled driver quickly steadied it and then tried to calm herself, stuttering out, Miss, you are joking, right?" "I wish I were joking." Chen Linian's smile became even more radiant, her eyes sparkling with joy. As if a child had seen their favorite toy. Yan Yu returned to his rented room, and Zhao Yuanzhen hurriedly welcomed him. "Someone actually knocked on the door today," she said eagerly. "They were here to collect some kind of sobbing fee? You didn't open the door, did you?" Yan Yu asked indifferently, raising an eyebrow. "No," Zhao Yuanzhen replied with a flattering smile. "I just prepared the curved curse, ready to kill her on the spot if she forced her way in. But she knocked for a while and left after getting no response." Yan Yu's gaze swept over the living room, confirming, "What do you usually do at home?" Zhao Yuanzhen thought, "You're supposed to be clairvoyant, so why are you asking me?" "Oh, I get it. You're feigning ignorance, testing my honesty, you sly little thief." She silently took note of this transgression. "Today, the thief Yan Yu deliberately provoked and questioned me. I shall temporarily note this grudge, and should the day come when I gain the upper hand, I will make him a slave or a maid, treating him harshly and humiliating him to settle this score." In the morning, I meditated and practiced breathing to restore my true yuan. Zhao Yuanzhen harbored resentment in her heart, but outwardly she was honest. In the afternoon, I watched a bit of that television. This enchantress has even learned to watch television? Yan Yu was inwardly on guard. They say the TV was left behind by the previous tenant, and the landlord was too lazy to remove it, not expecting that it would now become a channel for the enchantress to gather information about the outside world. The more this enchantress knows, the harder it is to deceive and control. I mean, the harder it is to guide her towards goodness, which is detrimental to her growth. But if I remove the TV now, it would seem overly deliberate. A powerful student of divination, actually afraid of her watching TV? It really would damage my dignity. Well, let her watch, then. I'll maintain the facade of having everything under control, allowing her to continue her suspicion and paranoia. So what have you been watching? Yan Yu sat down on the couch, casually inquiring. I watched a folk play. What's it called? The Wife's Lies, Zhao Yuanzhen said with a forced laugh. Although it depicts the trivial affairs of mortal housewives, the plot twists and turns are unexpected and quite interesting. Yan Yu was stunned for a while before realizing that the so-called folk play the Enchantress was referring to was actually a soap opera targeted at housewives. This was very odd. Given the demonic sect Enchantress's usual ferociousness, even if she watched TV shows, she should prefer those with bloody and horrifying themes. Oh, such shows wouldn't pass the censorship, so never mind. In any case, soap operas had little informative content and were only good for passing time, so there wasn't much to worry about. Yan Yu, did our respected teacher give any instructions today? Zhao Yuanzhen asked. Nothing special, Yan Yu waved his hand. The master is busy and hasn't contacted me. Is that so? Zhao Yuanzhen was full of suspicion, wondering if it was really no contact or if the content was not meant for her knowledge. Yan Yu noticed her stiff smile and knew that the Enchantress must be getting suspicious again, and he spoke leisurely. Even if there were instructions, with your recovery still incomplete, how much could you really help him? Don't forget, you can't even leave this door without being discovered. If you go out, you'll be found, then my Yingsu will show up at the door, her flying sword will slash twice, and a great beauty will meet her demise, poof. To know it's impossible yet still willing to attempt, shows the sincerity in my heart, Zhao Yuanzhen responded without embarrassment, expressing her loyalty seriously. Though my abilities have greatly diminished, if our respected teacher commands, I wouldn't hesitate to face my Yingsu or even brave the mountains of swords and seas of flames. What is this body to me? That flattery is just too fake, Yan Yu said disdainfully. If my Yingsu stood at the door with her sword, you'd probably have jumped out the window by now. Forget about waiting for any orders from our teacher. Before he finished speaking, someone knocked on the door. Yan Yu quickly stood up, looking at the door, then turned to look at Zhao Yuanzhen. He saw the Enchantress also staring wide-eyed, like a startled bird looking toward the door, her hands on the windowsill, one foot stepping onto the windowsill. Yan Yu quickly shook his head, then pointed under the bed, indicating roll under the bed. Zhao Yuanzhen immediately rolled to the ground, tumbling under the bed. Yan Yu opened the door from the inside to see two uniformed officers standing outside, saying, checking for temporary residence permits. Are you the only person living in this room? Yes, Yan Yu said, nodding and stepping aside so the officers could see the entire room from outside the door. The doors to the bathroom and kitchen were open, showing clearly that there was no one inside. The only places in the room where someone could hide were under the bed and in a large wardrobe, but checking temporary residence permits doesn't involve searching wardrobes or looking under beds, that would be too deliberate. The two uniformed officers exchanged glances. The instructions they received indicated that the criminal is extremely vicious and would kill the residents hiding them, so their actual task was to pretend to check the residence permits while mainly inspecting each dwelling in the area to ensure no one had died silently at home. As for searching the wardrobes, it could easily cause disputes with residents, so unless there were direct witness reports or leads pointing to it, it wasn't possible to search every household like that. Student ID. You're a high school senior? Living alone? Yes, Yan Yu nodded. I'm preparing for the college entrance exams. Oh, said the uniformed officer, nodding in understanding. Being a high school senior was a strong buff, no one dared to disturb a senior's studying, or else the parents would have their say. After confirming once again that there was no issue with the student ID, the two officers turned and left. Yan Yu closed the door again, feeling no tension in his heart. To be honest, even if the officers had come in and directly searched under the bed, as long as Zhao Yuanzhen spent some residual true yuan to perform the invisibility technique, they wouldn't have seen anything odd. Nevertheless, this inspection was rather lax, nowhere near as intense as the widespread searches from my previous life. On reflection, if Zhao Yuanzhen had chosen to find a place nearby to hide and commit murders as in the original timeline, the seriousness would have escalated several levels once the bodies appeared, warranting a thorough search. Fortunately, I had arrived in time to subdue the Enchantress and bring her home for education, not only saving several innocents who would have died in vain but also saving valuable manpower for community security. Sigh, I just love to silently contribute to society, without leaving my name or seeking any reward, even if the Enchantress is fierce, for the nation and for the people, I go all out. Yan Yu turned around with a sense of accomplishment, only to see Zhao Yuanzhen rolling out from under the bed, her robes, face, and arms all covered with dust. Go wash it off, he said with a tender, doting smile, speaking softly. If you leave even a speck of dust on you, you're sleeping in the bathroom tonight. Chapter 8, The Tale of Theft from the Cherry Blossoms, March 25th, Saturday. Yan Yu climbed out of bed and calmly glanced at the alarm on his cell phone. On his reminder list were the words Kayatang River Tide. He silently got dressed, ready to head out, when he suddenly heard Zhao Yuanzhen on the bed ask, "Today is Saturday, don't you have to, do homework?" Yan Yu was inwardly shocked. This demonic sect enchantress had been here for only 3 days and now she even knew about weekends off. Smarter than many private company bosses. "Master asked me to go out for an errand," he said, putting on his shoes at the entrance without turning back. "Can I come with you?" Zhao Yuanzhen's eyes lit up. "Aren't you afraid of my Yingsu?" Yan Yu turned and asked with a smirk. Mentioning my Yingsu, Zhao Yuanzhen indeed wilted like a frost-bitten eggplant, sulkily saying, Then you must come back early." Yan Yu sneered, but didn't expose the enchantress's insincerity, and took the subway straight out. He was going to watch the tide on the Kayantang River. On the original timeline, that is on March 25 this year, something ridiculous happened. 2 tourists from Chongying country fell into the water while watching the tide on the Kayantang River and were saved by a local patrol organization after half an hour. Later, this incident was highlighted as a commendable case on the news program 2727 Silver Eye. It was only at the beginning of May, when a completely different tide on the Kayantang River revealed the submerged layer tower beneath, that the authorities realized that those 2 Chongying tourists were actually civilian Mages who had come from afar because they found some information in ancient texts and aimed to steal treasures from the mysterious realm. These people sneaked into the mysterious realm beneath the tides, took the treasures, and just as they surfaced and prepared to forcefully resist the approaching river patrols, they were mistaken for drowning foreign tourists and saved. They were taken to the hospital and received meticulous care, even their medical expenses were reimbursed through public funds. What can I say? Apart from we have always been warm and hospitable to foreigners, there doesn't seem to be anything else to say. If you ask Yan Yu for an opinion, these foreign visitors have come a long way to explore the underwater historical attractions, and you patrol on boats and rashly fish them out. That's just impolite. You should have let them admire the underwater scenery as long as they wanted, consistent with our national tradition of warm hospitality. It's up to me to uphold our international image. The carriage of Line 5 subway was packed, and Yan Yu, unable to find a seat, could only hold onto a handrail while skillfully pulling out his cell phone to read a novel. Change to Line 2, then to Line 9, followed by the Intercity Railway and finally bus route 332, the journey taking nearly 3 hours. By the time he arrived at Ping Tidal Viewing Park, it was already 12 p.m. in a nearby Sichuan ramen shop. He ordered a bowl of beef noodles for 18 yuan, topped with only a few beef slices thin as cicada wings. The chef's knife skills were truly astonishing. When slicing the meat, it's probable that the cow didn't even feel it, and a patch could easily cover the cut. Yan Yu devoured the noodles in short order, feeling a blazing spirit of combat kindling in his heart. "I spent a whole morning and even endured a frustrating lunch. If I don't ensure you stay submerged and are treated generously, I'll slap my own face 3 times when I get back." Upon reaching Tidal Viewing Park, Yan Yu leaned against the railing with arms folded, his eyes brimming with enthusiasm and hospitality, eyeing every passerby as if they were Chongying tourists. Still, his gaze couldn't discern nationalities. Only around 1 p.m. did the tide of the Kayantang River begin to surge violently. Not far away, 2 Chongying tourists, wearing sun hats and carrying large backpacks, were also observing the mighty river tides and spoke to each other in whispers using Chongying language. "Tanaka-san, how much longer do we have to wait?" "Don't be impatient, Oishi-san. According to the records left by my ancestors, we must wait until the 3rd quarter of the noon hour for the Kayatang tidal bore to split and reveal the submerged pagoda beneath." "Are you sure there's no mistake in those records?" "Of course, these records have been passed down in my family for generations, and their written date can be traced back to the post-Nara period. It was precisely when a great many Hueco were rampant in China, and my family even has celadon looted from China." Tanaka Taiki stared at the surging tides and continued, "It's said that during my ancestors' last trade from the mouth of the Kayantang River at the 3rd quarter of the noon hour, the waters suddenly parted, revealing the inverted pagoda within the tide, startling everyone into hurriedly turning their ships. It was only later discovered to be one of the twin pagodas specially constructed by the monks at the behest of the king of Uiu, Qianchu, to suppress the tides. The Lu pagoda on land, the Lu pagoda submerged beneath the tides, this one beneath the waters is the very core of the formation suppressing the tides." After a moment of silence, Oishi Machio spoke, "The age of Dharma decline has continued to this day, and the Lu pagoda by West Lake has long been empty." "What makes you so sure, Tanaka-san, that the treasures in the submerged Lu pagoda have not been pilfered by the ancients of Lu country in advance? Even if someone had taken them beforehand, you and I would merely have wasted our time and effort, without any substantial loss." Tanaka Taiki was dismissive. But if the treasures are still there, and considering that Lu country is still unaware of the spiritual energy resurgence, you and I are very likely to get them past customs unnoticed and back to our country. Endless fame and fortune will naturally follow. That's true. In that case, I'll take this gamble with you. May the great Amaterasu in the heavens bear witness and bestow good fortune upon me. Oishi Machio clapped his hands lightly 3 times and closed his eyes to call softly upon the name of Amaterasu. The third quarter of the noon hour arrived in a flash, and the Kaiantang tide grew even more turbulent. The waters, white as a bolt of silk and bright as frosty snow, suddenly parted and scrubbed the banks on both sides, revealing the murky outline of a stone structure in the middle. Now's the time. Their eyes gleamed as they quickly climbed over the railing. Under the terrified gazes of the surrounding tourists, they jumped into the water. 200 meters away, Yan Yu's gaze sharply locked onto the 2 men. I've found you. He too vaulted the railing and plunged into the water. Though the spiritual energy resurgence was a global phenomenon, the order in which it occurred was not the same everywhere. According to retrospective research by future generations, it seems to be related to the mimetic cognition of traditional culture. In simple terms, the more intense the traditional historical and cultural atmosphere of a society, the more rapid the advent of spiritual energy resurgence. In a certain sense, the spiritual energy resurgence itself could be considered driven by idealism. Lu country had actually been exposed to the concept of spiritual energy resurgence quite early on, due to Mai Yingsu's arrival, but for various reasons, such as a big ship is hard to turn around, a child does not speak of wild and supernatural things, hope this isn't another Qigong fad, and so on, the response was actually half a beat too slow. The act of treasure thieving by Chongying country undoubtedly delivered a heavy blow to the still confused upper echelons, akin to the attack on Pearl Harbor, swiftly silencing the voices of dissent. However, even if this incident held positive significance, Yan Yu had no intention of allowing it to happen. It was for a simple reason: the treasure concealed within the Lu pagoda at the riverbed, used by the ancient king of Uiu to suppress the Kaiantang tides, was known as the Tan stabilizing divine heavy iron, cast during the time of Yu the Great's efforts in flood control. If this object were stolen by Chongying's Onmyoji, within a few years, the ferocity of the Kaiantang tides would rapidly increase. Not only would Ping County bear the brunt of it, but the entire Jiangnan textile plain would be threatened, eventually forcing the construction of a large sea barrier to barely preserve the Jiangnan textile plain. Yan Yu rapidly descended through the water, his gaze fixed on the 2 figures struggling to swim toward the inverted tower, his face breaking into an enthusiastic smile. Our international friends, please hold your steps for a moment, and let me extend the hospitality of a host. Chapter 9 Hosting International Friends. Tanaka-san, someone is following us. Let's take care of him after we enter the mysterious realm. Approaching the inverted tower, Yan Yu passed through the shimmering water membrane and steadily landed on the riverbed. This division of the tower within the mysterious realm had carved out a separate little paradise, complete with breathable air and normal gravity. Yan Yu looked forward again, but the 2 people had already disappeared without a trace. His gaze swiftly scanned the surroundings. Just once, and a rough map of the mysterious realm was immediately etched into his mind. The area around him was an under-river environment with few places to hide. Those 2 Onmyoji across from him must have sensed him following, so they entered the mysterious realm and rushed into the inverted tower before him. A cold smile filled Yan Yu's mind as he activated the shifting technique. Let's go. 100 meters seemed to flicker by in an instant, and he had already reached the base of the inverted tower. The structure of the 6-segment tower was top-heavy with its narrow end embedded in the soil, and the entrance was atop the broad tower cap. Yan Yu used the shifting technique to reach the base of the tower, then quickly switched to the cloud ascension technique. With a few steps in the air, he ascended as if defying gravity. Soaring up into the emptiness, he climbed higher and higher. At the edge of the tower's entrance, Oishi Machio formed hand seals, his right eye now a bright red from the precognition technique of the Sakura secrets, allowing him to see far as if it were near and to discern the finest details as if looking at fire. At that moment, he had Yan Yu firmly locked in his sights. It's Lu country's 1,000-mile movement technique and wind-riding cloud ascending technique, he shouted with a trembling voice, his words tinged with barely concealed agitation. Tanaka-san. The person coming is an authentic cultivator. Probably ex-military from Lu country. Whether he's military or not, Tanaka Taeki pulled out talisman papers from his waist and shouted fiercely, as long as he dies here at the bottom of the river, who cares about his background? Go, Kame-tachi. The talisman paper in his hand ignited without any wind and quickly transformed into a small white mouse. Wrapped in cutting wind, it descended from above, its claws gleaming like knife blades, aiming to kill Yan Yu, who was using the cloud ascension technique. Seeing the white mouse descending with killing intent, Yan Yu immediately understood. Ah, it's a Pokemon player. No, an Onmyoji who summoned Shikigami. After the resurgence of spiritual energy, the onmyoji of Sakura had many schools, among which Shikigami style was known for being easy in the early stages but having a low ceiling later on. The reason was simple: once the Shikigami being controlled died, the onmyoji would lose a lot of their combat power. Yan Yu landed under the inverted eaves at the edge of the tower and pushed off again, disengaging the cloud ascension technique in midair and quickly forming hand seals. It's the flame curse. Be careful. Oishi Machio, reading Yan Yu's movements with the precognition technique, warned his companion loudly. The flames that rose out of thin air were perfectly placed in the path of the Kametachi, causing the white mouse, which had the instinctive fear of high temperatures of a wild beast, to forcibly halt its high-speed movement. Then, it suddenly exploded in the air, its blood and white fur showering down. Impact curse. Oishi Machio cried out in horror. He used a light from the flame curse to hide his hand seals, secretly transitioning to the impact curse. Damn it. Tanaka Taiki cursed angrily, can't you report faster? His Kametachi had been slain in a single encounter, which pained him deeply. But Oishi Machio didn't retort, his face pale and his heart already considering retreat. Metal, flame, curved, barrier, impact, the 5 elemental true character curses were also recorded in his family's historical documents. They were not difficult to use, the challenge was that the practitioner could only cast one spell at a time. Therefore, the key to showing the practitioner's level of skill was how they combined these 5 spells into a coherent, effective combat strategy. The opponent's combination attack began with the fire-blazing charm to deter the Kametachi. The instant the Shikigami ceased its attack, the opponent stopped fueling the flame curse. Taking advantage of the moment the flames were about to disperse, he switched the flow of chi in his body to the metal element impact curse. The razor-sharp metal chi passed unseen through the fading flames. As the light from the fire died down, the impact curse shot through without colliding and negating the flame curse and struck the Kametachi before it had any chance to react, killing it outright. Behind this rapid flow of actions was perfect timing in the linkage between the moves. Not to mention, the enemy was still in a state of weightlessness, hovering in the air. How strong must one's eyesight and reaction speed be to precisely blind fire an impact curse and hit a Shikigami through the flames obstructing their vision? This person must certainly be a cultivator from the Lu country military, and definitely one of the toughest elites around, maybe even a former Air Force pilot who had transferred to the military. Neither he nor Tanaka Taiki had undergone formal military training, they were just civilian onmyoji from the land of cherry blossoms. How could they contend with someone from the military? Tanaka-san. Seeing Tanaka Taiki still reaching for talisman paper, Oishi Machio hurriedly spoke, we should head down into the tower first, then ambush him. After pondering for a moment, Tanaka Taiki replied, okay. He didn't possess Oishi Machio's precognition technique and hadn't detected the subtlety between the enemy's 2 consecutive moves. He just felt that since the enemy had been able to kill his Kametachi in a single encounter, the invader must be no ordinary foe. Naturally, it would be best to avoid a head-on confrontation. Yan Yu used the wind-riding cloud ascending technique, scaling the inverted eaves to the top of the multi-layered tower in quick bounds. Although he knew the 2 international friends had hidden inside, his steps did not halt as he swiftly entered through the doorway. His vision darkened momentarily as he suddenly moved from the outdoor brightness to the indoor gloom, not yet fully adjusted to the change when a low whooshing sound came from beside his ear. Another of Tanaka Taiki's Shikigami, the fierce-faced, fanged yaksha demon wielding a sharp trident, was lying in wait in the shadows of the doorway. Seizing the moment Yan Yu stepped into the tower, it silently propelled itself from behind, aiming its trident viciously towards the back of his head. There was a ding as the trident abruptly halted inches from its target. No matter how the yaksha demon roared and snarled, it could not advance an inch further. Yan Yu merely extended 2 fingers, effortlessly blocking the sharp point of the trident. The surface of his fingers emitted a dull gray light, reminiscent of the rugged boulders deep within the mountains. Barrier Charm, a spell that renders its caster impervious to blades and unaffected by fire and water. Tanaka Taiki quickly drew 3 more talisman papers, pushing his true yuan to its limit to activate them, ordering the yaksha demon to attack with all its might. He was well aware that although the earth element sturdiness curse was invincible, it also consumed a great amount of true yuan, and the enemy could not maintain such an impervious state indefinitely. Oishi Machio drew his kunai and rapidly executed the shadow escape technique, transforming into an inconspicuous shadow that vanished from Yan Yu's line of sight. The shadow escape technique, this man is actually a ninja. Unperturbed, Yan Yu's right hand suddenly turned into a claw, nimbly grasping the blunt side of the trident, while his left hand swiftly changed hand signs as quick as lightning. Curved curse, giving the caster immense strength, as a pine tree cracking through rock. Under the immense power he had suddenly amplified, the yaksha demon stood no chance, and as Yan Yu pulled on the trident's shaft, He executed an over-the-shoulder throw that sent the Yaksha demon crashing directly into Oishi, who had approached unseen ready to launch a surprise attack. Tanaka Taiki, who was observing from a distance, was dumbstruck. Wasn't the shadow escape technique supposed to render one visually invisible? How could he detect Oishi position? The impact sent both the man and the Shikigami flying. Yan Yu's right hand then formed into sword fingers again, and he thrust forward. A sharp metal element force, like bullets, shot out, swiftly piercing through the bodies of the Yaksha demon and Oishi. The former exploded into pieces instantly, while the latter, blood spurting from his chest, staggered backwards, his body immediately engulfed by flames. It was right after Yan Yu's execution of the impact curse that he seamlessly transitioned to casting a flame curse. Fierce flames rose behind Oishi, and as the thrust from the impact curse threw him off balance, he retreated right into the range of the flame curse without any chance of evading. Oishi became a man on fire, struggling frantically in agony, crying out miserably as he rolled on the ground. Having lost two Shikigami in rapid succession, Tanaka Taiki finally realized the massive gap in strength between them and their opponent. Letting out a scream of utter terror, he abandoned his companion and ran desperately to the lower levels. He couldn't stand a chance. How could he possibly stand a chance? The 5 elemental true character curse cannot be simultaneously cast. This is an ironclad rule. How could one possibly manage 2 different true yuan pathways in one's body at the same time? The seamless switch between casting the impact curse, interrupting the impact curse, and casting the flame curse proved to be like flowing clouds and water for Yan Yu. Taking into account the distinctly different true yuan pathways for both curses, only someone who had practiced the 5 elemental true character curse until it became as thoughtless as breathing could accomplish such seamless transitions. Against such an opponent, there was no chance at all. Tanaka Taiki was petrified, scrambling down several levels in a panic, only to feel a sharp pain in his back as his body was penetrated by the impact curse. Then his vision too was enveloped by rising flames. Chapter 10, Self-Sealing. After hastily dealing with the scene, Yan Yu finally emerged from the mysterious realm, surfacing from the water. Soon a patrol boat came over to confirm his identity. When they learned he was not one of the cherry blossom tourists who had fallen into the water, the patrollers seemed somewhat disappointed, but still they pulled him onto the boat and arranged for someone to take him to shore for care. Every year, there are accidents where tourists fall into the Kaiantang River tide watching area, so everyone is used to it. Seeing how dedicated the patrollers were, Yan Yu didn't have the heart to tell them that the 2 international friends had already been laid to rest at the bottom of the Kaiantang River, so as not to make them feel bad and blame themselves. Sigh, when can I change my gentle nature? Drenched like a drowned rat, Yan Yu retrieved his phone from a locker in a nearby supermarket and then silently boarded a bus, transferred to the subway, and then to another subway, completely ignoring the surprised looks of the other passengers. He returned to the residential complex, went upstairs, unlocked the door, and entered his home to find Xiaoyu Onzen had released her invisibility technique, clearly relieved to see him. "You're finally back," she said with a smile that was trying to please, tentatively asking, "Was everything smooth on your trip?" "Humphrey," Yan Yu said, locking the door from the inside with a cold laugh, "what do you think?" He fumbled in his pocket for a moment, pulled out a silver white stone the size of an egg, and casually tossed it to Xiaoyu Onzen. "What is this?" Xiaoyu Onzen asked, puzzled. "Tan anchoring divine treasure iron," Yan Yu replied. Xiaoyu Onzen's hands shook, almost dropping the object, and she asked with a trembling voice, "Is this the Tan anchoring divine treasure iron that the ancient Yu the Great used for controlling water?" "Yes," Yan Yu nodded and said, "there were 2 petty characters plotting to get their hands on this thing. On the command of my esteemed master, I eliminated them, and I picked this up as spare material from the mysterious realm." Xiaoyu Onzen. "Esteemed master. Where did your disciple pick this up? Can I also go for a stroll there?" In the cultivation world from which she hails, the Tan anchoring divine treasure iron is one of the rarest heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Most of them are used to suppress water veins and springs. If removed, they could trigger floods and thereby create extremely terrifying karmic backlashes, which is why everyone is somewhat reluctant to touch them. The very few that circulate among cultivators are mainly spare materials left in some water vein mysterious realms, specifically preserved by the ancient Yu the Great for unforeseen needs. The likelihood of finding these are not high. Xiaoyu Onzen had never seen such items in marketplaces, likely because they skipped the public sale stage and were secretly purchased by prestigious sects. Gazing raptly at the divine iron in her hand, she heard Yan Yu asking, "Would this be enough to craft a golem each for us?" "Enough, more than enough." Xiaoyu Onzen eagerly nodded. "This Tan anchoring divine treasure iron is a wondrous item. It can be as large or as small, as light or as heavy as we wish." Just 2 ounces used as the core of the golem's intellect would grant it the mighty strength of 1,000 June, comparable to the might of a body-cultivating cultivator. The excess anchoring divine treasure iron can be fused into common iron using a secret method. This will fortify the golem's skeleton against any water-based techniques. Enough. Yan Yu finally couldn't restrain himself and exclaimed, "You spendthrift woman. To use such heavenly materials for a golem, they ought to be paired with other heavenly materials, not mixed with your ordinary iron. I can't fathom what you were thinking. Don't ever mention such foolishness again." Zhao Yuanzhen was taken aback, struggling for words. Where would we get enough heavenly materials to make a complete golem? "Just because you can't obtain them doesn't mean I can't," Yan Yu said, arms crossed and speaking arrogantly. "For now, use it as the core and make do with mortal materials for the other parts to finish the golem. Once we have new heavenly materials, we can replace the mortal parts. As for this grind into powder and mix with common iron, truly unthinkable, let's not speak of this again." Zhao Yuanzhen was also shocked, such grandiose claims from this young thief. Even the supreme elders of the Kaiansi sect, who controlled golems, only had about 10% of their golems materials that could be considered heavenly materials. Mostly, they were mixed with common substances to maximize strength. From what the young thief implied, it seemed he intended to create a golem made entirely of heavenly materials. Such audacity! How could his tongue not be twisted from such grand claims? Although she had the urge to mock a few words, thinking of the powerful master backing that little thief, she could only swallow her anger for the time being and silently noted in her heart, "Today, the little thief went searching for treasures to make my puppet and humiliated me by calling me a spendthrift. I'll remember this grudge for now, and if the day comes when I rise to power, I'll be sure to humiliate him in return, making him weep and wail with regret." Why does that sound a bit off? Never mind, the fact that he humiliated me still stands. If I don't avenge this insult, my name isn't Zhao. Seeing Zhao Yuanzhen's changing expressions, Yan Yu knew all too well that she had started her fickleness again and said with a cold sneer, "What inappropriate thought are you entertaining now?" Zhao Yuanzhen was startled and quickly tried to sweet-talk her way out with a flattering smile. "You and I are partners in cultivation, we should support each other naturally. This time, you brought back divine iron from the heavenly river for the foundation. I haven't even had the chance to thank you yet. How could I possibly resent or hate you?" "I never said you resented or hated me, you just confessed without being pressed." Yan Yu instantly became furious yet laughed instead, reaching out to grab both sides of Zhao Yuanzhen's cheeks and roughly pinched them like putty. "What a demonic sect enchantress that can't be tamed. I bring you heavenly treasures, become your partner in cultivation, help you in dual cultivation, provide you shelter, which of the wealth, spouse, law, and land has ever been lacking for you? And you dare bear a grudge against me? No, no. I didn't. I am wronged." Zhao Yuanzhen, with her cheeks grabbed, could not speak clearly. She could only whimper and murmur indistinctly, pleading for mercy with tears in the corners of her eyes, her neck to earlobes all turning red. The skin of this demonic sect enchantress felt really good to the touch, so delicate it seemed it could break with a puff. Press just a bit harder and it would turn from white to red. This made Yan Yu, who initially had no intention of punishing her excessively, unable to resist pinching her a few more times. Zhao Yuanzhen finally broke free from his devilish clutches, feeling angry, resentful, and annoyed inside, but knowing that this guy could guess her thoughts, she did not dare to continue cursing him in her belly. She simply wiped away her tears vigorously, turned around, kicked off her slippers, and climbed into bed, burying herself under the covers. "You bully me all you want because you have a master supporting you. I can't handle you, but can't I just hide away?" Seeing Empress Yuanzhen choosing to withdraw, Yan Yu laughed heartily for a while before going to the bathroom to take a shower. After his shower, dressed in fresh clothes, he came out to find the TV on, with Zhao Yuanzhen huddled under the covers like a turtle, leaving only a small opening to sneakily watch the TV. When she saw the bathroom door open, she quickly zipped herself back into the covers with a whoosh and stayed hidden inside again. Self-sealing technique, Xuan Wu secret method. Yan Yu was naturally not fooled by the enchantress's little movements, for he knew all too well that Empress Yuanzhen was a bully to the weak and feared the strong, and was only pretending to be pitiful because she considered herself at a disadvantage. If she finds out the truth, this demonic sect enchantress will surely bare her fangs, reveal her fierce nature, and not leave even a bone of her prey. In the end, act as weak and innocent as you want. The moment I feel soft-hearted, I'll consider it my loss. Yan Yu turned off the TV, then sat on the bed and pulled out his phone, wanting to see if the cherry blossom tourist who fell into the Kaiantang River tide made the news. He didn't find any news, but someone sent him a friend request. The profile picture was a lively and cute cartoon puppy with a no Chen Lenny Un. Yan Yu's eyebrows furrowed. What was this annoying woman up to? He firmly tapped to decline. After a moment, A new friend request arrived. Decline. Decline, decline, decline. Yan Yu declined them all, but Chen Linian was persistent, sending him over 20 friend requests, enough to test his patience. Forget it, I'll accept for now. Chen Linian, it's really hard to add Yan Yu as a friend. Yi Defuren, sorry, I installed an anti-harassment plugin, it might have mistaken you for a tea seller and automatically declined the request. Chen Linian, is there really such a plugin? Could you send me the installation package as well? On the other side of the phone, Chen Linian was laughing so hard that her whole body was shaking, and even her eyes curved into crescent moons. Chapter 11 Major Reduction in Jianghai Prefecture. Chen Linian was a person who craved amusement. Ever since she was born into this world, her senses had been naturally sharper than the average person, which made her crave happiness more than anyone else. But her memory and thinking abilities were also extremely strong, so much so that she often quickly mastered new content and subsequently lost all interest in it, just like a crossword puzzle that had been completely solved, a Rubik's Cube completely restored, there was no fun left in it anymore. The same was true for her interpersonal relationships. Throughout her life, all the people she knew, exactly 526 individuals, she could effortlessly remember their names, personalities, interests, and thought patterns in a very short time, eventually constructing detailed personality portraits and storing them in her brain's memory database. After that, these people became to her like math problems with all the answers filled in. She could predict how they would respond to any statement and how they would react to any situation, everything was within her expectations. Like chewed-up sugarcane pulp, utterly tasteless. So, Yan Yu, if you really are my future husband, then you shouldn't let me get bored too quickly, right? In the rented room on the other side, Yan Yu lay on his bed, somewhat bored, while his phone screen lit up with Chen Linian relentlessly sending him a dozen messages. This damn woman. I don't recall her being so troublesome in my past life. Yi Defuren, what exactly do you want? Chen Linian, I want to know why you broke up with me in this life. Is it because I bullied you in the past life? Yi Defuren, bullied? Do you think you could manage that? In the past life, it was you who were bullied and played with until you cried and begged for mercy, and there was nothing you could do about me. Chen Linian, hey. This damn woman. In an instant, Yan Yu's fists clenched. Chen Linian, so, choosing to break up with me this time is due to feelings of guilt. Yan Yu tossed his phone aside, deciding to leave her hanging for a bit. Chen Linian, hey, why aren't you talking? Chen Linian poked you. Chen Linian, if you don't speak up, I'm going to come find you at your house, you know. Chen Linian, you seem to be a high school student who commutes from home, right? If that's the case, then you must be renting a place near the school. Jiangnan High School requires commuting students to register their home address, and I guess you wouldn't falsify that. So, if I just ask the head teacher, I could find out Yan Yu's address. As he watched the phone screen on the desk constantly pop up with new messages, Yan Yu's eyes twitched slightly. Begging the head teacher. I wouldn't trust anyone else, but this damn woman really has the ability to weave a perfect lie to deceive adults. Yi Defuren, I'm asking you one more time, what do you really want to do? Chen Linian, things that interest me, I must figure out. Chen Linian, Yan Yu, I have many questions, and I would like to humbly learn from you. Chen Linian, if you're free now, why don't you come out for a walk with me? Chen Linian has sent you location. Yan Yu immediately felt a shudder because the location she sent was just outside the residential community, barely 700 meters away in a straight line from him. No, the complex I'm renting in is full of resettlement housing, which is particularly cheap, so there are naturally many tenants. She must just be guessing based on that. She wouldn't really go to the head teacher and get my address, would she? Maybe I should move out. Yan Yu glanced again at Zhao Yuanzhen, who was wrapped up in the blankets, thinking that if this demonic sect enchantress was found by that damn woman, then there really would be great amusement. Forget it, I'll go out and deal with it for now. After advising the blanket-wrapped enchantress not to leave, Yan Yu changed his clothes and went downstairs, silently planning how to handle her. At the entrance of a milk tea shop just outside the community, he saw Chen Linian standing among other customers waiting for their orders, her beauty standing out as if she were a crane among chickens. She wore a grey pleated skirt and canvas shoes on her lower half, and a simple white shirt on her upper half. The collar and cuffs were embellished with delicate lace, and she had tied a simple bow with a ribbon beneath the collar, just as he remembered. That damn woman always liked little and exquisite things like lace, bows, and brooches. Her hair was tied in a refreshingly simple ponytail at the back of her head, and she had the sweet, adorable features unique to young girls. Paired with her practiced standard smile, she seemed like the quintessential first love heroine straight out of a campus romance drama. But only Yan Yu knew that beneath her pretty girl exterior lay a soul as murky, scheming, and filthy as a small demon. Hi. Chen Linian quickly spotted Yan Yu's arrival, greeting him with a beaming smile and a wave of her hand. Been waiting for you for ages. In that instant, and perhaps it was just an illusion, Yan Yu felt a secretive wave of hatred from the surrounding male customers, almost as if they were saying, dare to possess such a treasure of this world. Kid, you better off yourself. What's up? He asked, slightly annoyed. A bit bored. Chen Linian said with a smile, came to find you for some fun. Did you come to find me for some fun, or to make fun of me? Did you think I wouldn't know? Yan Yu asked impassively. Today's Saturday, how do you have time to hang out? Is your Olympiad class that chill? Chen Linian maintained her graceful smile, although she did not answer, one could almost see a polite question mark floating above her head. What did you order? Yan Yu asked as he glanced at the milk tea shop's signboard, changing the subject. Guess, Chen Linian said playfully, as my fiancé, you should be able to guess my favorite flavor, right? The jealousy and murderous intent around them seemed to grow thicker, and from somewhere came a tch sound, but when Yan Yu looked carefully, he couldn't locate the source of the noise. Hey, Yan Yu laughed coldly, I bet you didn't order anything at all. Oh? Chen Linian's eyes widened as she asked, why? Because you like to stand on invincible ground, Yan Yu said disdainfully. What you hate most is losing, even just a mere bet. Chen Linian's smile grew even more pleasant as she responded with curved eyebrows and eyes, you're wrong there. It's not that I hate losing, I'm just used to putting in all my effort to strive for victory. Hey, Yan Yu disdainfully snorted. What's your real character? Do you think I have no clue? You might fool your dad, but you can't fool me. What would you like to drink? Chen Linian tucked her hair behind her ear, my treat. Then I'll have a mango pomelo sago, Yan Yu replied unceremoniously and swiftly. Oh, so you dislike surprises? Chen Linian nodded in acknowledgement. Yan Yu of course understood what she meant. There's a dizzying variety of milk tea shop brands across the country, each with its signature beverages and unique flavors, but the taste of one particular drink was constant. That would be mango pomelo sago. If you try unfamiliar drinks that you've never had before, they could be a delightful surprise or a disastrous letdown. But mango pomelo sago always has that same unchanging taste, identical no matter where you order it from, so it's perfect for customers who dislike unpleasant surprises with their drinks. There's also a chance, Yan Yu said earnestly, that I simply don't want you to know about my dietary preferences. Nice, I like mystery, Chen Linian said as she gazed at him with a grin, even if it's a mystery intentionally maintained. She turned her head to the clerk and ordered, 2 mango pomelo sagos, please. Speaking of disliking uncertainty, it's really you who has that trait, Yan Yu couldn't help but retort. You like to have everything clear and accounted for, despising any uncontrollable factors that fall outside of your plans. I didn't say I wasn't, Chen Linian laughed cheerfully, and it's precisely because of that, we're such a good match, aren't we? Suddenly, a bang came from nearby, and a male customer's milk tea had inexplicably burst in his hand. He disposed of the milk tea into the trash can beside him emotionlessly, then began to wipe his right hand with a napkin with the precision of an assassin cleaning his weapon. Yan Yu. There was a pervasive feeling that staying here any longer might actually result in getting beaten up. Are men these days so easily beguiled by beauty? What about the ever-declining marriage rates? Chen Linian, having received her mango pomelo sago from the clerk, handed one to Yan Yu with composure, suggesting, shall we take a walk in the nearby wetland park? Chapter 12. This isn't a date at all. Going out with a beautiful girl, many would definitely claim this is a date. But what if this beauty is Chen Linian? Based on Yan Yu's understanding of her, this was definitely not any kind of date. Even from Chen Linian's perspective, it might even be more akin to walking a dog. He remembered in a past life, during a post-dinner stroll, this terrible woman indeed mentioned offhandedly, if you leave me behind again, I'll have to tie a leash around you. Thinking of this, Yan Yu's fists clenched once more. A gentleman's revenge is not too late, even after ages. What are you thinking about? Chen Linian suddenly asked. Thinking about how to bully you, Yan Yu glanced at her sideways. Any other girl would have taken offense at those words, but Chen Linian was obviously not normal. In fact, the less Yan Yu played by the rules, the more she found it amusing. She smiled and asked, in our past life as husband and wife, did we also often bicker like this? Bicker? Yan Yu scoffed, you think too highly of yourself. In the past life, you were constantly mocked and ridiculed by me, without a chance to retort. Hee hee, Chen Linian's smile remained unchanged. Not having a chance to retort, with her personality, was absolutely impossible. He must be lying. Tying together his unexplained hostility towards her, A reasonable speculation would be, in the past life after their marriage, she must have bullied him to the point where he couldn't fight back, hence in this life, he harbored thoughts of leaving her completely. Thinking of escaping? Humphrey. Suppressing her hidden thoughts, Chenlenian took a big drink of the mango coconut sago dessert, and looking at the distant lake and trees, she suddenly asked, Yan Yu, do you think there are immortals in this world? This question was so abrupt that Yan Yu almost immediately realized what she was probing. If Chenlenian knew about the existence of cultivators, it meant that the military had already completed the selection of the first batch of potential cultivators and had begun training. At this point in time, there was absolutely no experience in how to train cultivators, resulting in nearly 100 different theoretical training programs. Some were designed according to Ma Yingsu's descriptions, such as sitting in meditation in famous mountains and rivers, absorbing spiritual energy or collecting materials, refining elixir medicine and consuming it. Of course, there were also projects proposed by scholars from technical sciences, like trying to enrich spiritual energy, creating environments with high concentrations of spiritual energy in small areas, or preparing drugs that promote the absorption of spiritual energy. Lu country, when faced with decisions that affected the nation's fate, always went all out. They swiftly chose I want them all, arranging for judgment and experimentation on all proposals. As long as one of these paths proved successful, it wouldn't be a loss. And such large-scale scientific experiments, involving massive manpower, funds, and equipment, naturally couldn't be kept completely confidential. Given Chenlenian's family background, it wasn't strange for her to know this. Seeing Yan Yu deep in thought without answering, Chenlenian made a preliminary judgment. As if speaking to herself, she asked nonchalantly, cultivation, immortality. Can life really be endless? What if it is? Yan Yu suddenly countered. If that's the case, it would be quite interesting, Chenlenian said with a light smile. It would be interesting, Yan Yu sighed faintly, and also very terrifying. Chenlenian fell silent for a moment, then said cheerfully, yes, it would also be terrifying. But looking at her sweetly smiling face, there wasn't a trace of fear or dread. Yan Yu sighed inwardly again, pondered for a moment, and decided to reveal some secrets to her. Then he called out, Chenlenian. What is it? I don't like your elitist ideology. Really? Chenlenian said with a beaming smile, I understand now. Including how I just started speaking and you've already totally grasped everything I was about to say. Yan Yu spoke seriously, I really despise that. Eh? Chenlenian crossed her left arm over her chest, resting her elbow in her hand, her right index finger against her cheek, showing an adorable look of confusion. I thought it was a rapport we had cultivated as a couple in our past life. We were not a couple in our past life. Yan Yu sighed and denied, what I said before was to trick you. With so many disagreements between us, how could we possibly end up together? Is this a new game? Chenlenian blinked, laughing. Before you were saying we were a couple, now you're outright denying it. Are you trying to enjoy seeing me confused and distressed as you toy with me? No. Yan Yu shook his head once more, you must have noticed, right? I actually don't have any feelings for you. Your acting is not bad. Chenlenian's smile did not change. Do you still remember that secret you shared with me before? The one about me caring for a stray cat when I was little. What about that secret? Yan Yu suddenly had a bad feeling. You could use the advantage of informational asymmetry to fabricate all sorts of lies, and indeed, I can't always tell. Chenlenian spoke slowly, her smile seeming a few degrees more sincere, but there's one thing I am 100% certain of. She tiptoed closer to Yan Yu's ear and whispered, about that secret with the cat, I would only tell it to the person with whom I'm willing to bare my heart, with nothing hidden. Yan Yu's expression froze on his face. This damned sweetness. Chenlenian stood back up straight, her face radiant with a brilliant smile, and said gently, so, don't think about fooling me in that regard, okay? Dear. Time seemed to have passed as long as a century until Yan Yu finally collected his thoughts and said again, people change. Don't try to seduce me, vile woman. But I won't. Chenlenian said with a smile, at least not about this matter. When you told me that secret in our past life, we weren't even boyfriend and girlfriend. Yan Yu emphasized again, with a contemptuous sneer, people's hearts change with different experiences. How can you use your current mindset to assume the thoughts of your past self? Isn't that laughable? Then how can you use your mindset to judge what the past me was thinking? Chenlenian continued to smile, or do you believe you understand Chenlenian better than I do? We really didn't have any romantic relationship back then. Realizing he might have taken his ruse too far, Yan Yu continued to explain, at the very least, you should have some idea about your current standards for choosing a partner, right? Could you really like the present me? I really like the current you, Yan Yu. Chenlenian smiled even more sweetly. Are you confessing? Yan Yu feigned great shock. Not at all. Chen Linian spoke cheerfully, so you can't refuse. Yan Yu fell silent again. This persistent, annoying demeanor, it's exactly the same as in the past life, so she was already like this in high school. He frowned and spoke in a deep voice, Chen Linian, I'm not joking with you. You should also be clear that what you call liking me is not romantic love between a man and a woman. Then what is love? Chen Linian asked with a smile, and who has the authority to define it? Sophistry. Yan Yu immediately seized the loophole in her words, his voice firm, you don't deny my claim, but instead quibble over the definition of love, which shows you are also clear about the nature of your liking for me. It's not a woman's admiration for a man but a manipulative person's abnormal possessiveness over a toy. I'm not trying to twist logic, but to express an attitude. Chen Linian toned down her smile and spoke calmly, I don't care what true love is supposed to be. I've told you before, haven't I? When I'm interested in something, I must figure it out. When I'm interested in someone, I won't let go easily either. If in this lifetime, you want to escape from my side, just go ahead and try. Chapter 13 Empress Yuanzhen stays at home. Chen Linian's attitude, upon careful consideration, seemed surprisingly unexpected yet befitting of reason. Unexpected in that Yan Yu had not anticipated such a strong fixation from her upon their first encounter. Within reason, however, was that this fixation was not love but rather a musician's longing for music. Put simply, it was like a child who had been bored for a long time suddenly finding an extremely interesting toy. As a result, the plan had to be adjusted accordingly. Chen Linian, who had a strong interest in him, essentially was a double-edged sword. If handled properly, there was potential to bring her abilities into play. Not to mention, at the very least, the issue with Zhao Yuanzhen's overt identity might now fall on her to resolve. Upon returning home, Yan Yu saw Zhao Yuanzhen sitting on the sofa in meditation, her previous mood seemingly fully recovered. True to the demonic sect enchantress she was, such a flexible and adaptable attitude was truly remarkable and worth learning from. Yan Yu sat down beside her and took out his phone, muttering to himself, what to eat for lunch? Let's have chicken hot pot, Zhao Yuanzhen replied, and please add some enoki mushrooms, thank you. I wasn't asking you. Yan Yu's brow instantly knitted, and he chided, you're a cultivator who has undergone fasting, what are you doing eating chicken hot pot? Fasting means not feeling hunger, not that one won't have cravings. Zhao Yuanzhen immediately scooted closer, hugging his right arm, and cajoled with a smile, since we're both cultivators in a union, you might as well indulge these harmless little requests of mine. Yan Yu. Scary, it's been only a week since this demonic sect enchantress arrived, and not only has she already learned the common takeout menus by heart, but she's also adept at using her charms to cajole, deceive, and bewilder someone as experienced as myself. We're not having chicken hot pot today, we're eating braised chicken, Yan Yu declared with authority. Zhao Yuanzhen let out a disappointed cry, didn't we just have that the night before last? Less talk, take it or leave it. Yan Yu interrupted her impatiently. Let you know who's calling the shots here. Zhao Yuanzhen internally cursed, and once again noted in her mind, today this scoundrel won't let me have chicken hot pot, insisting on braised chicken, I'll remember this grudge. When my turn comes to rule, I'll make sure he eats braised chicken meal after meal until he's sick of it. Seeing her turn her head to snicker, Yan Yu could easily guess what she was thinking, she was definitely fantasizing about how to get her revenge. So he coldly asked, you don't want to eat the braised chicken, do you? No, braised chicken is fine too. Zhao Yuanzhen replied perfunctorily. If you don't want to eat, you don't have to force yourself. I can handle it alone, Yan Yu continued with a smile, you just go on with your fasting. How can we, as cultivators in a union, eat separately? Zhao Yuanzhen argued in panic, seeing that he seemed genuinely unwilling to share with her. There's a saying that goes, to marry a chicken, follow the chicken, to marry a dog, follow the dog. Whatever you eat, of course, I should eat too. Yuanzhen, Yan Yu narrowed his eyes and asked, cultivators in a union refers to partners who cultivate together, right? It has nothing to do with a worldly marriage, does it? Where does this to marry a chicken, follow the chicken, to marry a dog, follow the dog come from? Zhao Yuanzhen's eyes suddenly widened, much like Ken Xianglian seeing the unacknowledging Chen Shimai, and she hurriedly said, our dual cultivation method includes chapters on bedroom techniques. If that doesn't count as a marital relationship, wouldn't I have been fooled by you? Stop right there. Yan Yu quickly cut her off when he saw her about to speak indecent words. First, let me ask you, do you still have your Yuan Yin? Yes. Without having exchanged the rights of Zhu, how could it be considered a marital relationship? Yan Yu said sharply, a mere virgin posing as a married woman, isn't that absurd? But since our dual cultivation method has been achieved, we are destined to exchange. Can a child bride even count as a wife? Zhao Yuanzhen almost didn't catch her breath at his words, and simply flopped down onto the sofa, using a cushion to cover her face, adopting an I won't deal with you anymore attitude, while secretly holding a grudge in her heart, thinking, today, this scoundrel mocked my virginity, laughed at me for being a child bride. This is an utter humiliation. If one day, I get to practice the techniques of the bedroom, I will make him kneel by the bed begging for mercy, regretting his actions. Yan Yu tried to snatch the cushion away, but after a few tugs realized he couldn't get it, and simply left her to act like a sullen hamster. Another hour passed, and the takeaway finally arrived. Yan Yu placed the stewed chicken on the coffee table, lifting the lid to let the aroma waft freely, and deliberately said, "Ah, the takeaway has arrived, it smells so good." Zhao Yuanzhen, lying on the sofa, twisted her body slightly, seemingly hesitating about how to respond. "Oh, this piece of chicken is so fragrant, so delicious." Yan Yu exaggeratedly exclaimed, "I can't finish it by myself, what should I do? Perhaps give it to the stray dogs outside. How could beasts be worthy of human food?" Zhao Yuanzhen immediately sprang up from the sofa, snatching the disposable bamboo chopsticks on the table. "Rather than wasting it in the belly of beasts, better to sacrifice it to the temple of my own organs." "Didn't you say you only wanted to eat chicken pot?" Yan Yu reached out to protect the food. "I said from the start that I wanted to eat stewed chicken." Zhao Yuanzhen shamelessly retorted, "What trash is chicken pot? Never heard of such a thing." The demonic sect enchantress moved her chopsticks like the wind, quickly picking out a few pieces of chicken leg and stuffing them into her mouth, chewing anxiously while keeping a nervous eye on Yan Yu, fearing he would reach over and snatch the meat. Yan Yu was slightly bewildered, treating a few pieces of chicken leg as treasures. Where was the empowering Empress Yuanzhen of the past life? "You're acting more like a food-guarding dog." Of course, it definitely wasn't an issue with my teaching methods. If one thinks about it carefully, it's highly likely that she's deliberately pretending to be this kind of food-guarding, gluttonous girl, aiming to deceive and paralyze me. Humphrey, as expected of the sly and cunning Empress Yuanzhen. Such a crude trick, how could it possibly fool my keen eyes? Yan Yu, having seen through her scheming, couldn't help but show a contemptuous sneer in his heart. Woo-wah-woo, the stewed chicken is so delicious. Sitting beside Yan Yu, the scheming and crafty Zhao Yuanzhen was, at this moment, filled only with pure satisfaction. After finishing dinner, Yan Yu instructed Zhao Yuanzhen to tidy up the plastic bags, wipe down the table, and gather the trash to put by the door. The enchantress of the demonic sect seemed to have adapted well to her new role, working efficiently and without showing too much displeasure. Had it been the day she first arrived, she would have certainly needed to suppress her rage, make concessions, swallow her pride, endure the hardship. Asking her to do some house chores would have been like trampling on her dignity. All done. Zhao Yuanzhen, having dealt with the trash, collapsed shapelessly onto the sofa, propping her head lazily with her right hand and grabbing the remote with her left to turn on the TV, giggling to herself, "Perfect timing, it's just the start of the wife's lies." Yan Yu was rendered somewhat speechless by her. Didn't only 40-plus full-time housewives enjoy this kind of drama filled with domestic trivialities? Wait a minute, she lives her days at home, and her growing environment seems not that different from a full-time housewife's. Although my goal is to prevent her from becoming the unpredictable and twisted Empress Yuanzhen of her previous life, if she ends up turning into a full-time housewife who only does chores and giggles at the TV, isn't that also a cultivation failure? In some ways, it might be better to let her be the Empress than a full-time housewife. We still need to see when the outside world will loosen the hunt for Zhao Yuanzhen, then take this enchantress out for a walk. It's indeed easy for one's character to develop problems if always cooped up at home. Since Zhao Yuanzhen hasn't caused a massacre this life, and the situation out there has changed, memory alone can't be relied upon as a standard. Looks like I'll have to seek out that useless woman to feel out the situation, get her to resolve the enchantress's identity issue. Put yourself to use, lazy Ling Yun. Chapter 14, Beg Me School, Along the Corridor. So Zhao Yuanzhen actually exists. Chen Linian thought aloud. What, even the higher-ups aren't sure Zhao Yuanzhen exists now? Yan Yu couldn't help but chuckle and ask. It's said that the surveillance footage only captured her chasing a wisp of black mist. Chen Linian said with a smile, so the possibility that she staged the whole thing can't be ruled out. After all, when the birds are gone, the bow is put away. If there is such a figure as the demonic sect enchantress, then her role as an orthodox sword immortal becomes crucial. It sounds like a reasonable logic, doesn't it? Yet until today, that demonic sect enchantress only exists in her descriptions, without any concrete evidence to back it up. Even her claim that the demonic sect enchantress will definitely go on a killing spree and silence others while escaping pursuit did not happen. In that case, it's natural for people to think she's bluffing, fabricating non-existent enemies to elevate her own value. As for when the major search will be thoroughly relaxed, I estimate it will be around mid-April. Since the grassroots are not inexhaustible like the mythical beasts ox and horse, we couldn't whip them to keep striving for an intangible target forever, right? I see. Yan Yu pondered for a while, and then heard Chen Linian continue, so when can I arrange a meeting with this demonic sect cultivator? It's not convenient right now, Yan Yu said perfunctorily. Next time, for sure. Chen Linian was not annoyed, just smiled and said, the reason you came to me for help is to enable her to go out normally, right? You should know that it's extremely troublesome to apply for an identification for someone with no ID card, no household registration, no birth certificate. But for you, it should only take a word. Yan Yu interrupted her slow speech. When it comes to issuing IDs for people with no identification, local law enforcement has significant discretionary power. Maybe. Chen Linian was noncommittal. Even if I can help you out, why must I do it for you? Because we were husband and wife in our past lives? Yan Yu ventured to ask. Last time someone clarified that it wasn't the case. Chen Linian said with a light smile. That was to test the rapport between you and me. Yan Yu shamelessly exclaimed, if you had even the slightest doubt or hesitation at the time, it would have proven that you in this life are not worthy of being with me. It was a necessary test of affection. Haha. Chen Linian gave a polite smile, casually tucking her hair behind her ear. She didn't believe a word of Yan Yu's explanations and reasoning. According to the personality sketch in her mind, her so-called husband from her past life was the type who would do anything to achieve his goals, without the common male pride and dignity. When needed, it would be dear, sweet wife, but when not, he'd instantly turn into who are you? I don't know you, a predictable outcome. However, the demonic sect enchantress, huh? Now that's interesting. Take me to see her, Chen Linian said leisurely, or no deal. For the sake of our marriage. Yan Yu still wanted to try, after all, letting this woman meet the Empress Yuanzhen could result in some uncontrollable accidents. What marriage? I don't know about that. Chen Linian touched her lips and looked up at the sky, a puzzled expression on her face. According to the family registry, I'm a pure and unmarried maiden. Fine then. Yan Yu made a decisive concession, realizing this woman wouldn't take the bait unless the hair was on the table. I'll take you to see her, okay? Don't worry, dear. Chen Linian immediately smiled sweetly, saying at a relaxed pace, the issue with her identity, I'll have someone arrange it, you don't need to worry about it. Yan Yu no longer had the energy to mock this worthless woman, just sighed and said, once you've sorted it out, I'll find time to arrange for you two to meet. I'm free tonight, Chen Linian said with a smile. Tonight's not good, I need to. I just happen to be free tonight, Chen Linian continued to smile sweetly. Yan Yu. Such an annoying feeling. Why do I still have to be manipulated by this trashy woman even after being reborn? Beg me, he suddenly said. Chen Linian's smile remained unchanged, but her eyebrows rose slightly, indicating some displeasure in her heart. Beg me, Yan Yu said with a confident expression, calmly continuing, and I will tell you a big secret. What secret? Chen Linian's eyes lit up. A secret that will definitely interest you, Yan Yu said indifferently, provided that you can move me. Chen Linian's mind raced, quickly guessing that the other party was dissatisfied because she had a hold over him, and now sought to exchange that secret for some compensation in dignity. As for that, she actually didn't care. After all, that he could become her husband in a previous life meant he must have been deeply compatible with her in certain aspects. And the art of managing a husband was like flying a kite, constantly pulling the string would only make the other person tense all the time, eventually leading to thoughts of slipping from her control. In that case, once Chen Linian had weighed her thoughts, she gently took Yan Yu's hand, and her smile turned sweet and charming as she pleaded coquettishly, Dear beloved husband, what is that interesting secret? Please tell your cute little one, please, please PFFT ha 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 ha. Yan Yu could not help but burst into laughter, doubling over. The two were standing at the end of a corridor where there were few students, but his laughter was so exaggerated that students from afar were drawn to the noise. Chen Linian's expression darkened as she forcefully let go of his hand, the smile on her face completely gone, replaced by a cold, angry look. However, Yan Yu was already satisfied. Knowing that this despicable woman would become a cultivator in the future and that her arrogance and contemptibility would soar, she was privately nicknamed Princess Zhonghai, a jibe at her imperious demeanor. To make her act coy like a little woman, only this moment in time would do. The secret is, at the mouth of the Kaiantang River where it flows into the sea, at the location of the sea-watching tide park, there's a mysterious realm with an inverted six-tiered tower at its bottom, Yan Yu said in a lowered voice. This tower was built by a great figure at the request of the Yu King Qianchu during the Five Dynasties period, to suppress the tides of the Kaiantang River. The divine treasure iron at the bottom of the tower, the heavenly river anchor, is the core of the realm, with the power to suppress the sea tides and keep the sea level from rising. Some time ago, 2 Japanese onmyoji dived into the tidal waters, intending to steal the heavenly river anchor from within. Chen Linian fell silent for a moment, then said, "You stopped them?" "A mysterious guest stopped them," Yan Yu said leisurely. "The bodies were left at the top of the tower." "Oh, so you really did make a great contribution," Chen Linian said in a low voice. Her face had lost its polite smile, clearly recognizing the gravity of the situation. From Yan Yu's description, the Kayatang River tide suppressing tower seemed akin to the Three Gorges Dam of the northern Jiangnan province, and if the heavenly river anchor were stolen, it would be as if someone had blown up this dam. The Jiangnan weaving plain would be submerged. This was a matter of life and death. "What are you talking about?" Yan Yu shook his head. "It was the mysterious guest who stopped them. I have no idea who he is." Chen Linian let out a cold laugh, knowing he wanted to hide his identity, and said, "If what you're saying is true, this matter cannot be easily settled. That stretch of river and the nearby embankments will definitely be designated as military no-go zones. And just like the onmyoji, the mysterious guest has been inside the realm. You understand, right? His identity will definitely be subjected to thorough investigation, and that's the biggest uncontrollable factor. So, if someone went in ahead of time, cleaned up the scene, and claimed those 2 bodies," Yan Yu was quite calm, "then the authorities would realize the threat of foreign transcendence, be sufficiently vigilant, and yet not discover any trace of the mysterious guest. Then cooperation from the Zhendong army would be needed." Chen Linian paused, considering her words. "Yes, if there are trustworthy personnel within the Zhendong army, the matter could easily be resolved," Yan Yu said, a meaningful smile spreading across his face. "I'll try," Chen Linian replied. She said "I'll try" rather than "leave it to me," which meant that she would need to seek assistance from her father, the governor of Jianghai Prefecture, Chen Tanming. A high-ranking official with enough pull within the Zhendong army. The only difficulty lay in convincing this governor. But given Chen Linian's intelligence and eloquence, Yan Yu had no doubts about her success. Chapter 15: The Scumbag Girl and the Homebody Girl. A consensus on handling the mysterious realm of the Kayantang River was reached, and Miss Chen Linian had already asked for a kiss from her dear husband. Yan Yu felt quite satisfied with that. So now, there was only one thing left, meeting Zhao Yunzhen. In fact, this wasn't entirely because of Chen Linian's playful mood. If she had to be honest, curiosity was probably about 90% of her motivation, with the remaining 10% being to ensure that there were no uncertainties. After all, Zhao Yunzhen herself was the biggest uncertainty. If this woman was a ditz, clueless about things, Chen Linian would still help her secure an identity but would advise Yan Yu not to let her out, to avoid any unnecessary trouble. But if the woman was very smart, cunning almost to the point of being demonic, then Chen Linian would be pleased, for she would have a new toy to play with, and of course, she would start taking precautions early on. After all, Yan Yu was currently in a de facto cohabitation situation with the other party, and if he was conned into an affair, she would, of course, find it quite troublesome. Walking home together, Yan Yu glanced at the passing traffic on the roadside and suddenly asked, "What do you feel like eating tonight?" "You decide," Chen Linian said with a smile. The response sounded like that of a gentle girl, but in reality, it was not at all the case. Knowing Chen Linian as he did, Yan Yu interpreted her words to mean, "Since you were my husband in a past life, you should know what I like to eat." "Then let's have noodles," Yan Yu sighed, "clear soup noodles with a poached egg and some shepherd's purse." Chen Linian didn't speak, but her smile grew even sweeter. She loved eating shepherd's purse that had just sprouted in the spring. The only ones who knew this were her parents and the auntie who cooked at her house. Now there was one more person who knew. Happy. "So, what do Zhao Yunzhen's looks and figure like?" Chen Linian suddenly asked. "Won't you know one swear back?" Yan Yu offhandedly replied. Chen Linian elongated the sound. With a smile was her way of expressing dissatisfaction. As for the source of her dissatisfaction, it was probably because she wanted to test the demonic sect enchantresses standing in her eyes by asking about Zhao Yunzhen's looks and figure, and she was unhappy that he failed to catch on to this. "Ah, this is annoying. Why do I have to have this kind of understanding with you? Also, isn't your possessiveness a bit too much?" Recalling the trashy Princess Chen Linian from his previous life, who was not his girlfriend but insisted on entangling him with various means, Yan Yu's fists involuntarily clenched harder. Well, despite some flaws in her personality, that demonic sect enchantress really has nothing to complain about regarding her looks and figure, he said seriously, as if appraising something. Her features are delicate and refined, the epitome of the current mainstream aesthetic of pale, skinny, and young. As for her figure, I guess it's probably 95 to 50 to 90, with nothing to pick on. Chen Linian listened in silence, her delicate eyebrows raising slightly as she couldn't help but speak with a tone of disdain. "You're so nauseatingly infatuated." There it was, she was getting impatient. Ha ha ha. As soon as Yan Yu heard her curse in Zhonghai dialect, he knew that she was somewhat upset, and he was filled with a sense of vengeful pleasure. To prevent Chen Linian from noticing, he turned his head to chuckle secretly. But of course, such a movement couldn't escape Chen Linian, who was close at hand. After a quick thought, she realized that he was deliberately annoying her. However, more than the embarrassment, what she really cared about was something else. When was the last time she had lost control of her emotions like this? Ever since she was a child, Chen Linian had always been the epitome of an elegant young lady. Even when she was in kindergarten, she was the one child who never cried or fussed. As for elementary, middle, and high school, she was adored by her classmates, so perfect that many felt ashamed of themselves just by standing beside her. Of course, it was also a fact that her family background played a role in this. Apart from the stray cat incident, who could stir even the slightest ripple in her heart? In hindsight, my decision in my previous life to spend the rest of my life with him was even more justified. Oh dear, I suddenly have this annoying husband. What should I do about it? Should I train him first, or should I play with him first? Chen Linian placed a hand on her cheek and smiled shyly, while Yan Yu, seeing her in such a girlish pose, guessed that she was starting to act coquettish and sneered to himself viciously. Worthless woman, the advantage your family background brings in terms of power will become less and less significant as spiritual energy has fully revived. When we both become cultivators, we'll have a proper showdown and see who ends up on top. Upon returning home, he saw Zhao Yuanzhen lying on the couch, lazily eating a bag of open chips, her eyes glued to the TV, as she said, "You're back? We're out of chips at home, I want cucumber-flavored ones." Who is she? The moment she saw the face of a stranger, the alarm bells went off in the demonic sect enchantress' mind, and she leapt off the couch, quickly forming hand seals. "My classmate," Yan Yu said indifferently. This indifferent face was intended not only for homebody Zhao Yuanzhen but also for the worthless Chen Linian. "Hello," Chen Linian said with a smile. "I'm a friend of Yan Yu, my name is Chen Linian." Zhao Yuanzhen maintained her hand seals, eyes warily on Yan Yu, and when she didn't get any attack now signals from him, she quietly pulled her hands back into her sleeves, lifted her chin proudly, and said, "Kaianzi Sex Zhao Yuanzhen, you may address me as Mi Zanzianzi. Pleased to meet you, Mi Zanzianzi." Chen Linian's smile grew even sweeter, prompting Yan Yu to instantly realize that this woman was starting her antics. "You're an old friend of the Rainbow Sword Immortal, my Yingsu, aren't you? She seems to have been looking for you lately." Upon hearing the title of Rainbow Sword Immortal, my Yingsu, Zhao Yuanzhen shuddered, her gaze unintentionally drifting towards the windowsill, but she quickly pulled it back and said forcefully, "Is that so? I was actually looking to find her, to properly recount our past grudges and affections." "That's great," said Chen Linian with a full-faced smile, clapping her hands together. "I'll give her a call right away. Seeing an old friend after such a long time, she will surely be excited." "Hold on." Zhao Yuanzhen immediately couldn't keep her composure and quickly raised her hand saying, My true Yuan has not yet recovered, and if I were to spar with her, I'm afraid it wouldn't be satisfying. Next time, let's talk about it next time." Is Mi Zanzianzi not fully recovered?" Chen Linian covered her mouth with her hand, pretending to be surprised. "Perhaps I could ask the Rainbow Sword Immortal if she has any medicinal pills or prescriptions that could help you recover your cultivation faster." No need. Zhao Yuanzhen became increasingly agitated, and if it weren't for Yan Yu standing beside her, she would immediately want to strike down this sharp-tongued young lady. It's too much trouble to bother outsiders with this. "I have my measures, you needn't concern yourself." "Really?" Chen Linian laughed, her eyes curving like crescent moons. "Then I'll just tell her I've seen you here, and leave it at that." Don't you dare. Don't you dare." Zhao Yuanzhen was so annoyed she stomped her foot, pointing her finger accusingly. "Annoying. Don't you talk too much. You're not allowed to say anything." Chen Linian laughed delightedly and then turned to look at Yan Yu, her eyes conveying, "Oh, this demonic sect enchantress is so amusing." Yan Yu silently rolled his eyes back at her, meaning, "If you provoke her too much, I'm not getting involved." "I'm going to cook," he said, waving his hand helplessly. "You two have a good chat." Chapter 16. Are you worthy? From a cultivation standpoint, Zhao Yuanzhen could kill 10 Chen Linians with just one hand. But when it comes to brains, 10 Zhao Yuanzhens tied together wouldn't be able to outplay Chen Linian, that trashy woman. While Yan Yu was boiling noodles in the kitchen, he could hear Zhao Yuanzhen sighing in the living room, and Chen Linian giggling non-stop. He had no idea what those two were actually talking about. By the time the noodles were ready, Yan Yu brought them into the living room only to see Zhao Yuanzhen transformed into a burying hamster, lying on the couch with a pillow over her face, silent. Chen Linian, on the other hand, was sitting next to her face full of joyful smiles, gently poking Zhao Yuanzhen's body. Wait, where are you poking? Leave it to me. Yan Yu set down the bowl of noodles and stopped her, saying, what are you doing? Mizan Xianxi is ignoring me. Chen Linian's smile was unstoppable, and the thick scent of trashiness enveloped her. You've done enough. Yan Yu advised helplessly, knowing full well this trashy woman wouldn't stop unless she grew bored of the game. It's good to leave some leeway, you know. Even a cornered rabbit will bite. It's okay. Chen Linian's smile bloomed like a flower. You'll protect me, right, hubby? Zhao Yuanzhen, who had still been playing dead under the pillow, suddenly sat up straight as if rising from a coffin. Who are you calling hubby? She looked at Chen Linian with a cold expression, asking icily. Him, Chen Linian said, wrapping an arm around Yan Yu's, her eyes twinkling as she added, didn't he tell you? We're a match made in heaven. Zhao Yuanzhen turned her gaze back to Yan Yu, her eyes now devoid of sparkle. That look wasn't the one that Kenzai Anglian had for Chen Shiimai, but rather like Kotonoa Katsura's for Makoto Ito. Stop talking nonsense. Yan Yu forcefully shook off her hand. Doesn't it say single on your household registration? Show me. That being said, Chen Linian wasn't upset, but rather asked Zhao Yuanzhen, what is your relationship with him? I am his Taoist cultivation partner. Zhao Yuanzhen said coldly. Cultivation partner, huh? Chen Linian showed no signs of jealousy, only asking Yan Yu, which takes precedence, a secular marriage or a Taoist sect marriage? First off, there's no such thing as a Taoist sect marriage. Yan Yu explained patiently, cultivation partners are just partners in cultivation. Marriage itself is a secular concept involving a relationship between a man and a woman, which cultivators don't really care for. Oh. Chen Linian got it and lit up with a trashy yet sweet smile, looking at Zhao Yuanzhen as she said, looks like we aren't love rivals anymore. Zhao Yuanzhen. Og. I'm so furious, I could kill somebody. But since this woman was brought back by Yan Yu, reason told her she couldn't lash out, and she could only forcefully suppress her anger, silently noting to herself, today, the little thief brought a woman named Chen Linian home, who dared to mock and humiliate me. I won't forget this vengeance. The day I have control over the universe, I must make the little thief take her as a concubine, making her serve me tea and water every day, at my whim to demean and scold. Wouldn't that be letting that little thief off too easy? Never mind, after all, by then the little thief will be a toy in my hand, free. Regaining her self-esteem in her fantasies, Zhao Yuanzhen didn't feel as angry at Chen Linian anymore, merely snorting as she asked Yan Yu, what about the noodles you cooked? I want to eat too. They're in the pot, help yourself. Yan Yu said unceremoniously. Zhao Yuanzhen glared at him with force. Then she got up and walked towards the kitchen. But after a few steps, she felt so annoyed that she turned around and glared at him again. Chen Linian was also very happy. After all, Yan Yu had specially served her the noodles, and the difference in how he treated her compared to Zhao Yuanzhen was stark, instantly giving her a sense of superiority. Just as she was about to receive the noodles with a smile on her face, she saw Yan Yu pull the bowl towards himself, picked up some noodles with his chopsticks, and slurped them up. Chen Linian. After swallowing the food, Yan Yu looked up at her, puzzled. Go get your noodles, what are you sitting there for? Playing hard to get, huh? Chen Linian asked with a smile. Playing hard to get? What do you mean? Yan Yu frowned in confusion. Hee hee. Chen Linian's smile didn't waver as she stood up and headed to the kitchen to serve the noodles. Upon reaching the kitchen, she saw that the pot was already completely empty. Zhao Yuanzhen had poured all the remaining noodles and soup into a large bowl and then, giving Chen Linian a sidelong glance as if she had just avenged a great wrong, turned her head high and haughty and left. The smile finally disappeared from Chen Linian's face. She silently stared at the empty iron pot, lost in thought. After a moment, Yan Yu's scolding voice came from the living room. Can you even finish all those noodles? I'm a cultivator. Zhao Yuanzhen retorted. Of course, I can finish them. You're a cultivator, not a pig in a pen. Yan Yu tapped her on the head. Stop throwing a tantrum. Share half with her, off you go. Reluctantly, Zhao Yuanzhen got up to fetch a bowl to divide the noodles in the kitchen. Chen Linian returned to the living room and, looking at Zhao Yuanzhen's back, asked with a frown, is that all there is to the demonic sect enchantress? She seems more like a disobedient little maid than anything else. Don't let her appearance deceive you. As Yan Yu continued eating his noodles, he said, in fact, she's quite ferocious, it's all thanks to my efforts in restraining her. Otherwise, if she ran loose, there would certainly be havoc. Really? Chen Linian mused thoughtfully. She knew that Yan Yu had memories of the future, and according to what Mai Yingsu said, Zhao Yuanzhen indeed was the type who took lives without a second thought. Not that she was innately evil, but the environment of the demonic sect had shaped her to regard human lives with indifference, just like when everyone eats fried chicken, they don't consider the chicken's life. So you're really protecting the people, taking the weight of the world on your shoulders alone? Chen Linian's smile returned as she looked down at her toes, a rough plan already forming in her mind. What kind of devilish idea are you thinking of now? Yan Yu asked with a frown. This crafty woman, though fond of feigning smiles, had discernible differences between them. Simply put, smile with curved eyes, happiness, raised eyebrows, half-lowered eyelids, up to no good again. Guess? Chen Linian said mischievously. If I guess it right, you'll tell me, right? Yan Yu chuckled coldly. I'm afraid not. Chen Linian's smile was sweet, her tone sly. If you guess it right, there's no need for me to say more, right? And if you guess wrong, why would I tell you? From the kitchen, Zhao Yuanzhen, with 2 bowls of noodles in hand, came back and grumpily placed one of them in front of Chen Linian. Even though she put it down with such force that the soup splashed, Chen Linian wasn't really upset and simply smiled and said, "Thank you." Picking up some noodles with her chopsticks, she tasted them and suddenly said out of the blue, the newly built campus of Jinling University was suddenly requisitioned not long ago. Time for the exchange of riddles. Oh. Yan Yu did not show any sign of surprise. What's the new school going to be called? Zhendong National Defense Science and Technology College. Chen Linian replied, what do you think of this name? The final name will probably drop the science and technology part, Yan Yu answered. After all, it's going to be a higher education institution for cultivators. Bringing science and technology into it seems a bit far-fetched. Zhendong National Defense College, MMM. Chen Linian nodded with a smile. Cultivators? Zhao Yuanzhen's ears perked up, but she didn't ask anything, merely eavesdropping. That being said, Chen Linian continued, someone suggested that the cultivators should be unified in their education, but in the end, it was decided to establish institutions in 4 different locations, the east, south, west, and north, namely in Jinling Prefecture, Xingwang Prefecture, Shazong Prefecture, and Shenjing Prefecture. What do you think? Of course, it makes sense. Yan Yu replied, alma mater connections are natural factions. All the country's cultivators from the same school, who would dare propose such a rotten idea? Indeed, alma mater connections are natural factions. Chen Linian tapped her lips with her finger, smiling slightly. So, would you join my faction? Zhao Yuanzhen, who had been scratching her head in confusion listening to their cryptic conversation, bristled at Chen Linian's last sentence, the only thought left in her mind, some shameless person is trying to steal my Dao companion. Just as she was about to explode in rage and tear into a confrontation, she saw Yan Yu glance sidelong at Chen Linian and suddenly smirk. Do you even qualify? Chen Linian's smile froze on her face. Chapter 17, I'll let you know if I am worthy or not. Having met with Zhao Yuanzhen and promised to help her resolve her identity issue, Chen Linian took her leave and went home. In the following days, the two maintained frequent communication within the school. Yan Yu's disdainful "you two are worthy" had no impact on Chen Linian. Instead, it only strengthened her resolve towards a certain idea. Of course, with both of them being exceedingly shrewd, they made sure not to let other students catch them during their regular meetings, often choosing secluded places like the end of an empty corridor or the small lawn behind the laboratory building. Their covert meetings resembled those of secret lovers. However, at least for now, there have been no sparks of romance between the two. In Chen Linian's eyes, Yan Yu was my favorite toy, please entertain me to your fullest, while in Yan Yu's heart, Chen Linian oscillated between a woman in need of discipline and a fat sheep ripe for use. If one were to talk about interests, Chen Linian indeed needed Yan Yu's prophetic edge to confirm her judgments on the current situation, whereas Yan Yu needed to obtain some information details from Chen Linian that he was unclear about in his previous life. The Pingjing Kaoming Medical College came up with a complete testing solution yesterday afternoon, Chen Linian said calmly after class, as they met. It's possible to confirm whether there is spiritual energy within the bloodline through blood tests, thereby determining if one has the qualifications for cultivation. Cultivation places great emphasis on talent, a conclusion drawn by the first batch of military cultivators during their training. Experiments have shown that those without talent cannot force cultivation. It isn't a matter of achieving less with more effort, they simply cannot start to cultivate at all. Of course, Yan Yu knew the reality was not like this. The issue mainly lay in the primordial unity scripture offered by Mai Yingsu, which had excessively high requirements for a cultivator's talent. If replaced with Zhao Yuanzhen's string-pulling technique, there would be no demand for any cultivation talent, but its requirements for cultivation resources were incredibly high, another troublesome matter. But at least one wouldn't be hindered by innate cultivation talents. So you must have had your blood tested in advance, right? Yan Yu asked casually, leaning on the railing. Chen Linian said with a smile, in our circles, only 2 people have passed the blood test. Upon saying this, she paused for a moment and then added with a smile, you know who the other person is, don't you? Of course, Yan Yu said leisurely, Princess Zhonghai Chen Linian, Pingjing's #1 figure, Liu Longdao, are set to be called the fools of the south and the idiots of the north in the future. Chen Linian burst into laughter, unable to hold back. Idiot of the north is quite fitting. Who came up with fool of the south? Tell me their name, I want to remember it. So you do not deny the title of Princess Zhonghai, do you? Yan Yu asked, looking at her askance. Why deny it? Chen Linian said serenely, as long as I am strong enough, all the ridicule will ultimately turn into praise. Besides, the word princess can carry both positive and negative connotations. Yan Yu quietly tugged at the corner of his mouth. It had begun. Since discovering she was 1 in 10,000 with a talent for cultivation, this despicable woman's confidence and degree of despicableness were about to soar. How about breaking ties now? If ties are cut, I won't have to deal with her despicableness. I have an idea. Chen Linian propped her hands on the railing and stretched her body gracefully like a cat, softly saying, I want to control all cultivators who hail from Xindong. All the undergraduate cultivators selected from Jiangbai, Zhonghai, Jiangnan, Jiangwei, Mnhai, and Jiujiang will undergo uniform training at the Zhendong Academy for cultivators in the future. I want to gather them all under my wing. The girl turned her head back again, her face adorned with a sweet and brilliant smile. What do you think, my dear? Yan Yu looked at her speechlessly. Just as expected. With a rapid rise in confidence, this despicable woman was already beginning to dream impossible dreams. I don't think it's possible, he bluntly stated, because you're not strong enough. There are 4 main elements of cultivation: talent, physique, comprehension, and fate. Aside from the uncontrollable fate, the most important is talent. And your talent, among cultivators, is actually only mediocre. Chen Linian quieted down, gazing at him silently. Even Liu Longdao, whom you always look down upon, Yan Yu pressed on, has far superior talent to you, hence, in the future, he will have more say among the Dingbai army cultivators than you will amongst the Zhendong army cultivators. So that's how it is. Chen Linian fell silent for a while, then suddenly seemed somewhat sorrowful. Is that why you previously said the future of cultivators would be terrifying? That's right, Yan Yu said in a somber tone, whether it's the utterly foolish idiots, the worthless scum that are worse than pigs and dogs, or the scoundrels who take lives at will. As long as one can cultivate and gain strength, they can control the corresponding secular power. Without regard for character, that's the most troublesome part. Chen Linian didn't answer. She boredly grabbed the railing, let her body relax backward naturally, and tilted her head pondering for a moment. What about you? Chen Linian suddenly asked, what if you came to help me? If I were to help you, then there would be no concern for conquering Zhendong or securing Dingbai, no need to worry about pacifying Pink Sai or stabilizing Annan, Yan Yu said leisurely. Oh, quite the big talker, aren't you? Chen Linian revealed a teasing smile. Nonsense. Yan Yu extended his right thumb and poked his own chest, asserting as a matter of course, when it comes to strength, I'm the strongest in this world, okay? Chen Linian blinked. She turned her head toward the distance as if she were daydreaming, or perhaps she was thinking about something. I believe what you say, Chen Linian said softly, but I still want to try, to follow my own plan. If I fail, then I'll ask for your help. What do you say to us, husband and wife, combining our efforts? I'll provide the strategy, and you'll contribute the strength, together we'll control the world, how about that? My answer is 3 words, Yan Yu responded calmly. I do? Chen Linian revealed an adorable smile. In your dreams. Yan Yu rejected her loudly. Before Chen Linian could continue to say anything, Yan Yu mercilessly mocked her. I won't comment on your height, I won't mention your figure, but just your nasty character alone, always fake smiling as if everyone else is an idiot, enjoying the discomfort of others for fun. Why would I marry you if I'm not a masochist? Wouldn't I rather find a gentle and lovely girl, or a serious and capable one with black, straight hair? And you? His voice came to an abrupt halt, for Chen Linian's smile had completely faded from her face, replaced by a terrifying expression akin to that of a demon. It was a darker aspect she had never revealed in her previous life. The gentle and lovely girl you mentioned just now, Chen Linian asked slowly, enunciating each word as if squeezing them through her teeth, who is that? And the one with black, straight hair, who is she? Yan Yu crouched in the men's restroom for quite a while. Not because he was hiding from anyone, he was just using the restroom, and he had a feeling that it would be very bad to go out now. But he wasn't hiding from anyone. There was no rush to return to the classroom since the class hadn't started, nor was he worried someone might come looking for him. Anyway, it'd be better to wait until the bell rang to go out. In any case, he wasn't hiding from anyone. Gosh. I'm the strongest in this world. On the other side, in the classroom of senior year, Class 3, the students gathered in small groups, resting or chatting leisurely. Suddenly, an extremely beautiful female student walked into the classroom of senior year, Class 3 from the front door. The noise gradually settled down as everyone recognized that the beautiful girl who burst in wasn't a student from Class 3. After all, a girl that cute wouldn't be easily forgotten once seen, right? Chen Linian's gaze swept over all the students before she turned to the closest female student with a somewhat pitiful smile. Excuse me. Is Yan Yu here? Yan Yu? The female student immediately showed a look of realization and pointed outside, saying, he went out as soon as class ended and hasn't returned yet. Is that so? Chen Linian lowered her head sadly, her voice faint as her eyes began to redden. Then she turned around, seemingly not wanting others to see her upset, but tears still dropped down relentlessly. To the nearby female classmates, several keywords immediately sprang to mind: Yan Yu, beautiful girl, heartbreak, crying. Gossip material. What's wrong, are you okay? Without the needing any prompting, 4 or 5 girls rushed forward to take the still sobbing Chen Linian out of the classroom, comforting her in hushed tones in the hallway while trying to find out what happened between her and Yan Yu. Another outgoing girl stood at the classroom's entrance, blocking the male students inside from coming out to eavesdrop on the gossip. Don't listen. Mind your own business. What does this have to do with you? Go back to your seats. Chapter 18. Official Identity. Yan Yu had been feeling something strange lately. For some reason, starting from some time ago, his classmates began to view him with peculiar opinions. The girls often gossiped about him behind his back, but when Yan Yu asked them, they flat out denied it, allowing him to catch only snippets of words such as cheating, player, among half-whispered conversations. The boys, on the other hand, would slap him on the back, laugh and joke, throwing around baffling comments like, when did you get a girlfriend, man? Not even a word to us, are we still brothers? With that on your mind, can you still focus on your college entrance exams? Though Yan Yu had no proof, he was certain, it was definitely Chen Linian's doing. Wait, the reason this wretched woman hasn't contacted me recently wouldn't be because she's waiting for me to beg her, would it? Dream on. The physical examination for college entrance is about to start, and I will become a cultivator then. Do you think I would care about what these high school classmates think? About 2 weeks later. One day, after school, as Yan Yu returned home alone, he suddenly saw Chen Linian, whom he hadn't seen for a long time, standing at his doorstep, waiting. Today, the young lady was dressed in a simple white dress with high-heeled boots, standing pretty as a freshly blossomed water lily. Why are you here? Yan Yu took out his keys to open the door, asking in surprise, how long have you been waiting? Not long, Chen Linian said with a smile. Considering the time school ends and the walk here, it's not difficult to estimate when you'd arrive home. Then come in, Yan Yu sighed and said. Once inside the house, they saw Zhao Yuanzhen lying on the bed, sound asleep, with her unladylike white legs shamelessly exposed. This demonic sect enchantress isn't meditating at home, but instead snoozing away here. If she keeps this up, her personality is truly going to waste. Chen Linian gave a faint smile, took out a small bag she carried with her, and pulled out documents such as an ID card and household registration book, raising her eyebrows and saying, I've taken care of everything. Here it is. Yan Yu took a look at the ID card, and the name astonishingly read Zhao Jiazhen. You only changed one character. This won't get recognized, will it? He asked again with a dubious look. Wait, you don't mean the moment you enter these into the database, they'll notice right away, do you? Nope, Chen Linian said with a smile. As for why that wouldn't happen, she didn't intend to explain, instead adopting an believe it or not attitude. Yan Yu silently gathered the materials and heard Chen Linian say, senior high students just need to participate in the physical examination for college entrance. For someone like her without school records, a social idler, she needs to go to a specific hospital for certain tests to confirm the presence of spiritual energy. Are you planning to get her into the college as well? Yan Yu asked, stroking his chin. The comprehensive cultivation plan due to inter-college competition has been set by the top, Chen Linian said with a smile. Since we are planning to enroll at Zhendong College, it's obviously better for Zhendong College to have as many cultivators as possible. Besides, she was born in that world. Even if it's just the knowledge in her mind, it might not be less important than my Yingsu. That makes sense, Yan Yu muttered, deep in thought when suddenly Chen Lenian leaned in close and asked with breath as fragrant as orchids, "Haven't contacted you recently, did you miss me?" "Not at all," Yan Yu stated bluntly. "But my classmates sure miss you. They're all very curious why I would date such a wretched girlfriend." "I went back to Jianghai Prefecture a while ago," Chen Lenian said with a faint smile. "Today, I am here to get her physical examination done to ensure she can also enroll smoothly. After this is over, I still have to rush back to Jianghai tonight." "You're going back tonight?" Yan Yu was slightly surprised. "Are you that busy?" "I knew you can't bear to part with me," Chen Lenian said with a beaming smile, her eyes curving into crescents. Yan Yu couldn't be bothered to argue with her and just listened as she explained, "Military cultivators were the first batch of cultivators, and I am part of the second batch, which is university student cultivators. Since I had confirmed my spirit root in advance, I have to cooperate with the military cultivators in a series of experiments to see if their training methods in the army are applicable to university students." "I remember they didn't fully use military training methods in the end," Yan Yu pondered solemnly. "The reason seemed to be due to changes in Michi country." "Yes, it was just at the end of this month that Michi country introduced new policies," Chen Lenian nodded. "They have publicly announced the recruitment of transcendents from all over the world and established two organizations. One is the Superhero Alliance and the other is the Homeland Strategic Bureau. The Superhero Alliance plans to become a professional league like the NBA, using a large amount of fame and wealth to attract foreign transcendents to participate in combative spectator sports, whereas the Homeland Strategic Bureau is an official agency and will select elites from the Superhero Alliance to join and become the country's official military transcendents." "That's so Michi country," Yan Yu couldn't help but remark. "Despite already knowing the world's trend, they have such a developed commercial mindset. In short, ever since Michi country's transcendent introduction plan came out, it's basically thrown the rest of the world into disarray," Chen Lenian said, chuckling. "Cultivators are different from scientists. If scientific talents are poached by other countries, it won't cause a fundamental harm, but if cultivators are enticed away by fame and wealth, one issue is the complete leakage of cultivation systems and training models, and the other is the fear that in the later stages of the spiritual energy resurgence, some cultivators will possess the terrifying strength to dominate battlefields. In that case, we would certainly lose out big time. So there's been internal debate lately about whether to continue with strict militarized training or to also introduce fame and wealth to deeply bind cultivators," Chen Lenian continued thoughtfully, then asked with a smile, "Never mind, let me guess, in the future we will opt for a dual approach, right?" "Of course," Yan Yu replied nonchalantly, "no matter the occupation, if the compensation can't match that of foreign counterparts, even the most patriotic will have complaints. Plus, with cultivators truly possessing the power to defect forcefully, it would be strange if the authorities felt reassured, wouldn't it?" "You're absolutely right," Chen Lenian smiled delightedly. "That means as long as we can become the most powerful cultivators, power, fame, benefits, all will follow suit. Doesn't that make things even more interesting?" Yan Yu responded, though he seemed less than enthusiastic. "Power, fame, wealth, they don't just fall from the sky. You pay a dear price for these things. With your life." Seeing him like this, Chen Lenian didn't ask further but went over to wake Zhao Yuanzhen and planned to take her for a medical checkup. Zhao Yuanzhen, half roused by the push, mumbled in a daze, "Stop messing with me, let me sleep a bit more." Chen Lenian turned around, her face devoid of any smile, and asked indifferently, "Oh? How do you usually mess around?" "The same way you mess around with others," Yan Yu replied just as expressionlessly. "I see." Chen Lenian appeared thoughtful, "Then demonstrate it for me." Yan Yu walked over to the bed and pinched Zhao Yuanzhen's nose. Zhao Yuanzhen kept her eyes closed, simply opening her mouth to breathe. Yan Yu then covered her mouth, and yet this demonic sect enchantress still didn't open her eyes. She actually went straight into a state of suspended animation and continued to sleep. "Looks like she won't wake up." Yan Yu let go of her mouth and nose and sighed. "Then it's just the two of us going for hot pot." "Okay, hubby." Chen Lenian was overjoyed and responded loudly. Before the two had even reached the door, Zhao Yuanzhen smacked her lips and suddenly sat up abruptly on the bed, yelling, "Who's going for hot pot without me?" Chapter 19 Zhao Yuanzhen is jealous. The process of taking Zhao Yuanzhen to the hospital for a blood test was far from smooth. The demonic sect enchantress was afraid of getting hurt and would wriggle about at the sight of a needle. It took Yan Yu a great effort to hold her arm down so the nurse could insert the needle successfully. "I always feel like this guy's personality is getting farther and farther from Empress Yuanzhen in her previous life. Crap, didn't I bring back the wrong person that night?" Taking Zhao Yuanzhen to eat at Haidalao, however, went incredibly smoothly. In front of the hot pot, this enchantress sprang back to life, personally picking out items like tripe, throat, basa fish, fatty beef, duck blood, frozen tofu, fried dough sticks, kelp, inokatake mushrooms, noodle soup, shrimp paste, and claypot rice. Watching her, Yanyu's eyelids kept twitching, and he nearly wanted to give her an ultimatum right then and there. So, you just keep ordering endlessly when it's not your money, huh? Isn't the food here yet, Yanyu? After finishing her order on the phone, Zhao Yuanzhen began to fidget, sitting restlessly and tapping her foot, so slow. Yanyu silently pressed her white leg down firmly to prevent her from making a hole in the floor. Chen Linian sat across the table, laughing, her eyes shaped like crescents and her eyebrows slightly raised. So, when this sassy woman's eyes are crescent-shaped, she's happy, and when she raises her eyebrows, she's unhappy. But what does crescent eyes plus raised eyebrows mean? Enjoying the pain? I'm going to fix the sauce, Zhao Yuanzhen suddenly said, get some fragrant vinegar. Make it quick. Yanyu urged, if you're not back in 3 minutes, for every 10 seconds you're late, I'll take away one of your dishes. A minute is more than enough. Zhao Yuanzhen retorted coldly, stood up, and with a whoosh, she disappeared. Yanyu was still somewhat worried. This woman had only seen people ordering from Haida Lao in short online videos, and now she was about to operate for real. Should be fine, right? He craned his neck towards the sauce area, only to hear Chen Linian say out of the blue, it seems you two get along quite well. Are you jealous? Yanyu deflected with a counterattack. Hee hee. Chen Linian just supported her cheek with one hand, elbow leisurely propped on the table, smiling as she watched him. If you're jealous, just come out with it. How would I know if you don't say it? Yanyu continued his assault, taunting her, if I don't know you're jealous, how can I make fun of you? The 3 arts and the 5 spells. Unable to bear it anymore, Chen Linian changed the subject, asking, which should I learn first? You need to learn them all, Yanyu answered. I'm asking about priority, Chen Linian said with a twinkle in her eyes. They're all priorities, Yanyu countered, in arithmetic, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, which do you think should be learned first? You're already a cultivator, asking such a basic question. Aren't you ashamed? Jinling is currently setting up a cultivator training program, Chen Linian said with a light smile. They think it's more appropriate to start with the shifting technique and the barrier charm. Idiots, Yanyu bluntly judged. Among the 3 arts, the shifting technique can boost movement speed. Of the 5 spells, the barrier charm can make one invulnerable to blades and bullets, Chen Linian elaborated slowly. It's not unreasonable for them to make that choice. The shifting technique is greatly limited by terrain, Yanyu responded coldly. In an urban combat environment, if the enemy is sniping from a high-rise building and you don't have the cloud ascension technique, you're going to climb dozens of floors up the stairs, right? If the enemy blocks a strategic pass, without the wall penetration technique, are you going to charge right into a bullet-saturated zone? But there's the barrier charm, Chen Linian reasoned, smiling still, with an answer already in mind. Activate the barrier charm, withstand the damage, and charging through isn't impossible. The barrier charm consumes true yuan, Yanyu stated disdainfully. Among the 5 spells, it requires the most energy. How much true yuan do you think you can afford to waste? Chen Linian responded noncommittally, then among the 5 spells, which is more useful? For offense, the metal element impact curse is the best, Yanyu said. It shoots sword chi, penetrating the enemy, with the least true yuan consumption. If the opponent uses the barrier charm and takes the hits, you use hit and run tactics against him, firing an impact curse every 1 to 2 seconds, forcing him to maintain his barrier charm constantly without letting up. Considering the concept of metal being born from earth, his true yuan will definitely run out before yours. Since they promote the barrier charm and defense above all else, just focus on practicing the impact curse. Give them a little 5 elements shock. So how should one deal with this kind of continuous impact curse tactic? Chen Linian pondered. You can use the flame curse, Yanyu responded. Use the blaze to obscure the opponent's vision, and at the same time, the impact curse won't be able to penetrate the flame curse that is being cast. The metal element sword chi will be restrained by the fire element. However, the best method is still the shifting technique plus cloud ascension technique, using precise movements to dodge attacks, and more importantly, to close the distance quickly for an offensive. It's meaningless to just think about counter tactics. Offense is the best defense. As long as you take the opponent down first, whatever tactics they have lined up next are irrelevant. Chen Linian nodded, her smile turning more joyous. That means you were quite formidable in your past life, huh? I could pin you to the ground and beat you up without a problem, Yanyu scoffed and replied. Who are you going to beat up? Zhao Yuanzhen came back with a small bowl of sauce and looked at Chen Linian with a hint of malice. Count me in. The waiter served the dishes, and the 3 of them started to eat. It wasn't until they had their fill and the plates were empty that Chen Linian took a sip of tea and suddenly said, "Actually, I'm quite looking forward to it." "Looking forward to what?" Yan Yu lazily asked. "Looking forward to you pinning everyone to the ground and giving them a good thrashing," Chen Linian said with a smile brimming with anticipation. "But you still need to pass the physical examination to get your enrollment qualification first." She stood up, grabbed her designer handbag, and said, "I have to go now. I have a high-speed train ticket for 8 o'clock tonight. Next time we meet, it'll be in Jinling. Can't it be a video chat?" Yan Yu deliberately asked, trying to stir things up. "Nope." Chen Linian shook her finger naughtily and laughed. "I've been really busy lately." "See?" Yan Yu pointed at the heartless woman across from him and said to Zhao Yuanzhen, "Such a heartless woman, thinking about becoming a faction leader. No one is going to accept her, right?" Zhao Yuanzhen was still busy picking the last of the noodles from the pot to eat. Though not interested in their conversation, seeing it was on account of the food, she might as well go along with the little thief. "Just kidding." Chen Linian spoke leisurely. "Remember to video call me, bye-bye." She flashed a sweet smile, waved gently, and then left. "You're not allowed to video call her," Zhao Yuanzhen said suddenly after finishing the noodles. "Why not?" Yan Yu asked with an amused smile. "You're my cultivation partner," Zhao Yuanzhen said seriously as she wiped her mouth with a napkin. "You can't be flirting with other women." "I've told you, a cultivation partner is just a companion for cultivating together." Yan Yu chuckled coldly. "It's not a marriage. Can you get your role straight?" The jealousy was practically oozing out. "Empress Yuanzhen, old vinegar much? We only cultivated together for 2 months, without practicing any bedroom arts, and already you consider me your possession? A perfectly good cultivation partner, and you've turned it into objectification. Disappointing." "I still don't agree," Zhao Yuanzhen huffed. "Am I less attractive than her, or is my figure worse? Since you've already cultivated with me, there's no need to waste time on other women. It's not about her looks or figure. Forget it, you wouldn't understand." Yan Yu shook his head helplessly and said, "You should focus on recovering your strength. And speaking of which, where's our puppet?" "It's in the works," Zhao Yuanzhen said somewhat sulkily, just looking at the still bubbling hot pot, her mind beginning to wander. "This is so annoying, that damn thief. Can't he be nice to me for once?" "Humphrey, once I fully master my divine power, I'll capture that Chen Linian, soul snatch her right in front of him. I want to see him kneeling and begging me to let her reincarnate." Chapter 20 Admission Agreement. The high school physical examination soon arrived. The majority of seniors were having their first medical checkup, so students could be seen everywhere, holding their examination forms, looking around, and unsure about which queue to join. Of course, there were also those who followed their close friends en masse to a spot, utterly clueless about what was being examined there. Yan Yu's goal was clear as he headed straight for the liver function testing point, where the queue for blood tests was the shortest. When it was his turn, he sat on the chair, exposing his right arm, his gaze fixed on the blood centrifuge behind the nurse. Indeed, the centrifuge was already affixed with special talisman paper that had been added to detect spiritual energy. The nurse used alcohol cotton to disinfect him, and Yan Yu immediately circulated his qi in secret, directing the true yuan he had cultivated recently towards his right arm. Those with a spirit root who had never cultivated would have blood infused with a trace of innate energy, also known as embryonic breath. As long as the equipment detected this essence, it would prove that the person had a spirit root within and was qualified to become a cultivator. Of course, spiritual energy and spirit root were not entirely bound together. For instance, those who had colds, allergies, or menstrual irregularities, even if they possessed a spirit root, the innate energy in their blood would temporarily weaken to a degree undetectable by the equipment. Then there were exceptional cases like Yan Yu, who, despite not having a spirit root, managed to step into cultivation early with some extraordinary means. His natural talent for cultivation was not as good as the former, but because his blood contained spiritual energy, he could still be detected by the equipment. Hence, an individual's success often depended more on opportunity and fate. The times when heaven and earth work in unison, and the times when heroes are no longer free to act, are also brutally factual. Yan Yu, who had attempted to turn the tide in his previous life, ultimately had to admit to the undeniable power of circumstance and no longer wished to consider so much. After all, in this life, I'm also a cultivator, and anyone who dares stand in my way must die. The nurse shook the blood she had drawn and placed it in the nearby centrifuge. The machine hadn't even started yet, but the talisman paper on it suddenly lit up slightly. A meme suddenly popped into Yan Yu's mind. G, third stage. The nurse glanced at it, her expression remaining calm, and merely said, "Please wait, there are a few more tubes." The needle wasn't removed yet, and the nurse took 3 more test tubes, drawing 3 tubes of blood in succession, placing them one by one into the centrifuge. The talisman paper clearly became brighter. Yan Yu watched from behind, but the nurse quickly stood up, blocking his view. She took the blood out of the centrifuge, placed it into a sealed box beside her, and turned around to remove the needle and apply a hemostatic patch to Yan Yu, saying, "Press down for 5 minutes." Yan Yu held the needle sight as he got up, only to see the nurse had already left the window and gone to make a phone call. After the physical examination, everyone gradually returned to their classrooms to continue studying. In the afternoon math class, the math teacher had been waiting at the podium for a while and asked the class president to distribute the math papers. Solve problems mode, activate. Yan Yu had just finished the multiple choice questions when the class teacher's voice suddenly rang from outside. "Yan Yu, come out for a moment." The class teacher nodded to the math teacher, and Yan Yu put down his pen and went out to find the class teacher. The class teacher took him to the director of teaching's office, where 3 people were already standing: the principal, the director of teaching, and a man in casual clothes but looking very well built and efficient with a buzz cut. "Hello, student Yan Yu," said the principal and director of teaching, who didn't speak, clearly just accompanying, while the buzz cut man introduced himself crisply. "My last name is Qi. You can call me Qi Changping. I'm a recruitment officer from the Zhendong National Defense Academy stationed in Linan Prefecture. Our academy is a national defense college directly associated with the military, and we are responsible for recruiting talents with special gifts. After reviewing and confirming, you have met the qualifications for admission, therefore, we will provide you with a guaranteed spot. As for the specific enrollment terms and the detailed enrollment agreement, they are all here. You can have a look, and if you have any questions, you can ask me." Yan Yu picked up the agreement and started reading. It was many pages long, a full 35 pages, but most of it was lengthy legal jargon. The real key content was printed on the first page and was especially circled in red. Having the qualifications for cultivation, Party B, responded to the national conscription, voluntarily choosing to study at Zhendong National Defense Academy. After graduation, it is presumed that one will enlist in the Zhendong Army Zone and be commissioned as a 9th-rank military officer. The Lu country military implements a 16-rank military system. After graduating from the military academy, officers are usually commissioned as 12th-rank military officers, but what level is a 9th-rank military officer? It is known as the military officer ceiling. The majority of military officers spend their careers fighting to be promoted from a 12th-rank officer after graduating from the military academy to a 9th-rank officer by their 30s, after which they retire and return to their hometowns. Promotions consider age, unless exceptionally outstanding and favored by superiors. Attaining the rank of 9th-rank officer is the limit after 30. This means, if Yan Yu signs this agreement and chooses to study at Zhendong National Defense Academy, he will obtain a very high starting point upon graduation. And this starting point is already the career endpoint for many military officers. Of course, considering high school students might not understand the value of this, there is another even more sensational clause below: after enlistment, basic monthly salary, 40,000 yuan in total. Subsidies calculated separately. This salary is truly frightening. It should be noted that currently, across all military branches and units, the vast majority of 9th-rank military officers earn a salary of about 10,000 to 14,000 yuan. That's a starting salary 4 times that of one's peers. Isn't that impressive? But Yan Yu was very clear in his mind that the real income a cultivator could get in the future was not measured in 10,000s. "How about it?" Qi Qingping confirmed, asking. "I just have one question," Yan Yu asked with a calm expression. There was no hesitation in agreeing to enroll, but he had a question hidden in his heart from his past life that he wanted to take advantage of the present to ask. "You ask?" Qi Qingping wasn't surprised. Today, in every prefecture of Zhonghai province, there were academy enrollment office teachers stationed in urban areas, for the purpose of real-time statistics and estimation of enrollment numbers. Up to now, out of the 300,000 high school graduates in the province, only 20 students with a spirit route had been identified, and after most of them received the enrollment invitation, the most common question they asked was, "Is Zhendong National Defense Academy a 985 or 211 institution?" The standard answer provided from above was, "It is not, but we are more suitable for you than 985 or 211, because we can offer you an institutional position with a starting salary of 40,000 yuan per month." Once this sentence was said, the vast majority of students and parents no longer hesitated. At most, they would later leverage their connections to inquire whether the school was truly as claimed. However, the question Yan Yu posed made everyone in the room tense up instantly. "May I ask, if one doesn't have a girlfriend after graduation, will the unit arrange a marriage for one?" Qi Qingping fell silent because this question was not included in the enrollment plan. The principal wanted to speak up beside him but was interrupted by Qi Qingping raising his hand. He answered with a smile, Young student, our country does not have arranged marriages. However, if you truly have this need after graduation, the military can arrange social mixers for you. I believe by that time, many excellent girls will be interested in you. This answer was perfectly watertight. Although the state does not have arranged marriages, as long as you have a cultivator status and are willing to start a family, the authorities will certainly mobilize efforts to find a girl who matches your tastes, traditional thinking, love for the country, and willingly marries you. Since it's voluntary, it naturally counts as free love, not arranged marriage. After all, a family man is less likely to defect abroad. Okay, I have no more questions, Yan Yu said as he picked up the pen, ready to sign. Won't you ask your parents? Qi Qingping asked in surprise, finding the young man quite interesting, not seeming like he was only 18. Can you back out after signing? Yan Yu counter-asked. You cannot, Qi Qingping replied. Once you have signed your name, even if you fall ill and are hospitalized, you must complete your studies at the school hospital. I'm asking if you could back out, Yan Yu corrected him. Qi Qingping fell silent again for a moment before replying, we cannot. Then all the more reason to sign on the spot. Yan Yu laughed heartily and nimbly signed his name on the enrollment agreement. Chapter 21, My Puppet Won't Get Hurt. Theoretically, as an 18-year-old adult, Yan Yu had the right to choose which university to attend on his own. In reality, of course, he still had to do the proper communication with his parents. Having signed his name on the enrollment agreement in front of the principal, the head teacher, and the recruiting officer, Yan Yu had actually shed his identity as a Senior 3 student and had contributed to the school's college enrollment rate. Therefore, instead of returning to the classroom to continue cramming with his classmates, he went to get his cell phone back from his homeroom teacher and then strutted home. The homeroom teacher even considerately allowed him to backdate a month's leave, to prevent any adverse effects on his normal graduation. As he walked home, Yan Yu took a moment to gather his thoughts before dialing his father's number. Aside from himself, there were 3 other people in the family. His father, named Yan Nanshan, was a regular employee at a state-owned enterprise. It seemed that his grandfather hadn't read Gulong's The Legendary Siblings when he named his father. When he was a child living in the company's staff dormitory, every time Yan Nanshan returned home from work, there would always be neighborhood kids shouting silken bond technique around him, and Yan Yu would often be caught by his playmates to pass on the technique in turn. Given these memories that Yan Yu preferred to forget, hereinafter, Yan Nanshan will be referred to as Father Yan. His mother, Zhang Yalan, was a primary school Chinese language teacher at a local school, also referred to as Mother Yan. Then there was his younger sister, Yan Jing, who was currently attending a local middle school. After Yan Yu called, he roughly explained the situation at school to his dad: direct military sponsorship, enlistment upon graduation, initial military rank, and a monthly salary of 40,000 yuan. Father Yan just responded with a series of non-committal grunts, without asking, is that school for real, or is it fake? Aren't you going to ask about the school? Yan Yu felt that something was off. No, Father Yan said. Aren't you worried it might be fake? Yan Yu was even more puzzled. The leader just talked to me, Father Yan answered calmly, saying that your kid has been noticed by the military, that you must let him attend Zindong National Defense Academy, also mentioning that a state enterprise is different from a private one, the staff should have enough political awareness. You get it, what else could I say? Yan Yu. So it turns out that your recruitment strategy was to work on both the student and the parents at the same time. Alright then. He was about to hang up when his sister Yan Jing's voice came through the phone, Big bro. You have a salary of 40,000 yuan, can you buy me a bag? What does a girl your age need a bag for? Mother Yan interjected, Yan Yu, don't mind her. Jing, school isn't out yet, right? Yan Yu asked with narrowed eyes, how come you're at home? It's my period and it hurts too much today, so I asked the teacher for half a day off, Yan Jing said excitedly. Big bro, you don't have a girlfriend, and you can't spend 40,000 yuan a month, so why not buy a bag for your sister? Chasing a goddess will only get you treated like a lapdog, but buying something for your sister, that's true sibling love. Alright. Yan Yu immediately agreed, I'll buy you a new backpack right away, filled with middle school exam review questions, you just wait. You're doing every evil thing. The sister's pitiful howl came from the phone, along with Mother Yan's relentless suppression, and Yan Yu, having successfully played his trick, hung up and walked leisurely home. Yeah, he was going to become a cultivator. However, there was no real sense of joy, strangely enough. Because what he truly longed for was not so much to become a cultivator, but to make amends for the profound regret of the past life, the almost made it feeling. And that tiny gap might just be the difference between a cultivator and a non-cultivator. That wretched woman, Chen Linian, in the past life always liked to say, What a pity you're not a cultivator. Aside from deliberately teasing and enjoying his awkwardness, perhaps there actually was a bit of real regret there as well. As for the exact proportion, maybe 10%, couldn't be any more. Upon arriving home, Yan Yu saw two mannequins standing in the living room, who were the spitting image of Zhao Yuanzhen. As for the real demonic sect enchantress, Zhao Yuanzhen, she was sitting at a desk, focused on operating something. Seeing that she was probably at a critical point in creating the core components of a puppet, Yan Yu didn't dare to disturb her, but quietly closed the door and decided to go out for a walk. There was a package on the floor, sent from Jianghai Prefecture. When opened, inside was indeed the enrollment agreement for Zhao Jiazhen and a handwritten note from Chen Linyun. Fill it out and send it back to me as soon as possible. At the end, she even drew a cartoon of a little dog in simple strokes. It's all sorted out now. Yan Yu couldn't help but sigh. This woman, Chen Linyun, is really useless when she isn't serious, but incredibly efficient when she is. It's all sorted out. Zhao Yuanzhen's excited voice rang out from inside the room. Ha ha ha. I am indeed a genius, Yan Yu, you little thief, what do you have to say now? Yan Yu quickly pushed the door open and asked coldly, is it done? Zhao Yuanzhen subconsciously felt guilty, as if she were caught talking behind someone's back, but quickly regained her composure and declared with pride, the puppet's core is ready. Whether intentionally or not, the enchantress made a conspicuous, surging motion, but luckily, Yan Yu possessed immense strategic composure and was not swayed by her beauty, simply saying, let me see it. After examining the puppet for a long time, Yan Yu finally frowned and said, why does this puppet look so much like you? Because my appearance and figure are perfect, Zhao Yuanzhen confidently said with one hand on her chest, even though it's a battle puppet for cultivation, if it's possible to pursue the ultimate in looks, there's no need to make it ugly, right? Your point makes sense, but it still feels weird. Yan Yu expressed that he couldn't understand, wondering who in their right mind would create a life-sized puppet that resembled themselves. And the proportions of this figure are highly unseemly. You're asking to get slapped by your mother, right? Oh, it seems you don't have a mother, so never mind. Don't touch it yet, I need to install the core. Zhao Yuanzhen opened the chests of the two puppets and carefully placed the silver-white cores, made of celestial steel needles, inside. Then she closed the chest plates. All done. Zhao Yuanzhen clapped her hands and said, you wanna try? Yan Yu calmly stood still and began to operate the string-pulling technique. An elusive and profound connection formed between his mind and a puppet in front of him. The beautiful puppet that looked exactly like Zhao Yuanzhen suddenly opened her bright yet emotionless eyes. Then, like lightning, she reached out and grabbed Zhao Yuanzhen by the throat. The latter, annoyed, swatted the puppet's arm away. What are you doing? Just seeing if it could make you pass away, Yan Yu replied calmly. Huh? Zhao Yuanzhen didn't understand, but as a fickle demonic sect enchantress, she quickly cast aside her excess emotions and excitedly said, these two puppets are so much better than the ones I used before. As long as they're provided with a constant supply of true yuan, they can exert immense strength continuously, analogous to a permanent wood-bending charm. Yan Yu responded absently, while his mind instantly flashed with several impressive battle tactics that could be implemented with the help of the puppets. My puppet shall be named Ami, continued Zhao Yuanzhen. What will you name yours? Yan Yu said nonchalantly, how about Chifo? Why would you choose a Buddhist sect name? Zhao Yuanzhen asked angrily. Even if it's to match with my puppet, wouldn't Aizen be much better? The name is not the point, Yan Yu said seriously, the point is, we can only use our puppets as a trump card at critical moments, do you understand? Why? Zhao Yuanzhen asked, displeased. Because we can't expose the silk and bond technique, Yan Yu said, gazing into her eyes. After enrollment, we must avoid revealing your identity as much as possible, even the slightest suspicion. This is the order from our master. Chapter 22 Heading to School. The date had arrived at May 24th. High school students were still in their final, frantic sprint, while over 400 lucky possessors of the spirit root, having been selected through the college entrance physical examination, were preparing their bags to head to their respective colleges after receiving their admission notices. The 4 national higher education institutions dedicated to cultivating cultivators also united in opening their doors to these university-level cultivators. Among them, university students from eastern provinces would head to the Zandong National Defense Academy in Jinling Prefecture. University students from southern provinces would head to the Adan National Defense Academy in Xinguang Prefecture. University students from western provinces would head to the Pinxi National Defense Academy in Shazong Prefecture. University students from northern provinces would head to the Dingbai National Defense Academy in Shengjing Prefecture. It sounded a bit like the familiar concept of Hogwarts 4 houses, where everyone belonged to the wizard camp, yet they were artificially divided into 4 academies to compete against each other. In fact, due to the top-level institutional design, the competition among the 4 cultivator academies was going to be much fiercer than originally anticipated. Zhendong National Defense Academy, located in the Jiangning district of Jinling Prefecture, recruited from Zhonghai Prefecture, Jiangbai Province, Jiangnan Province, Jiangwei Province, Jiujiang Province, and Nhai Province, with the first cohort consisting of 103 cultivators. Compared to the sprawling campus area, this number of cultivators clearly wasn't impressive. Therefore, the dormitory arrangement was luxurious individual rooms, with a living environment surpassing that of many international student dorms at other high schools, and it could even compete with business rooms in many 5-star hotels. As Chen Linian had said, after Michi country took the lead with their fame and fortune bundle, other countries had no choice but to quickly follow up, offering the best treatments to serve their own transcendence. Major issues were at stake, and they couldn't overly test one's innate loyalty and consciousness. Yan Yu first left his luggage at the guardhouse, then helped Zhao Yuanzhen, along with her luggage, to her assigned single dormitory room. It wasn't to fulfill any duty as a fellow Taoist, mainly, it was to confirm which room this enchantress was in, making it easier to find her later on. Don't forget who you are, Yan Yu once again patiently cautioned her before leaving. Don't draw attention to yourself, don't interact with strangers, don't let my Yingsu become aware of your presence, understand? Otherwise, not even my master could save you. Rubbish. I am not that kind of foolish woman, Zhao Yuanzhen said impatiently. Even before she had transmigrated within the Kaianzi sect, she mostly stayed in her cave dwelling, focusing on cultivation, and rarely dealt with her fellow female disciples. It was only because her master needed to curry favor that he spoke more to her. After reminding the enchantress to remember to lock her door when there was nothing to do, Yan Yu silently left the girls' dormitory. Upon reaching the ground floor, he saw a girl squatting down, gathering her books that were scattered all over the floor. This girl had an innocent and lovely appearance, although not as exquisite as Chen Linian. Her facial features were softer and her demeanor was gentle and demure. She brought 2 suitcases and 1 luggage bag, from which the underside had torn open, scattering all the contents, various paper books, primarily literary novels, both domestic and foreign. Without showing the slightest annoyance, the girl simply squatted down, patiently picking up each book and piling them neatly beside her. Yan Yu recognized her at first glance, and the related memories from his previous life also surged forth. Su Yunjin, originally from Gosu of Jiangbai Province, had parents who were both professors at Gosu University, coming from a scholarly family background. An only child in her family, long exposed to the influence of intellectuals, thus her nature was rather gentle and refined. More precisely, she was contented and unambitious, her only hobby being reading. In many ways, Su Yunjin seemed like a less intense version of Chen Linian. In his previous life, not long after starting college, the two indeed quickly established a close friendship. They often went to eat at the cafeteria together, attend classes together, train at the school fields. In public, Su Yunjin was used to standing behind Chen Linian, and usually helped her with various tedious matters, hence she was jokingly referred to as Secretary Su. However, in Yan Yu's estimation, this girl was nearly as clever as Chen Linian, it was just that she was way too zen when it came to taking initiatives. Perhaps it was a common problem among children from intellectual families, they lacked utilitarianism and desire, allowing others to lead or guide them along. Let me help you, Yan Yu offered, going over to help her pick up the books. Thank you, Su Yunjin responded, nodding her thanks. Many women instinctively refuse in such situations, perhaps due to modesty or pride, but refusing such a simple gesture would seem alienating, and Su Yunjin concealed her surprise well, responding appropriately and gracefully to a stranger, from which one could see that her upbringing was indeed excellent. In contrast, a certain despicable woman can't be said to have been poorly taught, it's just that she herself grew up to be twisted. Let me help you carry these 2 suitcases upstairs. Yan Yu picked up 2 suitcases, you can hold the books, and we should be able to move everything in one go. Then I'll trouble you, Su Yunjin said with a smile, I'm really sorry. What a normal smile that was, Yan Yu couldn't help but exclaim. It wasn't Chen Linian's elegantly sweet but fake smile, nor was it Zhao Yuanzhen's clueless and silly grin, but the normal smile that a girl with a normal personality should have. So normal, it was truly touching. Yan Yu, carrying the 2 suitcases, climbed the stairs with Su Yunjin, who held the books, following behind. Seeing his energetic and untiring steps, not showing off, she felt somewhat relieved. At the dormitory door, Su Yunjin's room was 204, Zhao Yuanzhen was in 207, not far away. Yan Yu set the suitcases down at the door, remembered the room number on the door plate, watched Su Yunjin take out the keycard, swipe it to open the door, and then he pushed the suitcases inside. "Thank you for your hard work." Suyunjin opened her backpack and took out a bottle of green tea. "Here's something for you." Knowing her nature, Yan Yu didn't stand on ceremony, took the bottle, twisted off the cap and said, "My name is Yan Yu, just like you, I'm a new student." Suyunjin, Su as in Gosu, Yun as in clouds, and Jin as in brocade, Suyunjin introduced herself. "Alright, I've got it," Yan Yu nodded, took out his phone with his left hand, and said calmly, "Let's add each other as friends, so we can contact each other if there's an issue." "Sure," Suyunjin agreed. After they added each other as friends, Yan Yu noticed that the girl's profile picture was actually a very common landscape photo, with a close-up of a Chinese rose at the center. Her aesthetic was quite old-fashioned. Her nickname was Yunjin, which was equally old-fashioned. Should he just save her contact as Andisu? Yan Yu pushed down the random thoughts in his head and saw Suyunjin quietly watching him, so he said with a smile, "I should go now, goodbye." "Let's keep in touch when you have time," Suyunjin said with a smile, escorting him to the corridor outside the dorm, just in time to see Chen Linian turn the corner of the staircase, followed by two ants carrying suitcases for her. Their eyes met, and Chen Linian's gaze fell on Suyunjin behind him, her sweet and elegant smile still on her face, only her eyebrows slightly raised. "Oh no, Secretary Su might not be able to become a secretary this life." Yan Yu chuckled inwardly, raised his hand, and greeted, "Good morning, Ling Yun." "It's 1 p.m., Chen Linian said with a smile. "I meant you've arrived quite early." Yan Yu gracefully walked past her. "I'm off to get busy, see you next time." Chen Linian slightly turned her body, watching his figure disappear around a stair corner, then turned back to look at Suyunjin. Feeling somewhat uncomfortable under her gaze, Suyunjin cautiously nodded and said, "Hello." "Hello, classmate." Chen Linian's smile became even sweeter. "What's your name?" Chapter 23, Come Be My Secretary. Yan Yu helped Suyunjin pick up her books, really without any ill intentions. Unlike Chen Linian, his impression of Suyunjin in his past life was quite favorable. A well-behaved miss from a family of scholars with a sense of propriety, who would dislike such a person? Another reason was, Suyunjin died too tragically in the end. In an era of great contention, not competing means being eliminated. Suyunjin herself lacked ambition and a utilitarian mindset, and on the battlefield, she tended to overthink yet lacked the decisiveness needed to make swift decisions. When given commands, she was the perfect chief of staff. But without leadership, she would fall into the hesitation conundrum typical of gentler people. The more she tried to save everyone, the less she was able to save anyone, and in the end, she even lost her own life. In contrast, Chen Linian's decision to give up on her at that time was actually the wisest act of bravery. Although it was a pity indeed. Maybe this time around he could find a way to have Suyunjin become his secretary. Chen Linian was not exactly a good leader. Her command skills were passable, but her actual strength was a glaring weakness, sometimes failing to protect her subordinates. Yan Yu was the type with a strong propensity for action. Once he made a decision, he immediately took out his cell phone and sent a message to Suyunjin, "How about joining me?" On the other end, Suyunjin, upon receiving the message, was baffled for quite a long time. "Huh? It means exactly what it says," Yan Yu typed. "I need someone to help me deal with some miscellaneous matters, and you just entered school today with no specific goals, right? Actually, I can tell that you don't really want to attend this university. You're the type who loves literature, and the Chinese language and literature major would have suited you best. It's just unfortunate that our university is quite special, with those chosen having no right to refuse." After about 2 or 3 minutes, Suyunjin replied, "So what? So, if you follow me, maybe you could break free from your confusion and find the meaning in studying here," Yan Yu quickly typed. Many freshmen experience such a period of confusion, having been focused on sprinting towards a single goal during their senior year of high school. They feel lost once they get to university not knowing what to do. For Suyunjin, the situation was even more severe, as her goal had always been the Chinese language and literature department of Gosu University. However, her sudden discovery of a spirit route forced her to sign an enrollment agreement with Zhendong National Defense University, completely crushing her expectations for university life. "Haha, I've been quite confused recently," Suyunjin replied. "I didn't expect everyone to notice." Yan Yu frowned slightly and typed, "Did Chen Linian also come to you?" "Yes," Suyunjin felt somewhat puzzled. "How did he know?" "She said similar things to me, offering similar advice." "And your response?" "I said," Suyunjin typed, "that I need to think about it." From childhood, she had always followed the trajectory laid out by her parents, never daring to overstep. Now that she had entered this military-affiliated university, her academic circle parents could no longer be of much help. If she didn't know what to do next, Then perhaps it was worth trying to follow in someone else's footsteps. But whose? From a female perspective, of course, she leaned more towards the same gender, Chen Linian. After all, constantly being seen with boys could lead to being misunderstood as being in a romantic relationship. But Chen Linian's smile made her somewhat uneasy. I see. Yan Yu's message came through, then take your time to think about it. However, if you decide to follow Chen Linian, you can't just always follow her orders, you need to have your own ideas and thoughts. Su Yunjin's next reply, however, leapt to a change of topic. Yan Yu, are you very familiar with Chen Linian? Not really, Yan Yu pondered for a moment before typing, it's just an acquaintance. But that's not what she says. Yan Yu? Immediately following, a video chat invitation from the cunning woman popped up at the top of the screen. He silently tapped accept, and Chen Linian's sweet smile appeared on the screen, with a visibly embarrassed Su Yunjin at her side, who mouthed a silent apology with a bitter smile. Judging by the background in the video, the two of them seemed to be in Su Yunjin's single room at the dormitory. Yan Yu, Chen Linian said with a twinkle in her eye, trying to steal her away from me on the first day of school, huh? Don't make it sound so dramatic, Yan Yu waved nonchalantly, she hasn't agreed to you yet. This kid was my pick first. Chen Linian's smile remained steady, and I issued my invitation before you did. Plus, as a guy, to brazenly invite a girl to hang out with you, it's hard not to suspect you have ulterior motives, isn't it? Hey, don't unjustly tarnish my reputation. Yan Yu immediately retorted with wide eyes, I just can't bear to see her fall into your hands and then be played around by you. How interesting, Chen Linian narrowed her eyes and smiled, so in your heart, I'm the kind of bad woman who bullies her classmates. Aren't you? You're not allowed to answer a question with a question. You two really have a good relationship. Watching their skillful interaction, Su Yunjin really wanted to make a comment, but good upbringing held her back. From the content and tone of their conversation, they were clearly more than just friends, but there was no hint of flirtation or intimacy, so what exactly was their relationship? I'm not going to talk to you anymore, I'm going to the dining hall to eat. Yan Yu, noticing Su Yunjin's odd expression, waved his hand impatiently, that's it, hanging up. We're about to go eat too, Chen Linian said with a smile, together? Yan Yu's first instinct was to refuse, but he quickly reconsidered. If Chen Linian was actively inviting him to eat, then it definitely wasn't just for a meal or to cultivate a relationship, but because she had something to discuss with him. Then let's meet at the dining hall entrance. The extravagance of the Cultivator Academy's dining hall couldn't quite match the dormitories, but most of the cost was actually invested in the kitchen. The chef team was the same one that had managed the Asian Games at Linnan Prefecture a few years before. Yan Yu met the two girls at the entrance of the dining hall. Chen Linian was dressed in a pleated skirt that fell past her knees and a simple blouse, topped with a cute gray beret. Su Yunjin had also changed clothes, wearing a blouse, form-fitting pants, and canvas shoes. Though her outfit wasn't as elaborate as Chen Linian's, she carried a different kind of classical beauty. Additionally, when these two girls stood side by side, Chen Linian's petite stature immediately became apparent. Su Yunjin, who was not particularly tall among her peers, was still half a head taller than her. Her height of 1.56 m was indeed a bit cute. Oh my, where did this elementary school student come from? Yan Yu teased, finding it amusing as he regarded Chen Linian. Are you coming to eat at the dining hall with your sister? See that? Chen Linian wasn't upset. Instead she said to Su Yunjin, if you chose to follow him back then, you'd now be harassed by such outrageous comments. Yan Yu, Su Yunjin said awkwardly, it's impolite to joke about someone's height like that, isn't it? Sorry. Facing Chen Linian, the cunning woman, Yan Yu could let loose without restraint, but with Su Yunjin, the gentle and kind young lady from a good family, he admittedly felt a bit embarrassed to tease her too much. Bullying a virtuous young lady is no fun at all, not nearly as amusing as needing a cunning woman. Chapter 24 The Gathering of the Three Goddesses. After grabbing their meals at the cafeteria, the three of them found a table for four and settled down. Speaking of which, have you guys gotten your textbooks? Su Yunjin initiated the conversation, asking softly, don't you think there are too few? There are only 3 books. Since it's a military-affiliated school, of course, the focus is on integrating theory with practice, not like most majors which are mostly pure theoretical learning, Chen Linian said leisurely. Yunjin, have you looked through these textbooks? Yeah, Su Yunjin nodded, I briefly flipped through all 3 books. Her tone suddenly fell, to be honest, I still feel a bit out of place. I was educated all my life that there are no such things as immortals, Buddhas, gods, or demons, and then one day I suddenly find out that I am actually a cultivator. It always feels like I'm dreaming. Every morning I have to confirm whether it's real or not. You must have similar feelings, right? Not at all. Chen Linian and Yan Yu responded at the same time. Su Yunjin's expression froze on her face. I understand you haven't adjusted yet, Chen Linian said leisurely. So just read those 3 books thoroughly, and you'll be fine once you accept reality. Just reading is not enough, practice is also necessary, Yan Yu corrected her. Even not reading the books wouldn't be a problem, as long as your practical skills keep improving. Many questions will arise naturally, and it's still not too late to consult the books for solutions. Yeah. Su Yunjin looked somewhat sorrowful, feeling like a struggling student who accidentally became the butt of top students' jokes. She bowed her head and ate quietly, when suddenly she heard a voice nearby. Hello, is there still a seat available here? All 3 turned their heads to see the newcomer, a girl with long black hair holding a food tray, dressed in a simple shirt, trousers, and sneakers. This girl's beauty was not inferior to Su Yunjin, but her temperament was clearly on the opposite end of the spectrum. If Su Yunjin were to be described as a delicate water lily, then this person would be a snow lotus growing on the icy peaks of the Tanshan Mountains. Her pretty lips slightly pursed, forming a cold curve, her eyes clear and pure, her demeanor serious and stern. She seemed difficult to get along with. Among the 3 at that moment, probably only Yan Yu knew who she was. Lin Ning, from Qinyuan Prefecture in Anhai Province. Her family ran a deep-sea fishing company, so she could be considered a rich heiress. However, unlike Su Yunjin, Lin Ning didn't show any signs of being a spoiled rich girl. Instead, she seemed more like a strong-willed girl from a poor family determined to make something of herself, and her deeds in her past life were several times more remarkable than Su Yunjin's. For example, when she was the class president in high school, a male classmate once wrote her a love letter in private, which Lin Ning summoned him to the cafeteria to respond to in person. According to classmates who sneaked in to eavesdrop, Lin Ning not only seriously rejected the boy, but also analyzed why it was important to focus on studies at this stage, pointed out which subjects he was weak in, and finally encouraged him to get into the university of his dreams. She turned the confession into a lecture on studying, and it became a widely told story in school that everyone enjoyed. Later, the boy who was rejected truly made a great effort and ranked within the top 400 in the province in the college entrance exams. It was estimated that the mental shadow Lin Ning left on him at that time was indeed quite significant. Just like Secretary Su Yunjin, Lin Ning in her previous life was also Chen Linian's right-hand helper. Because of her overly serious personality, lack of smiles, and her propensity to lecture, she was nicknamed Class Teacher Lin Ning. And because she would always timely retort when Chen Linian was being frivolous, she was also jokingly called Dandruff Inhibitor Lin Ning. No one is here, Yan Yu said. Help yourself. At the 4-seater table, Chen Linian and Su Yunjin sat opposite each other, and Lin Ning took a seat next to Yan Yu, eating and starting to read a book. The book's title was Tactics and Strategy Studies for Cultivators, one of the 3 textbooks distributed at the start of school. Yan Yu felt a bit sentimental. To think that on this first day of school, the 3 beauties of the academy had all gathered at this humble dining table. Should we find a garden full of blooming peach blossoms for a sworn sisterhood ceremony, and I'll witness for you all. Then he heard Chen Linian suddenly say, they've built a spell training ground behind the school. Shall we go take a look later? Sure, Su Yunjin responded reflexively. What, you want to check out my skills? Yan Yu immediately knew what she was thinking. Chen Linian seemed very pleased with this tacit understanding, smiling. You're not going to say you can't, are you? Lin Ning suddenly asked out of the blue, the training ground? Can I go with you guys? Sure, Yan Yu said casually even before Chen Linian could answer. It's a public facility of the school, open to all students. Chen Linian gave him a meaningful look. What Lin Ning really meant was not can I go to the spell training ground, but I want to see how strong you guys are. It seemed as if Yan Yu hadn't grasped this underlying meaning. But how could that be? He must have understood, he must have done it on purpose. Why did he use such a vague expression? Clearly, it was to prevent Su Yunjin and me from refusing, so he rushed to agree first. In other words, he sees this girl, who is currently reading, as worth deliberately making an acquaintance with. Having thought everything through in a flash, Chen Linian also wore a sweet and elegant smile, and said to Lin Ning, my name is Chen Linian, shall we add each other as friends? Lin Ning. Lin as in double woods, Ning as in lemon. Lin Ning took out her phone and swapped contact details with Chen Linian, then turned to look at Su Yunjin. Thank you, my name is Su Yunjin. She rose to her feet in delighted surprise and took out her phone as well. After the 3 girls exchanged contacts, Lin Ning looked toward Yan Yu beside her. Yan Yu also pulled out his phone and scanned Lin Ning's QR code. You have sent a friend request to Ning Ning. Lin Ning seriously asked, classmate, what's your name? Yan Yu. Which specific characters? Lin Ning was the type to note down all her contacts' real names with compulsive detail, complete with suffixes like high school classmate. You can guess, Yan Yu teased her on purpose. Because Sister Lin took things too seriously, Chen Linian, who was his assistant in his previous life, frequently complained about her, making her one of Yan Yu's sources of amusement. In contrast, characters like Secretary Su, who were too honest to speak out, were not as entertaining. There's no need for that, Lin Ning insisted. Even if I guess correctly, I'd still need to confirm with you before I note it down. So why don't you just tell me instead? Perhaps it's because this way is more fun? Yan Yu said leisurely. Lin Ning, do you know what fun is? Lin Ning was silent for a moment, catching the teasing tone in Yan Yu's voice. She frowned in slight annoyance and put her phone away. No need to give his name, and such a frivolous attitude. Forget it, I won't add him. Her reaction and her thoughts were precisely what Yan Yu had anticipated. Now she refused to add him as a friend, but she was sure to regret it later. It's Yan as in a bird, Yu as in abundant. Chen Linian suddenly spoke up and ruined his setup, smiling. Classmate Lin Ning, don't let him fool you. He's just trying to annoy you. Now is the time when you should add him and then block him thoroughly. Damn, woman, you're at it again. Yan Yu was about to retort when he heard Lin Ning say thoughtfully, indeed. She gave Yan Yu a smug smile, then typed Yan Yu into the remark column, accepted the friend request, and promptly set it to do not disturb mode all in one go. Fine, you like this game, huh? Yan Yu, somewhat vengefully, took out his phone. Chen Linian, I'm about to block you too. If you block me, I'll just go add your sister as a friend, Chen Linian said, propping her cheeks with her hands and flashing an extremely sweet smile. Then I'll find out all about your dark history from when you were little and spread it all over the school's forum. Chapter 25, Showcased Skills at the Training Ground. Yan Yu ultimately did not block Chen Linian. It wasn't because he was afraid she would seek out his sister and dig up his embarrassing childhood history, but because he didn't want to stoop to the level of such a despicable woman. After all, if he stooped to another's level of pettiness, the result would only spiral into greater pettiness, which was really not advisable. After the four finished dinner in the cafeteria, they walked slowly along the path outside. The combination of one male and three females, especially since all the girls were quite attractive, undoubtedly drew the attention of many passing students and staff members. As a leaf among the flowers, Yan Yu also received such curious and inquisitive gazes. Thankfully, they were mostly out of curiosity and investigation, and there were no death stares from single dogs attempting to glare him to death. Walking with three beauties must be a lot of pressure, right? Chen Linian was, as expected, bringing up the awkward subject again, her annoying knack for observing words and colors at play. What are you talking about? There are only two beauties here. Yan Yu glanced at her sidelong. Even the gentle and demure Su Yunjin, who never forgot to focus on her reading while walking, and Lin Ning, couldn't help but prick their ears up quietly from the sidelines. Who are you talking about? Who has been kicked out of the ranks of beauties? It better not be me, or else I will. So, who is it that's not a beauty? Already guessing what he was going to say, Chen Linian asked with a smile, think carefully before you speak of course, it's someone who's not even 1.6 meters tall, Yan Yu said very calmly, that height clearly belongs to an elementary school student. Calling her a young lady is really a stretch. If she went to an internet cafe, she wouldn't even have the chance to show her ID before being kicked out. Su Yunjin sighed beside them, as she had already seen that Yan Yu wasn't really engaging in personal attacks, since Chen Linian didn't look the least bit insulted or hurt. To be exact, this seemed to be some sort of special communication where insulting each other strengthens their relationship. According to the descriptions in novels, this type of conversation typically occurred among very close male friends. Judging a woman by her height is petty, Lin Ning interjected suddenly. Su Yunjin felt suffocated for a moment. With just one sentence, this child managed to attack two people at once. Was she missing some common sense? The smile on Chen Linian's face remained unchanged. She only raised her eyebrows slightly, looking at Yan Yu. Yan Yu glanced at Lin Ning and saw her looking down at the path with a cold expression, completely ignoring him. He took a deep breath and then spoke with feeling, indeed, because physical appearance possesses the charm to make one an appealing member of the opposite sex, confessing without knowing the person's character is hardly likely to result in a lasting relationship. And let's not forget, as high school students, our main focus is still supposed to be on studying. I'm happy that you like me, but as the class president, I still need to have a serious talk with you about this. As Yan Yu recited his deep feelings, Lin Ning's expression quickly changed from cold to shocked, then from shocked to fearful, and from fearful to wanting to dig a hole to hide in out of embarrassment, and a type of anger that wanted her to annihilate herself and him right there and then, her neck and ears turning completely red. You. Come here. She yanked Yan Yu's arm forcefully, dragging him toward a small grove, calling out in embarrassment and anger, "Stop reciting. Come with me." The two of them busied themselves going into the grove. Su Yunjin was silent for a moment before sighing and saying, "Is it really okay?" "It's okay." Chen Linian's smile was very cheerful. "I'm confident he knows where to draw the line, and besides, it's quite interesting, isn't it?" Less than a minute had passed before Yan Yu and Lin Ning emerged from the grove. The former strutted back with an air of triumph, while the latter wore an expression that screamed, "I'm so mad but have to restrain myself," like she had been thoroughly put in her place. "Let's go," said Yan Yu, waving his hand. Su Yunjin walked beside them, furtively checking if their clothes were disheveled, and finally breathed a sigh of relief. The Zhendong National Defense Academy's campus was extremely large. Apart from the dormitories, administrative buildings, and lecture halls that are standard for universities, there were outdoor training fields and the mountain behind them. Only by following Chen Linian deep into the mountain did everyone realize that the inside of the mountain had been hollowed out long ago, and a large number of rooms had been carved out. The walls and floor were all lined with steel plates, every room was brightly lit, and there were surveillance cameras everywhere, making it look like the top-secret military laboratory seen in TV shows. It wouldn't seem out of place if a section of the floor suddenly opened to reveal automatic guns that would mow down everyone as intruders. What was even stranger was that there was not a single staff member in sight. We shouldn't be considered as illegally breaking in, right? Su Yunjin started to get cold feet. "Obviously, we're not," Yan Yu said, speechless. "When she brought us in, she used a key to open the door. Having a key doesn't necessarily mean legal entry, right?" Lin Ning seriously criticized. "It could be a key obtained through illegal means, or it might be unauthorized entry during a forbidden time period without approval." "Preaching," Yan Yu said somberly. "Okay, I'll stop preaching." Lin Ning shouted irritably, "Anyway, if we get caught, I am definitely going to tell the truth." Seeing her give up on herself, Chen Linian had more or less completed her personality portrait of her and quietly took out her phone, typing out a message. Yan Yu also took out his phone and saw the new message from Chen Linian. "Gentle and delicate little jade. Serious and competent with long black hair. Almost smashed my phone. This wretched woman does have a good memory, I had almost forgotten." "What, are you jealous?" Yan Yu replied and asked. "Hey," was the inscrutable response. "Alright, this is the place." Chen Linian, having put away her phone, led the three of them into a spacious hall, which appeared to be a shooting range. "This is the practice area for the metal element impact curse. You can freely shoot at the targets in the distance, but you absolutely must not aim at people." She turned on the control panel nearby, fiddled with it for a while, and the targets in front began to move. There were large and small targets, stationary and moving, straight line, curved, reciprocating, and irregular in every possible pattern. Lin Ning took out her textbook she always carried with her and started to learn and research casting spells on the spot. Su Yunjin leaned in to watch as well. "Ah, it looks like you've already practiced it," Chen Linian said with a covered laugh upon seeing Yan Yu not studying on the spot. "How about giving it a try?" Yan Yu replied, hands behind his back, calmly, "Let's see yours first." Chen Linian put her two fingers together and extended them forward. Immediately, a muffled sound emerged from the distant target, and the display screen hanging from the ceiling showed target 14, score 7. Meanwhile, Su Yunjin and Lin Ning also put down their books. Clearly, compared to cramming on the spot, watching someone else cast spells in person seemed to be more valuable. "Your turn to try?" Chen Linian said with a smile. "Then you'd better watch closely," Yan Yu replied confidently as he walked toward the shooting position. While Yan Yu and his companions hadn't seen any staff when they entered, this was not a normal situation. Rather, it was because, 20 minutes before, the commander-in-chief of the Zhendong army, Hueco, had made a surprise visit, and most of the staff had gone to the practice field to assist with the demonstrations. Leaving the Earth Element Sturdiness Curse training area, Hueco continued to instruct the school principal beside him, "With rubber bullets, there's still a fatal risk if hit in a vital area by accident. Our military has a quota for training casualties, but these university cultivators are far too precious to lose in training accidents, so it's best to switch to liquid buffer rounds instead." "Understood, we'll make the changes right away." "What's the next facility we're inspecting?" "The central control room. It's staffed 24 hours a day, and we can see everything happening in all the training fields. If any students get injured, we'll find out immediately." Surrounded by a large group, the commander-in-chief and the school leaders made their way to the central control room. Just as they reached the door, they heard exclamations from the on-duty staff inside. "Wow, look at this one. Is that one of the Army's elite snipers?" "No, that's clearly a university student." But given that level of skill, it wouldn't be surprising if they were from the military. Hearing the unrestrained discussion inside, the school leaders' faces darkened as they hurriedly pushed open the door and coughed loudly. The on-duty staff quickly stood up, only to see Hueco stride powerfully into the control room. His gaze swept across the room, and he immediately caught sight of the surveillance screen for the Metal Element Impact Curse training field. His expression turned solemn, and he fell silent, his mind churning with shock and awe. Chapter 26 I will become the strongest in this world. The method of casting the Metal Element Impact Curse involves gathering enough true chi from the Danshin and then following a specific meridian route, passing through the chest, shoulders, and arms, before finally shooting out sword chi from the fingertips. Why can only one curse technique be cast at a time? It is because the meridian routes of different spells conflict with each other. For example, the wood-bending charm and the earth element sturdiness curse both pass through the spirit platform acupoint in the chest. If you run both spells at the same time, there will be a chi collision at the spirit platform acupoint. The final point of the impact curse's chi pathway is the fingertip acupoints of the middle and index fingers, which must be brought together in a gesture known as the sword finger when used. The method of casting the impact curse recorded in the textbook is to raise the arm to eye level, bring up the sword finger, slightly bend the elbow, and align the far end, near end of the gap between the two fingers, and the eyes all in a straight line, before firing the metal element's sharp energy to pierce through the target. Because the motion resembles shooting, it is also the favorite curse technique of military cultivators, who refer to it as gun shooting. Hueco, the current commanding officer of the Zendong army, although unable to cultivate himself due to the lack of a spirit root, had witnessed countless experiments by military cultivators, and he almost immediately noticed that Yan Yu's casting method was quite different from that of the troops. This guy didn't seem to aim at all when he released the impact curse. At the training ground, Su Yunjin and Lin Ning were also stunned. The former had her mouth slightly open, while the latter, despite showing no expression, instinctively clenched her fingers around her book. Chen Limian stood on another side, her smile sweet and radiant, and her eyes seemed to shine. Yan Yu's movements while casting the spell did not resemble a soldier shooting a gun, but rather a music conductor. His arms swung rhythmically, moving briskly left and right, up and down in front of him, without ever specifically stopping to aim. Yet looking at the continuous target hit 10 ring record scrolling on the screen like a waterfall presented another, even more incredible fact. He wasn't failing to aim, he didn't need to aim. Old Wang. Come take a look, Hueco called out without turning his head, from inside the central command room. Wang Qingshi quickly joined the commanding officer, adjusted his reading glasses, and stared at the figure effortlessly casting spells on screen, inhaling deeply to himself. Strong eyesight and quick reflexes, he said, quickly regaining his composure and making a serious analysis. He's got the standard of an active ace. Still not enough, Hueco said gravely. Yes, replied Wang Qingshi earnestly. Most importantly, his rate of true yuan circulation is very fast, with the ability to launch multiple impact curses in a short period of time. The speed should be more than 3 times that of active personnel. What is the speed of casting curse techniques related to? Hueco asked. Personal physique, casting experience, true chi control, Wang Qingshi answered. There are indeed active service cases with naturally wide meridians, whose spellcasting speed is about 50% faster than average. An individual's physique can only enhance performance by up to 50%, yet his spellcasting speed was 3 times that of active personnel, meaning physique wasn't the main contributing factor. As a university student cultivator, it's certain he didn't have much casting experience, which left only one thing, true chi controllability. Remarkable eyesight to quickly discern all targets' positions and trajectories, lightning-fast reflexes to calculate lead times in an instant, and unparalleled control over true chi, with a circulation speed more than 3 times that of active military cultivators, making his spell releases comparable to a machine gun pouring out bullets. Liu Yufu, standing next to him, leaned over and asked for instructions. Should we check his identity? Wang Qingshi was about to agree when Hueco suddenly raised his hand and said, no need for that yet. He looked at Chen Linian, who stood next to Yan Yu on the screen, pondered for a moment, and then said, the young man belongs to our Zendong army, like meat in our own pot that cannot be snatched away by others. To praise him now would be to put pressure on him prematurely, it's unnecessary. Wang Qingshi immediately understood. This matter is a secret of our military, don't let it out, he warned the surrounding school leaders sternly. Yes. All the school leaders replied in unison. The management of the Zendong International Academy was comprised entirely of civil servants from the Zendong army, so their loyalty was beyond question. Back at the training ground, Yan Yu finally brought his hands together and then crisply clapped them clean. Yeah, although it's been a long time since I've practiced, this kind of basic skill really hasn't become rusty. No sooner had he turned around than he saw Chen Linian looking exhilarated, Su Yunjin staring in disbelief, and only Lin Ning with a look of incredulity, asking in astonishment, You're really amazing. How did you do it? Practice makes perfect, Yan Yu answered offhandedly. What do you mean by practice? Lin Ning still couldn't understand and pressed on. We all signed the enrollment agreement before realizing we were cultivators. How much time could you possibly have to practice? Okay, Chen Linian took her arm. The self-study time on the training ground is precious, Lin Ning. Don't pester him with questions here. There will be time to figure it out later. Lin Ning really wanted to ask clearly, but she had to admit that Chen Linian was right. Anyway, now that we're friends, there will be plenty of time to ask him later. She quietly took out her phone, turned off the Do Not Disturb mode for Yan Yu's contact, and then immediately remembered another matter. Wait a minute. Although it was because of a joke by Chen Linian that she had petulantly blocked him, she had originally planned to unblock him tonight when she got back. But now that she had discovered he was an incredible talent, wouldn't it be misconstrued as a rather utilitarian gesture if she hastily removed the block to ask him questions? From arrogance to deference, and all that. Forget it, I'd better not ask him. Seeing Lin Ning looking downcast, and combining that with her previous thought process and personality profiling, Chen Linian guessed her thoughts fairly accurately and turned to Yan Yu with a smile brimming with pleasure. It was as if to say, oh my, this kid is pretty fun. Yan Yu, of course, also noticed her dilemma, and with a simple Lin Ning, there's no problem, you can ask me whatever you want later, he probably could have gained her goodwill instantly. But no, I refuse. With a girl as earnest and proud as she, it's best to tease and play with her now while we're still strangers. It won't be as fun once we get to know each other better later. The dorms turn the lights off at night. Yan Yu checked the time on his phone. Aren't you going to practice? I might as well give it a try, Su Yunjin said first. Unlike Chen Linian and Yan Yu, this was her first time using curse techniques. Even though it was the simplest impact curse among the 5 spells, it took her almost 20 minutes to successfully cast it. Lin Ning's learning efficiency was about the same, and it took her just under half an hour to finally manage the flow of breath. How's it going? Watching them fumble with their spellcasting, Chen Linian quietly asked. Lin Ning is a bit rigid, Yan Yu replied. Strictly following the textbook in a meticulous manner means she relies heavily on existing experience patterns and lacks the ability to adapt proactively. If she encounters an experienced enemy who's good at observing, her offensive patterns could be easily seen through in actual combat. Typical test-taker mentality, Chen Linian said with a smile, but that's also quite normal. What about Su Yunjin? Su Yunjin? Her situation is a bit more difficult, Yan Yu frowned as he spoke. She always pauses for a split second at the very end of casting her spell. Do you mean she's afraid? Chen Linian immediately understood. An unconscious aversion to using violence or hurting others, likely tied to her upbringing and environment, Yan Yu replied indifferently. Such ingrained values are trickier to address, not something that can be corrected overnight, you know. Being a cultivator is essentially a military profession, and her psychological readiness is way off. Lin's issue is minor in comparison. What about me? Chen Linian pointed to herself. You? Yan Yu pondered briefly before replying. Your judgments are accurate, spellcasting stable, and as of now, I see no obvious faults to criticize. The only problem might be that your aptitude isn't great. As the resurgence of spiritual energy deepens, you'll find that your growth will be more strenuous compared to others, and you'll need to put in more sweat and effort to ensure your cultivation doesn't fall behind. So, time is your biggest enemy. But aptitude isn't the only factor determining strength, Chen Linian said meditatively. Awareness, experience, and technique are equally important. That's true, Yan Yu didn't deny this. Speaking of aptitude, his own was even worse than Chen Linian's. He didn't have a spirit root at all. But this didn't stop him from becoming the strongest in the world. Chapter 27 I'm not used to without you. The training hall announced closing time, and the broadcast system alerted all the students inside that they could leave now. Su Yunjin lowered her arms in dejection, thinking that although she enrolled in late May just like Yan Yu, he was already so formidable, while she still stumbled through her incantations. Maybe she really wasn't suited to be a cultivator? With a somewhat dim expression, she pondered, and Lin Ning, standing beside her, although not displaying much distress on her face, was likely thinking along similar lines. Not to mention catching up, we're not even on the same level, she thought as she looked at her own palm. The straight black-haired beauty who had always been first in her class from elementary to high school was encountering the daunting force of a downgrade strike for the first time. Seeing the two girls experiencing a collapse of their worldviews, Chen Linian laughed even more cheerfully and walked over to hook her arm around Lin Ning's waist, then pinched Su Yunjin's cheek, saying, Come on, don't look so unhappy. College life is still long, There's plenty of time to surpass that. Someone. Chen Linian's words had struck a chord with Su Yanjin, who felt somewhat embarrassed, while Lin Ning argued, "It's not because I want to surpass him, it's just because I'm not learning well, that's why." Little Lin Ning is quite a determined girl, Chen Linian said with a smile. "Don't call me little Lin Ning." Lin Ning protested with embarrassment and annoyance. Yan Yu quietly observed from the sidelines, thinking that it was no mere coincidence that these three girls were friends in their past lives. Chen Linian, this trashy woman, surely hadn't changed her vile character of toying with others. If it had been a girl who was a little less perceptive, not flipping out on her would have been good enough. Those who could be friends with her were either gentle-natured young ladies like Su Yunjin or earnest eccentrics like Lin Ning, who always focused on the main issue and didn't sweat the small stuff. After seeing the three young ladies to the girls' dormitory building, Yan Yu leisurely headed back to his own dorm. On the first day of enrollment, he had added 3 goddess-level friends, and he had confirmed that his basic skills in combat hadn't deteriorated. Great. A fulfilling day. Although he seemed to have forgotten something, it didn't really matter. Back at the dorm, he arrived on the 2nd floor just in time to see several boys chatting in the hallway. Yan Yu glanced briefly, recognizing only one of the 3 boys. In the former life at Zhendong International Academy, within the first batch of 100 or so cultivators, only 5 left a deep impression on him. Apart from Chen Linian, Su Yanjin, and Lin Ning whom he already knew, there were Caillou Zi and Sun Ziyi. Sun Ziyi was the late bloomer type, truly remarkable not until he acquired the formless sword. Caillou Zi, on the other hand, stood out much earlier, otherwise Chen Linian wouldn't have selected him for the team. The guy leaning against the wall with a towel over his shoulder was Caillou Zi. He was extroverted and good at socializing, always speaking with a smirk, a typical fair-weather friend among the boys. In the past life, he was extremely skilled in the shifting technique and cloud ascension technique, which is why Chen Linian recruited him for reconnaissance and support roles in her team. Suddenly, Caillou Zi turned his head, looked at Yan Yu with a smile, and said, "Hey, you live in 202, right?" It seemed like a casual guess, but it was actually a simple deduction. He had spent the afternoon getting to know all the neighbors on the 2nd floor, and Yan Yu was the only one he hadn't seen because he had been out with Chen Linian for dinner and training. "That's right," Yan Yu nodded. "My name is Yan Yu, and I live in 202. Caillou Zi, room 204, Caillou Zi replied with a friendly smile. "We're playing games and grouping up tonight in the dorm. Want to join us?" "Gaming is out, it's already 11 p.m., Yan Yu politely declined. "Alright, maybe next time," Caillou Zi said with a smile. "Unlike Chen Linian's taunting you look like an idiot, you know." Smirk, Caillou Zi's smile was meant to seem approachable and harmless, so Yan Yu didn't hold any ill will against him. After swiping his keycard and opening the door to his room, Yan Yu's expression froze instantly. Seizing the moment before anyone else could notice, he quickly shut the door behind him, firmly locking it. I remembered, I know what I had forgotten. The demonic sect enchantress, Zhao Yuanzhen, was currently sitting at his desk, one leg propped up, hands crossed over her chest, eyes glaring coldly at him with sinister aggression. Apparently, she had been stood up for most of the day and was showing signs of going mad with fury. Yan Yu instantly felt somewhat guilty, but then he recalled this demonic sect enchantress by nature was extremely malevolent, and was only holding back because she feared the powerful master behind him who, in actuality, didn't exist. Should he show any weakness, she would immediately sense something was amiss, making it troublesome to suppress her later. Therefore, Yan Yu quickly cast aside any guilt he had forgotten her, stating indifferently, "I was on a mission from my master." "What, you have a problem with that?" At the mention of master's orders, Zhao Yuanzhen instantly deflated, not even daring to mutter a few words of complaint in her heart, only managing to say in a mumbled, aggrieved tone, "I don't have a problem, but as dual cultivation partners, shouldn't you at least inform me before you leave? This is also my first time joining this sect, I'm unfamiliar with everything around here, and then you weren't even by my side." "Huh?" Yan Yu revealed a mockingly baffled smile, "What are you talking about? You are a cultivator. In the past life, you were pursued by the authorities, fleeing from Jiangnan all the way to Jiujiang, Jingnan, Bajun, Nanquan, Nanjiang. Running 1800 kilometers along the river, killing and slaughtering countless along the way, were you not domineering and brazen then? Now you tell me you're scared in unfamiliar environments? You must be joking. A sly and cunning demonic sect enchantress. I know." Zhao Yuanzhen also seemed to lack confidence, trying hard to justify herself. "Although I am a cultivator, I am also a woman. Isn't it normal to feel fear? Starting to play the gender card now, are we?" Yan Yu was not fooled by her seemingly weak demeanor, replying coldly with arms crossed, "Really? I don't believe it. Zhao Yuanzhen." She didn't continue speaking, just silently lowering her head, her fists clenched tightly between her legs, thinking resentfully, "Today, the scoundrel left me waiting for half a day. I kept vigil in my room without a bite to eat or drink, only to be ridiculed by him for not seeming like a cultivator. This is a great grudge. If one day I turn the tables and take charge, I'll make sure to tether a dog leash around the scoundrel's neck, so he won't be able to step away from me even by half a step." Imagining the scoundrel groveling and fawning over her, Zhao Yuanzhen's anger dissipated by a significant amount, and she asked, "The seals on the puppets are also ready. Would you like to take a look?" "Show me." Zhao Yuanzhen took out 2 silver pellets, pinched a magic formula, and infused them with true yuan. The 2 puppets immediately grew against the wind, reaching a height of 1.7 meters in seconds, standing slim and graceful, delightfully lovely. They looked exactly like Zhao Yuanzhen, like 3 identical triplet sisters. With another pinch of a magic formula, the puppets reverted back into silver pellets, spinning nimbly in the palm of her hand. "Very well." Yan Yu took a silver pellet and stored it away solemnly. "This thing isn't easy to test out in the open, better keep it for emergencies." As for why they couldn't test it openly, Zhao Yuanzhen now had a rough idea. This world had no sectarian disputes, the imperial jurisdiction was incredibly strict, requiring all techniques and treasures to be registered and their sources explained clearly. Puppetry was the hallmark of the Kaianzi sect. How could they explain its origin? If they registered it with the authorities today, Ma Yingsu would come after them tomorrow. Of course, Zhao Yuanzhen hesitated for a moment before suddenly saying, "Yan Yu? What? Why don't I just move in with you?" Zhao Yuanzhen laid down on his bed, looking at the ceiling. "We have to dual cultivate every evening, always using the invisibility technique to come and go. It's quite bothersome for me." "Don't be silly." Yan Yu shook his head. "Haven't you noticed that all the residents here are male cultivators? That's why I can't understand why the residences for male and female cultivators have to be separated. It's absurd." Zhao Yuanzhen commented, "We are all cultivators, yet still bound by the moral and ethical constraints of the mundane world. What kind of archaic and conservative sect is this? Living together now would be too conspicuous." Yan Yu pondered for a moment before replying, "In a while, when the time is right, we'll find a place outside to live together." Chapter 28, Boss takes in a divine ability as the first university-level cultivator students. The freshman curriculum was rather simple, 3 theoretical courses and 1 practical combat course. The 3 theoretical courses were Ideological Morality and Current Affairs Policy, Comprehensive Guide to Cultivation, and Tactics and Strategy Studies for Cultivators. The first course needs no mention. The second, Comprehensive Guide to Cultivation, mainly introduced what is the spiritual energy resurgence, what are the danshan, meridians, and acupoints, and how to perform chi refinement. The chi refinement technique was named National Initial Edition Chi Cultivation Technique, but Yan Yu immediately recognized the content as Ma Yingsu's primordial unity scripture, which emphasized independency from external objects. With sufficient aptitude, one did not need any resources for cultivation and could still maintain a high chi refinement efficiency. The third course, Tactics and Strategy Studies for Cultivators, mainly discussed the 3 arts and 5 spells. The 3 arts were Shifting Technique, Cloud Ascension Technique, and Wall Penetration Technique. The 5 spells were Metal Element Impact Curse, Wood Bending Charm, Rune Script, Fire Blazing Charm, and Earth Element Sturdiness Curse. As Chen Linian had said, among the key points in the current textbooks, the 3 arts were focused on Shifting Technique, which allowed for super fast movement quick as a running horse, easily covering 1,000 meters within a minute. Among the 5 spells, Earth Element Sturdiness Curse was highly recommended. Once activated, the entire body would be enveloped in hardened Earth Element True Chi, which could perfectly defend against bullets and explosive shrapnel at the cost of continuous consumption of true yuan during activation. From this, it could be seen that military cultivators were still stuck in modern warfare thinking. The reason Shifting Technique and Earth Element Sturdiness Curse were esteemed was because they provided mobility and defense, maximally enhancing the combat capabilities of special forces. However, cultivators are not special forces. Though the students were all eager to learn, absorbing the knowledge like sponges, Yan Yu was somewhat disinterested. While others were busy taking notes, he was doodling aimlessly in his notebook with his pen. Sitting in front of Yan Yu were Chen Linian and Su Yunjin. The latter was attentively listening to the lesson, while the former, smiling, had not written a word in her notebook. Clearly, she had decided that her future learning plan would center around teacher Yan Yu. Lin Ning sat to Yan Yu's left, her notebook filled with dense notes. Occasionally, she would glance over and notice Yan Yu scribbling on his notes, prompting her to remind him, "I won't lend you my notes before the exams, you know." Yan Yu was taken aback and responded, "Who asked you? Why aren't you taking notes?" Lin Ning's serious nature began to kick in, entering the beautiful girl's persuasion mode. "Because it's pointless," Yan Yu replied. The most important thing for a cultivator is practical combat. As long as the practical combat results are excellent, theoretical grades can even be ignored. But isn't it true that understanding the theory well can help with practical combat? Lin Ning pursued the point unwillingly. That's indeed true, Yan Yu nodded thoughtfully, so you should study hard. What about you? With my strong combat ability, why do I need to study theory? Yan Yu asked, seemingly confused. Lin Ning was immediately frustrated and yet found herself at a loss for words. She had seen his performance on the training field earlier and ultimately couldn't ignore the facts or deny them. What do you plan to do for this afternoon's training class? Chen Linian suddenly sent a message, clearly having heard the conversation between the two in the back row. Just attend the class as normal, Yan Yu replied via text. Oh, not going to try playing possum. Chen Linian's message came quickly. Want me to deliberately get a few boys to give you a hard time, then you can reveal your strength and shock everyone? Forget about it, Yan Yu replied. Would you be pleased with yourself for coming in first place in a kindergarten? Fair point. Chen Linian thought it over and realized it indeed made sense from Yan Yu's perspective. So do you also see me as a kindergarten kid? I see you as a little female demon, Yan Yu replied. Zhao Yuanzhen sat to Yan Yu's right, watching him persistently texting with Chen Linian and couldn't help but puff up her cheeks, silently taking offense. Today I listened to the lecture. This thief ignored his companion the whole time, just chatting idly with another woman. I'll remember this grudge. If one day I can turn the tables and take charge, I'll definitely seal his glib tongue, rendering him unable to speak a word. The morning was for theoretical classes, and the afternoon was for practical classes. There were 2 hours of rest at midday, and as soon as the dismissal bell rang, everyone rushed to the cafeteria, ready for lunch. Yan Yu found a 4-seater table and sat down first. Chen Linian came over and took a seat across from him effortlessly, with Su Yunjin sitting beside her, and Lin Ning next to Yan Yu, just like the seating arrangement last night. Until Zhao Yuanzhen came over with her dinner plate and saw that the area next to Yan Yu was already filled with beautiful girls, she was instantly bewildered. What about me? Just find a place to sit anywhere, Yan Yu said helplessly. Even though we're dual cultivation partners, we don't have to stick together even while eating, right? I think it's better for us girls to sit together, Chen Linian suddenly said with a smile, picking up her dinner plate and standing up. Su Yunjin and Lin Ning also stood up and, together with Chen Linian and Zhao Yuanzhen, the 4 girls found an empty table not too far away and sat down. Yan Yu suddenly found himself alone but didn't seem to mind. Of course, he was not going to fall for the girls' play hard to get strategy, as he calmly continued to eat. Hey, Yan Yu. Kayuzi arrived with 2 other guys, carrying their dinner plates and taking their seats opposite and beside him. Kayuzi. He nodded in greeting. Look over there. After chatting for a bit, Kayuzi suddenly gestured for everyone to look at Chen Linian's table and chuckled. Those 4 girls, they all look pretty good. Starting a conversation with the topic of beautiful girls is a tried and true method among guys who have just met. The effect is quite simple and effective. After all, admiring beauty is a common topic among all men. The risk is that if the girls in question were to find out they were being rated, it might lead to a collective decrease in their favorability towards those men. Indeed. Another guy commented, the smallest one, she has a particularly sweet smile when she laughs. Yan Yu bit his lip hard, trying not to burst into laughter so much that he sprayed his food out. Yan Yu, what do you think? Kayuzi saw him looking like he was struggling to hold something in and thought he had something to say but was too shy, so he quickly encouraged him to speak. I'm pretty close with them, so I can't really comment. Yan Yu managed to swallow his food and replied calmly. Kayuzi was a little confused by his response, while the guy beside him laughed and teased him. We all just started school yesterday, and you're already well mixed in today, huh? Right, Yan Yu admitted with a nod. His response silenced everyone as they assumed he was just showing off and didn't argue with him. When Yan Yu saw the change in their expressions, he knew what they were thinking, so he decided to take out his phone and call Chen Linian. Kayuzi and the other 2 guys hadn't quite realized what was happening when Chen Linian's voice came through the phone. Hello? Yan Yu turned on the speakerphone and said, I'm having dinner with some new classmates, and we've come across a topic I want to hear your opinion on. Who do you think is the prettiest at your table? Kayuzi and the other 2 boys finally realized who he was calling, and their jaws dropped in unison. Wait a second, don't tell me. You're not actually. Aesthetic appreciation is quite subjective, and the points that women care about usually differ greatly from what guys think. Chen Linian's cheerful voice came from the phone. If you really want my opinion, I personally prefer the type like Lin Ning, whose appearance and personality are contrary. Hey. Lin Ning's protest suddenly erupted. I told you not to call me little Lin Ning. Got it? Yan Yu replied. Pass the phone to Lin Ning, I'll ask her opinion. Before he could finish his sentence, Kyuzi grabbed his arm, his face filled with a pleading sadness. Boss, stop showing off your magic skills. Don't we believe you already? Please don't ask any further. It's social suicide. They've already started looking this way.